Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. And this is episode 317. In this episode, we're going to recap the Cowboys and 49ers game, the Jets win over the Broncos, Bengals bounce back offensive performance, talk about the Patriots problems, give our power rankings after week 5, and more. Episode 317. We didn't go live on Sunday because we thought full episode, let's save everything we got to talk about for this episode. How you guys doing today, fellas?
I'm doing pretty fucking fantastic, honestly. Maybe not the greatest of football Sundays. By far and away the worst record that I had with my picks. I'm not even sure what the record was, but I know for a fact it was under 500. But we're here. We're doing well. Had a Bleacher Report stream today. That went well. Can't complain too much. How are you guys doing?
It was a beautiful football Sunday for me. Jets got the win. Jalen Hurts did his thing. It was just, I tweeted, it was just Lamar Jackson went away. A couple touchdowns. God forbid these guys catch the ball from being a perfect Sunday for me. I'm excited. I feel like, I don't know, I missed an episode because I was sick. Last episode I dipped early. We weren't recording Sunday, so I feel like I haven't recorded a real episode in like years at this point. So I'm excited. It was a big week of football.
Man, I woke up early as hell that morning, and the Bills, they lose some guys left and right in the rotation. It was hurt. That 9:30 game was tough, man. But
your Bills are cooked, bro.
Yeah, they lost a lot of guys. They still whipped your Miami team's ass though. Bad.
Yeah, that's gonna be their Super
embarrassing.
Bowl. That's their Super Bowl.
No.
Hope they enjoy it.
No.
No? Okay,
You
got
just
it.
signed on Josh Norman.
Enjoy that.
But I had a good weekend, man. I'm here. I'm glad to be here, man.
Matt Milano season ended.
That hurts.
That should break.
Shit.
No, Trey White, Matt Milano. That does break my heart.
Milano was on his way to an all-pro season.
Just when the Bills feel like they have a Super Bowl caliber roster.
They was rolling out dudes I didn't even know was on the team for real. Like I was just like, who the fuck?
To be honest with you, it's the Bills and the Cowboys for most unlucky franchise, and honestly, the Bills are way more unlucky.
They lost 4 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah, that
actually hurts. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd watch a sport again.
I wouldn't. I would actually leave that team.
I actually don't know how Bills fans exist. Like, Josh Allen came to the team. They came out the woodworks. Understandable.
Well, they've always been. I mean,
Shady was there for a year. I'm sure some Shady fans slid over there,
Bills Mafia is a real thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like, some fans just live in misery,
Hilarious coming from him.
My Broncos, last time we were in the playoffs, we won the whole thing.
That was 2014, 15?
Go ahead. No, keep thinking.
15.
Keep going.
14.
Come on.
13?
12. You're getting way colder.
16?
Great job.
15, 16.
He said 15.
You know what's funny about 16? It's the greatest years of our lives.
For you, yeah. 100%.
I mean, just everyone feels like 16 is the GOAT.
I feel like people do say that summer was like the greatest summer, but like.
And it was.
I'm an adult now.
I've
had better summers.
Have you?
Yeah.
COVID year?
No. Year after.
COVID summer was fake.
Year after COVID
Year after was
fun.
crazy.
Yeah.
When they was letting everybody go back outside. Woo! That was a great year.
We went to North Carolina that year, and that was the same year that LeBron won
year, right?
in the bubble. So.
Oh, that's fire for you.
I had a great 2020. Unfortunately,
the COVID year was a good year, but
I also graduated college that year. So where people feel like it's the worst year of their lives, to me, I enjoyed it.
Did you walk?
I didn't, bro. We had our
COVID
graduation,
yeah. But I know
which was by far and away my favorite.
Seton Hall had like a makeup.
Didn't we just go to your graduation party? What was that for?
That was
bro,
nursing,
I graduated twice. I have 2 degrees.
Oh,
I'm different.
That was for nursing.
So what the fuck was the first one for?
Undergrad.
Interdisciplinary science was my degree.
Okay, cool. I was wondering because I feel like we just went to his graduation party.
We did, yeah.
I get you done.
I respect that.
Before we get on to the show, 2 things. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe.
Subscribe, man. We're almost at 50K. I get so pissed off looking at our YouTube studio, all of this green watch time, views, all this, and I see subscribers staying the same. Get us to 50K.
And
Are we
second,
at 300 Patreons?
Close to. We're 294, 295.
So
Damn, we might need another week. Unless
close.
you get to 300 Patreons, we're recording it tomorrow. I'm worth
it might be this episode right here. 5 people choose to be a Patreon member.
It's
$1.
$1. Come
you can
on.
join.
Full episode. Damn near. It's an hour and a half, basically.
We're going to do our pick'ems this week. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
pick'em week 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
that's
lock
be a
in.
Patreon episode.
I need someone to keep track of my picks. I have no
Pick a side
clue
meme.
what my record is.
I got a job for you.
We have a graphic that shows all of our
We
picks.
do. But
No.
going through all
I'm
them,
saying pick a side meme. Get the records. Get the records for us.
just
man.
don't
Do that-
forget.
Do that favor for us, please.
I made the change week 1 for the Falcons. Or is that week 2? Week 2. Don't forget that. I need everyone I could get.
You guys with your changes. Drew made a last-minute change last week.
With the Ravens. And
yeah.
Well, that was fair. Deshaun Watson didn't play.
Understandable.
Right?
Understandable.
This week, there was no changes made, and I should have made a few because Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Now, this week was just too unpredictable. There was just a lot of games.
Yeah, it was horrible.
No, I was decent. I was around 500, but you had a couple underdogs that ended up losing.
Folded. No, I had
like
a lot of confidence coming in.
Broncos didn't.
I didn't pick the Rams. I picked the Eagles.
Oh, you did?
I picked the
He's the only
Broncos.
one that
Folded.
picked the Rams.
I thought-
Shocking,
I
right?
thought you picked.
We
the
all
Rams.
picked the Texans.
Why'd
They
you pick the
folded.
Rams?
I'm going to pick against the Eagles again this week.
I wish I could.
can.
We all picked the Patriots. That folded.
You can.
I picked the Broncos. That folded. We all picked the Packers. That folded.
Yeah, Packers.
We all picked the Ravens. That folded.
Yep.
I picked the Cardinals. That's
what
my
it was.
upset.
Why'd you pick the Rams? Like, give me the thought process just real quick. Like, why'd you think they would win?
Vibes.
No, their secondary stinks.
Yeah, Eagles don't have a good pass defense.
Rams do?
No.
No. But
Witherspoon's
Stafford did his thing. Cooper Kupp was back. Puka Nacua did his thing too.
Looked great.
Yeah,
That was a close game.
Close.
But with the Rams, it was a pretty close game.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the
Eagles
Rams,
it was close.
they can't finish off games because their offensive line allows too much pressure, and Stafford can't
And
pass.
the Eagles could go on 10-minute drives if they want, just bleed the clock.
You had to know, brother. Not this week.
The run defense was solid though against running back runs. Jalen Hurts was good on the ground, but against running back runs,
That one run he had
defense
going
was good.
when he went out to the right, got hit, stayed up.
It
That
was
shit
by
nuts.
far and away Jalen Hurts' most impressive
He's
performance
been
as a
in his
rusher.
mode lately.
Yeah,
he's been in his mode.
you know,
How
steadily
his
getting back.
knee didn't collapse
Yeah, I have no
into
clue.
a million pieces on that run was insane.
We'll be undefeated for a couple weeks now. So
I'm here for it.
You guys play the Niners. What week you play the Niners?
Week 12.
that's
Okay.
far.
Okay.
I think we got a couple hard ones before that though. if
Yeah,
I'm not
this week,
mistaken.
buddy.
No, not this week. The weeks after.
What do you mean not this week?
Sorry, Zach Wilson.
You facing the
We're
Jets
good.
defense.
We're so good.
You facing Brees Hall, baby.
Nobody's worried.
You just seen.
Oh, you
Brees
got
Hall?
the Dolphins in 2 weeks.
That's the one. Yeah, I'm a little.
Oh,
nervous.
that's 8-12. Oh, that's not.
I'm actually nervous as
Let's
fuck.
go. That's gonna be.
because
Oh, there
our
we go.
secondary sucks.
That's gonna be what Dallas San Fran should have been.
We're gonna have to score every play.
Hey, he did it. Basically
And the
in
Dolphins are
Super
going
Bowl.
to have to score every play.
No, 1,000%. It's gonna be a shootout.
Yeah.
It should be because our secondary looks really, really bad right now.
Before we get on to the first topic, a quick word from Mojo. We're in love with Mojo Fantasy. It's a crazy new app that turns sportsbook odds and selections into fantasy contests. Here's how it works. There are thousands of NFL and MLB player props. You build a portfolio, and the better your portfolio performs, the more cash you win. Pick as many props as you want and try to beat the crowd. It's a whole new way to play fantasy. The props act like stocks, so you can buy and sell live all game long. It's the only fantasy app that lets you make moves after the game starts, so you're not stuck with a bad pick. You can cash in on a hot start or just hang on and let them ride. That's it. Make picks, make moves, make money. Check it out on the Apple App Store. They're coming to more states and adding more sports
Hang on
soon.
and let him ride.
Do yourself a favor, invest in Brock Purdy. He's $20 right now. He is unbelievably great so far this season. Get your dollars in on Brock Purdy.
49ers beat the Cowboys 42-10. And listen, I don't know if you're expecting me to start.
Dude,
Let me-
You're
let's
expecting
not bury the
Riv
lead
to
here.
start.
No, you're 100%
We're
yes.
not burying the lead. You are starting.
Let me shut shit down. Riv,
Hey,
I sat through one of the most excruciating arguments
God.
in pick aside history. I need you to do me a favor, and I need you to please just reiterate every single thing that you said on the last show that we talked about Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers.
okay, let me pause this preseason game.
Throw it a lock in.
You know, Sunday was a great day. You know, I expected a better fight from Dallas, all jokes aside. You know, I did expect it to be a great game. It was a lot on the line for that game, for us, for the Cowboys, for the Niners. It was a statement game. We all knew that coming in. Brock Purdy versus Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Debo. It was supposed to be a statement game. And the Niners, to me, just felt like they had a chip on their shoulders. Like, they felt like the more hungrier, aggressive team. You know, every single play, they wanted to make a statement. They just felt like they had something to prove, and they're the team that's undefeated. They're the team that's been on go from start to this point. They're the team that's been perfect on both ends, and they felt like, to me, like the team that had something to prove. You know, you would think a team like Dallas, who just lost to the Niners in the playoffs, they lost Diggs, they kind of have that chip on their shoulders, like, oh, people are doubting us. We got to come out here and, you know, change the narrative. But the Niners, who don't really have a narrative, except one guy. One guy on that team that has this narrative in this world that he is a system quarterback. You know, he's not top 15. He can't get it done. He can't make those throws.
Not an MVP candidate, bro.
Not an MVP. And I know, Joel, you're gonna harp on that throw to Ayuk, which was a little bit behind them. He had a couple bad throws, but
I don't know. I've had some conversations with Joel.
He's turned the corner.
You know what? I love to hear that you turn.
That was
the
a
corner.
bad throw.
Of course, yeah. Listen,
It was a bad
It
throw.
was.
That was the only bad throw of the night.
but what I want
I
you,
regret defending him.
no, it was a bad throw for sure.
He
I
mentioned
seen
it. I wasn't even going to
Yeah,
mention it.
no,
I wasn't
it-
even going to harp on it. I was going to play no instruments on that statement.
It was a bad
Nothing.
throw. But Brock Purdy, to me, just looked like somebody who was just unconscious in his efforts to completely dissect the Dallas Cowboys defense. I mean, like, he did anything he wanted. You know what's crazy to me? Like, 7th most valuable player on the team, man. Ayuk didn't have the most yards. CMC didn't have the best game. But you know who was fucking beautiful that day, that night? It was Brock Purdy. And I just love to see, I love the story of Brock Purdy. I love the fact that he's fucking amazing. Mr. Irrelevant. He was flawless.
Far from.
There was one drive where he just went boom, boom, boom. And it was just so effortless. And he's like, it's just, I knew I won. But I just needed Brock Purdy to go out there and show me that I won. And I'm going to win all year because Brock Purdy and the Niners are going to win all year. And for me, it just comes down to, unfortunately, when it's going to be them and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Yeah, because there's no shot Dallas goes to the NFC Championship game. They will lose to either one of those teams. They're not good. But these two teams, when they see the NFC Championship game, it's going to hurt me because I'm going to have to root against Brock Purdy. But he had an amazing performance. I'm sure y'all going to talk about Dallas. I don't need to talk about them.
You don't.
Y'all could harp on Dallas.
Not much to talk about,
Yeah,
TBH.
but for the Niners, they're just, like you mentioned, they're the best team in the NFC. They're the best team in the league.
NFL.
Like, they're just from start to finish, offense to defense, from safeties to secondaries to offensive line to defense. Like, they're just so perfect, and they're just so in sync together. Their defense gets the energy. Their offense comes out and score. They give the defense that energy. They get a stop. There's just nothing you can do when they're clicking. And, like, I don't even think the Eagles are better than the Niners. I think the Niners are comfortably the best team in the NFL. And it starts with the most valuable player on the team, Brock Purdy, because when he's clicking on all cylinders, there's just nothing you can do. And the narrative is dead. Like, there's nothing you can say anymore. Like, you can't say, it's a system caution, because he was making plays out the system. He was putting the ball in situations, and he was putting the ball in places that only a few quarterbacks can do, like the top 6 guys can do. So regardless of what you want to say about him as being a top guy, it doesn't even matter anymore, because in reality, he might win a Super Bowl before most of the top guys anyways. So it doesn't. In his class, he's probably going to win a Super Bowl before all of those guys. So shout out to Brock Purdy. Shout out to Niners. And I'm glad you've, you joined the Purdy fam. We've been waiting for you.
Brock Purdy was awesome against the Cowboys. And listen, credit where it's due. When you go week by week in the games that the Niners have played versus the Steelers, the playmaking aspect of Purdy's game was on full display. Thought there were some turnover-worthy plays there. Second week versus the Rams, he missed some throws.
He did.
Third week versus the Giants, the first drive was bad, but then after that, he bounced back, and he was great against the blitz. He was blitzed the most ever since, I think, Next Gen Stats has tracked this since 2016. Purdy was blitzed 86% of his dropbacks, which was the most ever in the NGS era, and he was great against the blitz. And week 4 against the Cardinals, it was just precision, accuracy. He only missed one throw. And then this game was the cultivation of all those things, minus those occasional plays that he makes that are turnover worthy. And you had big time throws. In this game, there was 6 to 8 big time throws that I saw. And for me, when I watched this game, the 2 drives that stuck out to me the most were the first drive of the game and the first drive of the second half. Everything else, Purdy was solid, but after the first drive of the game, we saw 49ers drive stall out because of balls batted at the line of scrimmage and stuff like that. But the 2 drives I'm talking about, first drive of the game, just goes perfect down the field.
Mm-hmm.
Passes it to
Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk.
Correct.
And the touchdown was to George Kittle,
Correct.
though, where he creates out of structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where Brock Purdy elevates the system, where Jimmy Garoppolo didn't, is just those out of structure plays. And having that playmaking juice because Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't somebody that had as good of a field as Brock Purdy in the pocket. And then the first drive of the second half, I thought was the best drive of his career. It was big time throw after big time throw. Brock 1st and 15 to Ayuk over Leighton Vander Esch. When you look at the broadcast angle, it looks like he layered the throw over, but it was kind of to the right. Leighton Vander Esch was out of position. Brock took advantage of that. He hits the middle of the field. You have the Brock corner pass to Brandon Ayuk, which was a dime. It got called back, but I thought that was the best throw of the night to him. The Brock pass to Debo to the middle of the field. Then the pass to Kittle in the red zone, where that play showed off his anticipation skills. Kittle's not even broken off on his route yet, and Purdy's throwing it over 3 defenders, and it gets to Kittle in the end zone. The game plan the Niners had for the Cowboys in the first half was pretty simple. The Cowboys don't have guys who can cover one-on-one. So they were playing soft, and that's why you saw a lot of out routes to the boundary, and that's where Purdy hit him. In the second half, the Cowboys needed to do something. They needed to play more man-to-man, and that's where you just see the plethora of routes where Debo, Kittle, and Ayuk win because the Cowboys just can't guard that. The 49ers are in a tier of their own. And Brock Purdy, this was the best game of his career. 6 to 8 big-time throws. To perform in this fashion against a team that you didn't perform well against, a defense you didn't perform well against in the playoffs, and to bounce back in this way, I thought was a special performance. But we do have to just understand it is week 5. And I'm not somebody that's going to criticize Brock Purdy because I've been overly critical of Brock Purdy. And looking at it, you know, this guy is essentially a rookie. He hasn't played 17 games. He hasn't started 17 games yet. But I'm still Brock Purdy neutral. I'm not hopping on the bandwagon, although I do have some money invested on Brock Purdy on Mojo. Of course I do.
Man.
Good man.
Yeah, of course I am. And I told y'all to invest on him first last year.
Let me ask you a question, bro. Did you cash out on Jordan Love?
I've been cashed out on every investment I have. All my money's in Brock Purdy right now.
It's the only way to
I'm a one investment type of guy, man.
And Tua also because he's on his way to win MVP.
I don't know about that, buddy.
No.
He said no.
We know about that. He ain't winning that shit.
You got to hold on to one hate, you know?
No, he's just not winning it. It's just, he's not.
Somebody is saying Fran might win it, buddy.
It's Mahomes.
Mahomes not winning it.
Purdy will win it over Tua.
I don't know why you giggled.
Yeah.
The fuck are you
Niners,
laughing for?
Who has more playmaking juice, Purdy or Tua?
I'm not answering that. That's between y'all.
I think Purdy has a little bit more out of structure.
Playmaking out of structure. What do you?
I think so.
I mean, that's a fire ass
No, bro. We see
That's a
one
fire
out of
term.
structure play to George Kittle on the first drive
Whoa,
of the game,
one.
and now we're talking about him being more
One.
out of
You said
structure.
Damn, why you hating on
First
Brock
of all,
Purdy,
first
bro?
of all,
Why is he hating on Brock Purdy? He had multiple.
I mean, they both make like a couple per game. It's neither of their,
Yo,
pocket
you just
guys.
hated? You trying to hate over there from the other
Nah,
side?
Purdy could just because the Niners could end up going 15-2, 14-3, and the Dolphins. I think there's a good chance they still win the division, but I don't know if they're going to get 13, 14 wins.
So through the first 10 games, Brock Purdy's 8th career game with 2 or more touchdown passes, tying him with Kurt Warner and Deshaun Watson in Houston.
On the path for 30, bro. 4 touchdowns really blessed him.
Purdy's 70% completion
doubt.
percentage marks the second highest completion percentage behind Chad Pennington and Mac Jones in the first 10 starts. And then Purdy has the highest passer rating within his first 10 starts of his career. Like I said, I'm very Purdy neutral. The argument Riv and I had, listen, I look back at that, not my best moment. And I could take I could take accountability for that moment because what Brock Purdy did versus the Cowboys, listen, it was special. It had my jaw drop. The entire weekend, you know, I would be late at ShopRite because, you know, me and Jess, we were baking something. We were baking a pumpkin
Nice
pie.
Okay, I like that.
You can't even ask Jess. The entire weekend, I was like, yo, this motherfucker better not have a good game. Fuck. I was like, man, it is over. I was watching so much Brock Purdy film over the weekend just to kind of see if I miss something. Those attributes that he has are real. They're very real. The anticipation, the feel, the accuracy, those attributes are very real. And the way he processes the game is amazing. Like, there's nothing else to say to that.
So
The
he's
big
elite
time,
processor?
I think he is an elite processor.
I got laughed at that a week ago.
I think he's an elite processor, and the way he goes through the first read to the third to the fourth,
Quick.
and it's fast, it's quick, it is quick. The big time throws is what was missing. And in this game, he had a stretch where I was just floored. I was like, I did not know he had it in him. But listen, it's a great.
Angry, right?
It's a. No, I wasn't angry. It's
Brock, why are you doing this to me?
It was a great showing by Brock Purdy. He deserves his respect. He deserves his flowers. You know, this was the last pick in the draft. Things like this are not common. You know, this is once in a lifetime where a player that's drafted this low is playing like this. The last time we seen it is Tom Brady, and that's why I was so skeptical on it, because you know, what are the odds that we're seeing the second coming after the first guy retired? I'm not saying Brock is going to be Tom Brady, but with how he's playing right now with the 49ers team, you know, he's going to be the topic of conversation because the 49ers will keep winning. But I feel like too often we make this shit a quarterback show when the 49ers, I mean, they're the Monstars. Fred, the way Fred Warner played in this game. Like I know we talking. I know we
picked them to win. That's
I know we talk. Of course, I mean, listen, Cowboys. I thought it was going to be a revenge game. The way the defense dominated this game, the way they smothered the Cowboys' routes. You look at Fred Warner and the way Fred Warner plays. The forced fumble on Tony Pollard. He took away the entire middle of the field. He got a sack on Dak Prescott. He got an interception. The 49ers are just awesome. And there are so many great players that go under the radar on this team, like a guy like Charvarius Ward, who takes the number one assignment, because they're just all pros everywhere and they have an awesome roster. This is the best team in the NFL, and currently there's no team in the same tier. The Eagles may have the same record, but to me, they don't feel like the same team. The 49ers are just a step above, and they're just a step above everybody in the league.
Damn.
Purdy hasn't thrown an interception.
No, he has 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and
hey, buddy, you know your boy Tua has the same amount of interceptions as Fields.
Okay.
Yeah. How many they got?
5.
Oh,
and they have more than Josh Allen, who threw 3.
Who 5?
Stafford threw the most interceptions the year he won the Super Bowl.
He won the Super Bowl.
So take it with a grain of salt.
They had a bomb squad.
And the Dolphins have a great offense.
Oh, thank God you didn't say bomb squad.
Elite offense.
Elite offense. Woo. Brock Purdy is so good, man. I mean, you guys talked a lot about it, so I don't really want to go too deep into the numbers. But what Purdy does is just, he's on an explosive offense with a great head coach and great weapons. So if you want to sit here and just say it's not going to last or it's a flash in the pan, it's not. Like, unless Shanahan, Kittle, Debo, CMC, all of these guys disappear, Purdy's going to continue to be relevant. He's going to continue to be extremely efficient, put up numbers that are top 10-esque. And that's where you kind of have to have the separator between these like alien type quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Herberts and Mahomes, that you can't compare all of these guys to that standard, right? You can't. Of course, the 49ers would still take Mahomes over Purdy. Obviously, no one's debating that, but there's only 5 of those guys in the NFL, maybe 6. So when 70% of the league doesn't have that luxury of having just one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen, you got to find other ways to win. And Purdy does all of the little things right. He's not turning the ball over. He's processing well. He's throwing with anticipation. He's doing basically everything you want him to do. But talk about the Cowboys for a little bit, because this is kind of double-edged sword for you. It was the 49ers Purdy take, and it was the Cowboys take. I'm not here. I don't want to call you out or anything, but you know,
but I'm gonna call them out.
If I'm gonna call them out, you know, like when you're in middle school, and I did this in college, where like you write a paper and the teacher's like, say it out loud, so you like it, because it's easier to like find mistakes if you say it out loud.
For sure.
We should have beginning the season said, say Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott are gonna go to the Super Bowl out loud, because that would not have sounded right at all. This team is who I thought it was at the beginning of the season, right? They go and beat up on the Giants and beat up on the Jets, and I had them as the second-rated team, and that was my mistake. They were never that good. Even when Dak was 31 of 37 versus the Jets, they had like 15 third downs. They were dinking and dunking all over the field. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys, I have the Detroit Lions over them. A little bit of a spoiler. I don't see this team as a conference championship, Super Bowl caliber team. Offensively, it's CeeDee Lamb, and that's about it. Tony Pollard, you know, the raw numbers, the rushing yards are really good, but in terms of like missed tackles forced and all of those kind of advanced numbers, he's actually bottom the league. Brandon Cooks has not been able to get anything going. The offensive line's been banged up here and there, but you know, when Zach Martin and Tyron Smith are there, of course, it's still a great unit. And defensively, I mean, they beat up on Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson and Mac Jones, but we're looking at those 3 quarterbacks as probably the 3 worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So that doesn't move me a ton. They played Josh Dobbs, who's around the 20th to 25th best quarterback, and he was moving the ball with ease. And just played Brock Purdy, who, depending on who you ask, either had him as the 10th best quarterback or the 20th best quarterback. And they weren't able to stop them either. So this defense that was supposed to be super elite and keep them in these games and force these turnovers, they're going to be able to beat up on the bad teams. And they're in the NFC, so they're still going to be in my top 10. They're not some bottom dweller. They're still one of the best teams in the league. But when you compare them to Philly, when you compare them to the 49ers, to me, they're in a tier with the Detroit Lions. They are not in the tier with those 2 top teams. And like you said, I agree. I even think the Niners are in a tier of their own. Then it's Philly. Then it's Dallas Niners and whoever else you want to throw in there. But right now, this Dallas team is heading towards disappointment. Dak Prescott, it's not all his fault, but you can't, move on from Kellen Moore, have him be the scapegoat. You bring in Mike McCarthy, and this is how it looks because this offense right now has been really ugly.
I'm an advocate of giving credit to my bros. And where I gave you your flowers at the beginning of the show, I want to give flowers to this guy over here. He said that without Kellen Moore, this offense won't be the same. I don't trust Mike McCarthy to run a high-level offense. He's not an elite play caller. It's more on Kellen Moore than it is on Mike McCarthy. Kellen Moore is going to go over there to Los Angeles with Justin Herbert, and he's going to put up an MVP season just because of how great Kellen Moore is at being a play caller. And on top of it, we know Justin Herbert has the talent to be an MVP in this league. Lo and behold, here we are, the end of week 5. Justin Herbert did have his bye week, but all we've been talking about is how elite Justin Herbert has been. And it's been in due part to not just how great Justin Herbert has been as a talent, but on top of it, the play calling has been there without Austin Eckler. We see Mike Williams go down to injury. It does not matter. Keenan Allen right now, it seems as if he's going to put up the best year of his career, and he's past the age of 30 years old. How often do we get to see that in the National Football League? Now, you look at the opposite side, and you look at the Dallas Cowboys, and you see how much they've been struggling offensively, not running the football, because Tony Pollard, outside of yesterday, has been amongst one of the elite running backs in the game, but passing the football. If you take away that Jets game, which was their best offensive performance as a pass offense, Dak's most efficient, only missed 6 passes. He's been underwhelming. And to highlight it against probably the cream of the crop on the defensive side of the ball with the 49ers, I get it's a road game. But like I mentioned when we had our Patreon episode, I thought that they would come to this game a little bit more hungry. Dak Prescott had this game circled on his calendar preseason. You ended my season not once, but 2 years in a row. And 2 years in a row, I look like a schmuck. I let Brock Purdy, a rookie at the time, outduel me in a game where he did not even look that good. And then I come here on Sunday Night Football, and I look worse than I did in the playoffs.
Yeah.
2 drives in a row, back-to-back interceptions. It was hard to watch.
To be fair, one of them wasn't his fault.
The tip pass was a bad decision, honestly. Yeah. And then on top of it, that
it was a great breakup by the defensive back.
If you want to give credit there, fine. Dak Prescott has been bad. That throw over the top was horrendous. If it was single coverage, I'm okay with it. You overthrow him.
That's a bad
decision.
An
incomplete. Terrible decision. How do you not see the safety over the top? And that throw to the right side of the field that was a nice interception, nice break on the ball. But Dak Prescott needs to be better, needs to understand the moment sometimes. And the Dallas Cowboys simply did not show up. And this game was over very early on in the game. You mentioned Fred Warner. He was absolutely out of this world. He was the defensive MVP of this game. But you're right, Riv. When it comes to the game of football, the MVP, the most valuable player on the field, 9 out of 10 times is the quarterback. And the most valuable player on the field was Brock Purdy. And even I, who said, I think Christian McCaffrey is my MVP of the 49ers, and I'd have him over Brock Purdy in the MVP discussions, because prior to this week, he had shouldered a majority of the load offensively, had led the league in rushing, was a top leader in receiving yards at the running back position. In this game, Christian McCaffrey was average.
He was bad. It was his worst game by far.
He was average. He got his touchdown, 14 straight game. He's been one of the most historic running backs in that regard. He's 3 away from tying the league record for most touchdowns consecutively.
Fire.
The MVP of this game was Brock Purdy. You already talked about it. Those throws over the middle of the field to Ayuk, to Debo, he was just so comfortable this game. The confidence that he displayed against the Cowboys, one of the best defense in the league, the defense that we've praised probably the most on this show so far this season. He went in and he absolutely lit them up. You talk about it. He's barely a second-year quarterback. He's not even played 17 games in his career.
Barely first-year quarterback.
He has been overly impressive for this short amount of time for the last pick in the draft. That's why I can't stand hearing Brock Purdy disrespect. Because if we're talking about C.J. Stroud, who in his own right has been amazing, but we praise him because he's doing this so quickly as a rookie, I'm fine for praising him. But why are we knocking down another guy who continuously wins, whose advanced statistics back him up, and in the first, and I'll be honest here, in the first big-time performance against a high-level defense, Brock Purdy steps up in year 2 on primetime television. A game that he struggled with in the playoffs, he answers the naysayers here tonight. Sunday night. The Niners are the best team in the National Football League. Brock Purdy continues to impress me, especially for the story that is Brock Purdy.
And I'm sure you've seen the numbers, but 10-plus yards downfield, 79% completion percentage is best in the league, 700 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 0 picks, perfect passer rating, to 9 touchdowns and 0 picks on the season, 22-4 touchdown to interception ratio on his career, number 2 in completion percentage, number 1 in QBR, number 1 in passer rating. He's balling.
The numbers are phenomenal. I think what you didn't even mention, Drew, is that he's coming back from a UCL injury,
6 months.
Which is a gruesome elbow injury.
Insane.
He's probably not even 100% arm strength-wise.
He looked so unbelievable against the Cowboys. Those throws over the middle of the field, there was power, there was precision. You mentioned it, there was timing. The processing was at an elite level. He looked as good as you can look on the football field this past Sunday night.
That was an MVP performance. That on primetime Sunday night against the Cowboys defense, who coming into the game, they were number 1 in EPA per drop back. What I do want to push back on is the Cowboys point that Dehls made, because we're not going to, this offense isn't 32nd in the league.
No.
This offense right now is 8th in scoring. They're 11th in EPA per drop back. They're 11th in EPA per play.
Look at who they're playing.
The Jets defense, they
Okay.
went down the field on us.
Okay.
The Jets defense shut down Buffalo.
If I'm a
Kansas
Cowboys
City.
fan, I'm holding on to that Jets performance, because against the Giants, against the Niners, who are one of the best defense in the league, against the Cardinals, against the Patriots, who we understand are riddled with injury. If you're a Cowboys fan, you're holding on to 40-0.
Against
holding
the
on
Giants,
to the Jets.
That helps them a lot.
Against the Giants, it just dominated in all facets. There was no reason for their offense to dominate, but you're right. I mean, in the spurts that they did have, they didn't look that good. But the Cowboys offense, I feel like we're giving them way too much criticism for getting dominated by this defense. Like the 49ers, in the playoff game, they scored 12 points.
Joel, I can't feel that.
The Rams moved the ball in the Niners. The Cardinals moved the ball in the
Of
Niners.
course.
Scored more than
Yes,
this.
but this is
I can't feel that way when the Cowboys have the talent that they do, and they continue to let us down. We have expectations on Dak. You've said it repeatedly. This is a top 10 quarterback, and I know recently you've been fading Dak. I'm fine with that.
Oh, no, I'm fading Dak. But that's done.
But there are expectations when you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Tony Pollard, you have one where I may not feel this way. You have one of the better offensive lines in National Football League. Brandon Cooks gets added to your offense. Jake Ferguson's has been a plus for your offense, and you wildly disappoint against one of the best teams in football, widely regarded as the best team in football. You've been embarrassed by them the last 3 times that you've met them. That can't be the case.
The 49ers have the Cowboys number. It's as simple as that. You look at the last 3 matchups, this one and the last 2 playoff games, the Cowboys cannot move the ball consistently on this team.
At all.
And this defense has only gotten better since that moment. They added Javon Hargrave to the mix. Tony Pollard could not run. This offensive line did not get any push.
Nope.
Terrence Steele was amazing last year, but he tore his ACL. And this year, he is visibly worse because he doesn't have that same athleticism. Brandon Cooks was not the spark to the offense that we thought he was going to be, because he just has to be a secondary receiver in the offense. But in this game, I rewatched it back today. I watched all 22. I thought they were plays to be made for Dak. Dak Prescott just missed them. On the first drive of the game, the Cowboys all year, they have had a quick passing game attack. It's actually hilarious. Dak Prescott's air yards was 4.6 on the season. That's almost half a yard less than Drew Brees in 2020 when he couldn't throw down the field anymore. The offense is making it a point of emphasis to get the ball out quick, early, and limit turnovers. Well, when they matched up with the 49ers early in the game, they went away from that. They tried to take shots down the field early. The first play of the game, I think, was a play-action pass. Dak Prescott to the rookie tight end Shoemaker. Dak Prescott just sails it. I mean, that is a pass that he should be making. You look at the deep pass to Brandon Cooks when Fred Warner was tailing him. Brandon Cooks won on that route. Dak Prescott is now into scramble mode. He is late on that throw. If that is earlier, Brandon Cooks catches that in bounds. And even when you look at the wide angle, Dak Prescott was in scramble mode and he was locked in on Cooks, but CeeDee Lamb was running wide open in the middle of the field and he had a ton of space. This game, I thought there was a ton of misreads by Dak. There was a ton of second guessing. And this is my criticism with Dak, is that I love the human being. I really do love Dak Prescott as a guy.
He's an amazing dude.
I believed in him in the last playoffs. You know when the switch changed for me, because before the playoffs started, I was very anti-Dak. The playoffs started, the Tampa Bay game happened, and I said, you know what? Maybe this is the corner that Dak turns. But he doesn't show up in big moments. These are his last 3 games versus 49ers. 60 passer rating, 204 yards per game, 3 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 58% completion percentage. They're averaging 13 points per game. Dak Prescott makes $40 million annually per year on average. When you pay a quarterback this much money, you cannot have a roster as stacked as the 49ers. The quarterback has to be the difference in this game. And Dak Prescott repeatedly, time and time again, hasn't been the quarterback to make the difference when it's been him versus Brock Purdy. Wasn't the quarterback that made the difference when it was him versus Jimmy Garoppolo. In the playoffs, he's disappointing. These big-time games, he's disappointing. I look at that out that the Cowboys have in 2024 on Dak's contract, and I'm saying to myself, why would they keep him? Why would they keep Dak Prescott?
Trey Lance?
The baseline of Dak, you know what you're getting. Top 12-ish quarterback level is the baseline of Dak, but he's going to beat up on those bad teams. When he faces up against the Eagles, against the Niners, you have worries with how he will perform. And that's the biggest issue. The Cowboys can keep Dak, but they're going to be stuck in mediocrity. I'd rather take the risk of being bad than being stuck in the middle. I don't know if Trey Lance is the answer. To this point, I don't think he's the answer.
Here's the thing.
But the Cowboys need to find a quarterback option.
They're not stuck in the middle. They're a playoff team, a consistent playoff team that continue to underwhelm. There's a ton of talent on this team that fails to show up when they need them most. They're not a middle-of-the-pack team. They are one of the upper echelon teams
top 3-4
that are at the bottom of that tier.
Yeah.
But it's a team that in the playoffs cannot advance.
And that's because they failed to show up in big moments. And it starts with the quarterback, and it starts with the defense that can't stop a nosebleed when an offense gets going.
And it's Micah. I mean, Micah was a non-factor in this game. This guy is supposed to be a defense player of the year. His comments post-game irritated me. You just got your ass whooped.
He did.
You just got got demolished.
What did he say?
He said that we're in
George Kittle, and now that George Kittle made it personal.
He said that, but Michael also said right after the game that they are in the same tier of the 49ers.
Oh, I did see that quote.
And he said we can only beat ourselves. When you play like that, when you get beat like that, you just got to shut up. Like I'm hoping that Micah Parsons, with everything he's saying in the playoffs, the Cowboys do turn a corner. But listen, man, when you get beat like this, you just got to shut up. Like, I know he's doing his own show, so he's going to talk. That's how Micah is, and I respect that.
This is a top 3 loss
This was one of the worst losses of Dak Prescott's career. This is one of the worst performances of Dak Prescott's career. The offense, to me, versus the 49ers, listen, I ain't counting on that shit to look good ever. But versus other teams, they will bounce back, and they will still be a top offense.
That's the problem, though.
It is a problem.
Because you can't just
beat up on the Giants all they want.
Like,
I don't give a
like,
shit.
you got to play the Eagles or the Niners. One of these days in the playoffs, you got to see one of those teams, and you could pray to God that you don't. But realistically, you're going to see one of those
You play
teams.
at least one because maybe somehow second round they match up, but then
Right
the
now,
conference chip.
the 1 and 2 seed
Here we
is
go.
the Niners.
Yeah.
And the Eagles.
What the Niners have looked much better, but both of those teams are undefeated. They have not lost a single game, and now Dallas, you're 2 games down. You're probably gonna lose the division, so now you're gonna have to play one of those 2 teams on the road. You're not playing at home.
Week 1 in the playoffs, you'll have to be on the road.
Mm-hmm. So it's like with Dak, man, Dak, like you said, Dak is cool, but all this criticism should have been pointed at Dak because Dak don't win the big one. Dak does not show up for the big one. That game against Tampa should not move you. They were an under 500 team. They weren't good. We just relied on Tom Brady.
And the defense was solid, to be fair to Dak. Tampa Bay's defense was good.
It was all right. That was a bad team, though.
It was.
The Eagles are a better team than the Cowboys, but it's not 49ers Cowboys separator. The Eagles have a secondary that can be exposed.
Let me ask you a
You're
question.
not wrong.
I think if the Cowboys and the Eagles were to match up and they're going to match up in a couple weeks, it's gonna not. I don't think it's going to be this.
No,
I don't think
we're
it's
gonna
gonna
I don't think
be.
it will be
because of a division.
41-10.
And what it also comes down to,
But they'll win.
what it also comes down to is Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott. And I put it on my mother's life. I trust Jalen Hurts in the big game more than I trust Dak Prescott.
You should.
Yeah,
Because what has Dak shown me to feel confident in him?
he hasn't.
And the Eagles right now, where you could say their secondary hasn't been the
No, we're
best by
vulnerable
any
as shit
means.
back there.
The offense has been week by week progressing. Where maybe the run game has not been as dominant, even though against the Rams it was solid. The pass offense has gotten significantly better from what we've seen at the first 3 weeks, as opposed to these last 2 weeks against Washington, against the Rams. And I get that these 2 secondaries aren't the best, but now we're starting to see Jalen Hurts get comfortable. Now Dallas Goedert gets incorporated into this offense. A.J. Brown's finally breaking out, where we can have games where Devonta Smith has 1 catch, and they're winning very easily.
You don't feel like no one would miss it. I think the only, just to get back to Dak for a second, it would shock me if they moved off him, just because Jerry Jones is ultimately making that decision.
Yep.
And what Jerry Jones has shown basically since he's taken over as the owner of the Cowboys is he's very loyal to his people. He probably should have moved off Jason Garrett a couple of seasons before he eventually did, right? So he loves Dak Prescott. He makes that very clear. He even said at the beginning of the season, maybe it was the offseason, that they want to extend Dak still. Like, they don't see this as, because Jerry Jones at the end of the day doesn't want to be irrelevant. You move off Dak Prescott unless you have something lined up, which is going to be a long shot, because this Cowboys team is going to be picking in the 20s, right? They're not going to be a top 10 pick. They're not going to have the assets to make this drastic move to go and get one of these franchise-altering quarterbacks. So Jerry Jones, I don't think, is going to risk being irrelevant, even though Cowboys, America's team, all of that, they're still going to get love. But you go from Dak Prescott, and let's say you have to trot out there just like Baker Mayfield for a season, Jerry Jones is going to do that.
I don't know.
Jerry Jones didn't want to give Dak the first contract. The first extension.
He did.
That was
wait.
a back and forth.
He did wait.
It took them Dak Prescott getting injured and them being one of the worst teams in football.
But
for
didn't
him
Jerry
to
say this
realize.
past offseason they want to extend him?
That was before they made the Trey
He
Lance
also
trade, too.
just said it yesterday that Dak is capable of getting us to where we want to be.
Yeah, I mean,
That's interesting.
It's week
he has to
5,
say that.
and of course he has
doesn't
to say that.
No, I mean, he doesn't have to say that. If you're upset, you're upset.
Yeah, he said
He could've just
Jerry
stayed
Jones
quiet.
says he expects Dak.
But
to
I
be
will
with
say
for a
this:
long time.
it is week 5, and I think every week we're covering the sport, so we're gonna overreact to the sport because that's just what it is.
It's hard
at the moment.
not to after that.
Some are overreaction worthy.
This
When
is
you-
not an overreaction.
When you and listen, it might not be. I'm not saying that it completely is. All I'm saying is that it's week 5. There's still a long season, and in football, the most important thing is getting hot at the right time.
Absolutely.
We've seen that with every single team. I remember back in 2019, I believe it was, Tom Brady goes to the Bucks. The Bucks lose twice to the Saints in embarrassing fashion. The Cowboys don't got a Tom Brady, but nobody thought the Bucks were going to win that year after they lost like that to the Saints twice. The Cowboys have been 0-3 against the 49ers in the last 3 games. Would I count on them beating them if they met a 4th time? No. But it is football, and things are random in
That's
football.
the difference, though. You counted on Tom Brady to win that third
You
time.
don't trust.
The difference is
the
Tom
top
Brady
guys,
and Dak
bro.
Prescott.
I don't.
They don't
trust
even have a Brock
McCarthy
Purdy, buddy.
And Dak.
How they gonna win these games?
But it's just the history of football.
It is.
When the Bengals made the Super Bowl in 2021,
Have a
nobody
Joe Burrow, bro.
That's valid.
nobody would have told you in week 5 they would have made it.
But you see all these scenarios.
Riv,
You see all these scenarios. They have a guy. They have the guy at quarterback. They have a guy that has shown you he can do that.
Dak Prescott's not even Matthew Stafford.
No,
he's not proven to be Matthew Stafford.
But here's the thing: is maybe you don't have to count on Dak to be that, because this defense should be that good to where they can win bloodbaths. This defense should not be giving up 4 passing touchdowns. I think they're that good. The secondary is hobbled. They need to make a move or a trade to improve it. The defense is gonna have to be the unit that shows up in a big way.
Maybe we overrated the defense.
No, I think the defense is awesome.
Out. Maybe we overrated the defense where you played the Giants, you played the Jets with Zach Wilson at quarterback. You played the New England Patriots, where we understand where they're at. I think you got to give the secondary
the benefit of the doubt. Diggs just went
played the Arizona Cardinals.
The defense has been elite for 3 years.
Gashed on the ground. You're elite against bottom tier teams, and then you play up against an upper echelon team, and you get hit with reality.
If this was the first year their defense was top of the top, I would agree with you. It's been 3 years of their defense being elite.
I'll be honest. This schedule last year looks kind of mid.
You could see it like this. The Niners may be an extreme of the defense being elite, but we saw the Niners against Kansas City last season where they didn't really face tough matchups. They faced off the top of my head, they faced the Chiefs. Mahomes absolutely gashed them for over 400 yards. He killed them. We saw Jarrett Stidham put up one of the better performances against. Correct. Yeah. Jarrett Stidham put up one of the better performances against them. And then when their quarterback goes out, where it's tough there, you don't have a quarterback, you can't really stay in competition. But your defense is supposed to be elite. You're supposed to allow the defense to be a crux for you when all goes wrong offensively. And then the Eagles go out there and they absolutely embarrass you. So we've seen situations where you're an elite defense. Or the Bills, perfect explanation, where the Bills, or a perfect example, I should say, where the Bills have been statistically the best defense in football over the last 3 seasons. They go and they get absolutely torched by Kansas City and Mahomes. Mahomes is Mahomes. I get that. That's fine. But then against the Dolphins in the first round, they give up a ton of points. They almost lose that game. Josh Allen also played sloppy. And then against the Bengals, they looked horrendous.
At home.
So to me, there's times where elite defenses can look elite in the regular season, but then when you play against prime time and then you play in the playoffs, you get exposed for what you are.
But statistics
I think can lie sometimes.
I think the Cowboys defense is legitimately great.
I don't feel that way anymore.
This game was a bad one, but you look at the landscape of the NFC, I think the Cowboys defense matches up very well with the Seahawks. I think they match up well with the Lions to a degree. Like I don't expect
Seahawks defense is bad.
I'm saying the Seahawks offense versus the Cowboys defense. You don't have nobody to block Micah or DeMarcus Lawrence. We have to understand that this is Kyle Shanahan, man, and they got all-stars everywhere. And if you want to include Brock Purdy as an all-star, you can say that too, because he's playing like an all-star.
Here we go.
They got all-stars everywhere. Yeah, this is the team. This is the team that every defense is going to have trouble stopping. It's not just the Cowboys. So I think my point is that Dak Prescott can't be relied on to be that guy. So one unit of the team has to step up, and that's the defense. And there's no shame in that, because previous teams that have went far in the playoffs, that's what they relied on, their backbone. When the Bengals made it, Joe Burrow played well, but the defense was the one that stopped these high-powered offense and gave them a chance in games. It's ultimately a team sport, and you need one unit to overperform when it matters the most.
But you also need that offense to step up.
Yeah, you do.
And Dak has not stepped up. As much as we can harp on the defense being great, and because the defense has the potential.
Against the Niners, he hasn't stepped up.
But the defense has the potential to be great. We know that. But will the offense show up in a high-powered game against one of those teams that's on the same tier? That's the issue. That's the problem with Dak. You have lost to the Niners 2 to 3 times in your career. You have beaten up, even in the playoffs, you have beaten teams that you are supposed to beat. You're supposed to beat that Seattle team. You're supposed to beat this Bucs team. Like, you're supposed to beat those teams you're better than. But against those teams that are on the same level or a level above, that offense has to show up. The Niners only scored like 19 points in that playoff game. You had an opportunity to step your game up, be an uplifter, and rise to the occasion. You didn't do it. You had an opportunity on Sunday night, even though it's week 5. That's still a big game. The season is short. There's only 17 weeks. You got to make them count. Week 5, you had an opportunity. Sunday night, prime time, 26 million people viewed that game to show up and uplift your team, and you got absolutely exposed. So you play them again. I don't know. The Eagles, that's a division game, so I think they'll split regardless. Like, I think that's just going to be what that's going to be. But you're going to have to see one of these two teams, and primarily the Niners. And if you see them again, how confident are you that your $40 million man is going to be able to step up to the challenge? And like you mentioned, right now you're trotting out one wide receiver, and if you take him out the game, can you trust Cooks? Can you trust Gallup? I don't know. Can you trust Tony Pollard against that? Like, you have talent there. It's just it hasn't been showing up as you want it to be.
The only team I just don't think they can't do shit against is the Niners. That's it. Like, offensively, I think they'll be able to move the ball on pretty much every other NFC team but the Niners. I just think it's just
they couldn't really move the ball against the Cardinals.
Crying.
Yeah, they did. They just didn't score in the red zone, but they moved the ball. Yeah, their drives were long drives that just stalled in the red zone.
Tony Pollard's going to be Tony Pollard.
What you mean by that?
Tony Pollard's going to be effective. He's going to be able to help this offense get down the field.
Wasn't effective last game.
No doubt. But even still, Dak Prescott, where if Tony Pollard's not getting it going, he technically should be good enough to be effective and move the ball
Tony Pollard,
downfield.
to me, has been underwhelming this year.
Huh?
He's been underwhelming this year.
Yeah, like I said, his raw stats are like total rushing yards stuff are up there. I mean, this Cardinals game, they moved the ball, though. They had 400 total yards.
Yeah, they moved the ball. They didn't get stopped.
But the issue is, I mean, if you can't score in the red zone, no, I don't care how many total yards you have. Put up points.
It's like you're a glorified Derek Carr at that point, and that's never what you want.
No,
of course not.
Glorified Derek. Why did Derek Carr shot?
Because Derek Carr the worst red zone quarterback.
Hey, he was lighting up the Patriots, though.
He had 192 passing yards. Let's relax. He was all right. Listen, I have the Cowboys remaining schedule here because ultimately we're talking about being battle tested.
They're not battle tested.
The Cowboys schedule.
This was a battle. They lost the fucking battle.
They always fucking fail a test.
You're not wrong at all.
The Cowboys schedule.
Since we've been alive, they failed every single test.
Correct.
The Cowboys schedule started off very light. Mm-hmm. They're 3-2 right now. The remaining schedule is difficult. So I'm going to name you these next games they're going to play. I'm going to name you the remainder of their schedule, and you tell me how many wins they finish with, what's their record. Next game is the Chargers.
Got the Chargers. It's in LA. It's going to be a home game for Dallas.
I was going to say that
so
there's no such thing
I'll
as
go
a home
Dallas
game for
on that
SoFi.
one.
It'll be an offensive game. I don't know. Chargers need this one. And this upcoming week where the Chargers are coming off a bye.
This is
Monday Night Football.
I feel like I lean Chargers too. Eckler's going to be back also.
Rams.
I'll go Dallas.
Ramley will make it a good game.
The Rams could put
But
up
Dallas
points.
should
I'll
win
take
the
Dallas,
game.
yeah.
Eagles.
Who's keeping track?
I'm 2-0 with Dallas right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're all just keeping
I'm
track.
going with
Keep
the
track of
Eagles.
your own thing.
Because we don't have the same.
All right, I got.
I also have Philly, by the way. Wait, is this in Philly?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, it's at Philly.
I'm going with
Go
the
Philly.
Eagles.
Going with the Eagles.
The Giants.
Going with the
Dallas.
Cowboys.
Giants should lose.
The Panthers.
Panthers
Dallas.
should lose.
The Commanders.
You said this was hard.
See, but the thing is, we're
This
not.
is where it gets different.
But the
Dallas.
issue is, are you moved with these 3 weeks?
No, but
right here?
wait. Let's get.
I got them at 5-1 right
after.
now.
So Commanders, I got them with 4 wins.
Panthers
so
are
far.
getting smoked. Tony Pollard goes for almost 200 yards.
Commanders, who you going with?
Going with the I'm going with the Cowboys.
Excuse
Excuse me.
yes, thank you. Cowboys.
Seahawks.
Good game.
I think Dallas could beat them still. Probably.
I'd side with Dallas.
I'd go Dallas too.
Is this in Seattle?
He doesn't know.
It's in Dallas.
I
In
did
Dallas?
not write any versus or ads.
I probably lean.
This can change 2 weeks, 3 weeks in. Seattle could look better.
Also, because last we saw Geno, he was banged up. Coming off the bye now, hopefully he's feeling a lot better.
It's like 7 weeks away, though.
Yeah, this is week.
No,
13.
for sure. But you don't know. A knee injury is a knee injury.
You're right.
Probably lean Cowboys. They should be the favorites coming into this game.
Eagles.
It's hard not to lean Eagles, but it's a division, so I'll split.
I already picked Eagles, so I'll pick Dallas.
I'll split.
The Bills.
At Buffalo.
Buffalo.
I'll take Buffalo.
Easily,
Go
too.
with Buffalo.
The Dolphins.
At Miami, I'll take
I'm
Miami.
taking
Go
Miami,
with the
too.
Dolphins.
The Lions.
Ooh.
Right now, the Lions, I think, are a better team.
Is this at or where's it at?
This is in Dallas.
I
I'll
honestly
take
don't
Dallas.
care. I'm going with Detroit.
I'm
I
going with
respect
Detroit.
that. I'll take that.
And the last game of the season is the Commanders.
I think you sit everybody, so I'd probably say Washington.
That's if they have the luxury to sit
Yeah,
everyone.
because
they'll
going
be
into
in
that game,
regardless.
I
right
have
now they're
them,
the 7th seed.
going into the game, I would have them 9-7 into that Commanders game. I don't know if you.
Oh
can
no,
see
I would
guys.
have them. I had them at 3 losses. So,
Losses to the Eagles, Bills, Dolphins.
Yeah, that's why I'm losing to. So I should comfortably have them 10 and.
So you'd have 9 more wins, which would give them 12 wins.
Oh fuck no. Something's got to give. I see them at 10, 11 wins though. I think they get in. So Well, they'll need that win.
Yeah,
Then.
they're
Yeah,
going to be a wild card team, most likely.
We're talking about, the Cowboys remaining schedule, the Chargers, potential playoff team, the Rams, potential playoff team, the Eagles, division winner, the Seahawks, potential playoff team, the Eagles again,
Super Bowl team,
the Bills, the
Super Bowl
Dolphins, the Lions. I mean, these right here, those are 8 games that are toss-up games against playoff caliber opponents.
and they have no corners.
So how many wins do you have there, Joel?
I think they finished with 10-7. I think they finished 10-7. They make the playoffs.
So this isn't a Super Bowl team.
You could be 10-7 to make the Super Bowl.
The way that Dak has played, dude. How can you feel like this is a Super Bowl team?
I don't.
That's the whole point.
I think it's
When you're a Dallas
Niners.
Cowboys fan, what's your expectation? What's your hope?
Super Bowl.
But I agree with Joel. I think if this team makes a Super Bowl push, it has to be on the back of the defense. I would be shocked if Dak Prescott, McCarthy, and a couple of weapons are able to put something together
If
and
Dak
just
shows up,
throw
this
it
is
throw
a
up
Super Bowl
400
team.
yard games.
If Dak shows up, this is a Super Bowl team. That's obvious.
That defense got to show up too, though.
I think it's more on if the defense. I have more faith in the defense becoming elite or staying elite, however you want to put it, than the offense becoming elite.
That pass defense got torched, and that's been their saving grace so far in this season.
The pass rush, I still have a lot of faith in.
McCaffrey got limited.
Yeah,
very confident. Their game plan was to let Brock Purdy beat us, and that's a mistake. Clearly,
30 points.
And it was just some plays where they dropped back 8, and they still couldn't get a stop in the passing game.
It was gashing them. George Kittle embarrassed them. Ayuk embarrassed them. Debo embarrassed them.
Ayuk should have had an even bigger game too.
He should have. He got caught, man. You saw it in his face. He was dumb sick at that.
And he had one big penalty where he had like a 40-yard game and that got called back. Our first topic.
That just reminds me of the Warriors, man. 2017 Warriors, man. Just so dominant, man.
I'm gonna be sick when he.
And Brock
picks the
Purdy's
Niners
like,
against
he's like the Draymond, the Clay. He just gets forgotten.
I'll tell you what, bro. If the Niners do all this and lose in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, you gonna have to check up on me. You have to make sure I'm okay.
Well, they got a good
quarterback.
quarterback.
I might be.
The great thing about rooting for a great team is that your team is going to make it far. The bad thing about it is that really the only game that matters is the biggest game. And if you don't come away with that,
absolutely,
the season is a
failure.
failure.
Yeah, these 17 games, obviously I'm a Jets fan. I don't give a shit. But when I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts or Lamar, I'm like, this is cool and all, but I need the playoffs here. This is at this point, we know what you could do in the regular season.
It's like with Dehls and the Celtics. It's the finals of nothing.
Let's not rush the regular season.
I don't give a shit.
Let's not.
I'll be honest. I've been stressing my ass off every game the Eagles have played.
You shouldn't.
No, trust.
Well,
watching this shit is torture.
Week by week, you've gotten better.
Yes, I understand. That Commanders game had me in a choke.
The Commanders
division game.
Even against the Rams, I was crying because Puka was open every play. Kupp was open every play. It was just like.
But that's not fair. They're one of the better pass offenses.
My man. At some point, can they stop somebody?
You won the game. You're undefeated.
Thank God.
Thank you, bro. Got to.
Oh my God. Here you go, bro.
Fuck. It's so slippery.
Here you go. Bro.
Oh my God.
Wow. You're a freakster.
Let's move on to the next topic. The Jets beat the Broncos 31-21.
This is the odd topic.
Now, oh my goodness. So listen, Drew, I'm going to ask you the question.
Talk to me.
Did the Jets beating the Broncos prove that Nathaniel Hackett was wrongly scapegoated
by
Denver?
Hilarious topic.
No, because he's supposed to be an offensive mind, and we were the worst offense in football. And Sean Payton has come in, and he's made us a top 15 unit. Already a drastic improvement. Now, our defense was not supposed to be that bad, and if you want to blame Sean Payton for hiring Vance Joseph, 100% that's sound. Because Vance Joseph has been one of the worst offensive coordinators in football, right there with Jack Del Rio. So, no, he was not wrongly scapegoated. He put Russell Wilson in a position to fail because he was not putting him in a system that aided Russell Wilson's strengths. And that's all we've seen so far with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. Against the Jets, our offense did not look great. But I'm not blaming Russ there because Russ was very effective as a rusher, 7 rushes, 49 yards.
He got shut down at the first quarter.
This was the mobile quarterback that I was hoping that I would get last season. And we didn't see that last year, but we've seen it a little bit so far this season. You're right, Joel did get shut down. But our receivers can't get open. Courtland Sutton, I love Courtland Sutton on a personal level. Great comeback story, has been injured, has come back. He's not that guy. He's not explosive. He can't separate. Got one catch for 13 yards, and that was on the second to last drive of the game. Now, Hackett was not wrongly scapegoated when the game plan was very obvious. Let's abuse the worst rush defense in football. Let's finally unleash Breece Hall, who we should have unleashed weeks ago. But, hey, we'll take it easy because we know he's the future at the running back position for us. He's our best offensive player. Let's finally give him 25 touches against the worst rush defense in football. Let him go for 177 rushing yards because that's what the game plan should have been. So that's fine on him. You execute a game plan when that's what the script's supposed to be. Breece Hall is one of the best talents in football. He would come to the Broncos. He'd be our best offensive weapon by far. So, no, he was not wrongly scapegoated at all. But, hey, I give credit where credit is due. Shout out to the Jets defense. They showed up. They absolutely locked up our pass offense. They really locked up everything. Jaleel McLaughlin, that was one of the bright spots of the game. I was lucky enough to sit down with the guys from Let's Talk Broncos.
Let's Talk Broncos.
And they asked me, talk the good, talk the bad, talk the ugly. The good, our jerseys look cool. Jaleel McLaughlin.
That's number one.
Oh, absolutely. The whiteout helmet, the throwback orange, the whiteout end zone, that was tough. Jaleel McLaughlin showed some promise, especially with Javonte struggling, coming back from injury and then getting re-injured again. Pat Surtain continues to be the best corner in football. Zach Wilson, why are you trying Pat Surtain? That makes no sense to me.
He held Garrett.
He did, but it's okay.
If you want to say he held, then that's up to you exactly because your favorite corner in the game holds in, and we don't.
Sauce has been better than
last 3 weeks.
And then on top of it,
Sauce never gets 70 points dropped on his ass.
Last 3 weeks he's been better. What are we talking about?
First 2 weeks, Pat Surtain was better. Last 3 weeks, Sauce been better.
Okay, we're talking about against DJ Moore,
70 points,
who he did not even cover.
70 points
Against Tyreek Hill,
I'm
the
just
best
saying yards
in the game.
allowed per game. Sauce.
70
Okay,
points.
whatever. 70 points against the best offense in football.
70 points.
70.
70 is nuts.
I mean, the Giants held him to under 40. So
Didn't Robbie score a
true.
touchdown
And he
on
still had over
Surtain?
200.
No, he sure did.
or was
It
it
was
under
garbage
30? How
time.
many Dolphins score?
Against the Giants?
Yeah.
I think
Wasn't
it
it-
was
it was
30,
like 31,
31
right?
facts. Tua still had the same amount of
31,
yardage against the Broncos as he did
two
against the
interceptions that
Giants.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
He did.
Giants defense is terrible.
He did. So, again, and then the last good, the Giants, the Broncos are another game closer to Caleb Williams and Drake May. I wanted this one because of the issues that we had prior to the season starting, but in reality, we have Sean Payton to blame for that because I told you when it happened, I was very upset at him. When I was happy he made the statement in the first place, let's change the mentality in the building. But then you go and you backtrack, now you look soft. And now we allow Nathaniel Hackett, technically speaking, to have the last laugh because his team won the game. And what it comes down to is our offensive line's horrendous, our defense is horrendous. We can't stop a nosebleed when it comes to the rush offense that we're facing. So, no, Nathaniel Hackett was not wrongly scapegoated because he couldn't put points on the board.
Yeah, I'm not. Whose phone is going off?
My sister's
Yours?
calling
Okay.
me. I apologize.
Answer.
Should I?
Yeah, fuck it. Vibes.
Here we go.
Put on speaker.
That's it.
Oh,
It's
well,
over.
there it goes.
She ran away.
Nathaniel Hackett should have been fired. I mean, no doubt in my mind that he was terrible for the Broncos. I think that was the right move to make. But on the other hand, Sean Payton has been far from a home run hire. In his first real test going up against a defense that's not bottom 5 in the league, the numbers might look good for us. What was he, 19 of 26 or something?
20 for 31, 196
sorry,
yards.
Zach was 19 of 26. Yeah, like the numbers are good. 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. They have 2 fumbles, but
The eye test didn't match.
we were deep into the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter, and Russell Wilson had 70 passing yards. I mean, this offense, the first quarter, and this is a Jets defense that has done this all season long, where
No
first
doubt.
quarter, second quarter, they cannot do shit. They make adjustments, and they lock shit down in the second half. But that first half, the Broncos were able to move the ball. But right now, Sean Payton, listen, he deserves all the credit in the world for what he did for the Saints to win the Super Bowl. Drew Brees, one of the best of all time, but you're supposed to come in, you get a first-round pick, you get traded for a first-round pick. You don't see that very often in the NFL. Only a handful of times you really ever seen that. John Gruden comes to mind. So far, he's lost to Jimmy G and Josh McDaniels, Sam Howell and Ron Rivera, allowed a historic 70-point game to the Dolphins, got outplayed for the majority of the game by Matt Eberflus and Justin Fields, and lost to Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh. I'm the biggest Jets fan in the
He's
world.
not a defense coach.
I don't
though.
give a shit. You're
You're
supposed
chatting
to be
shit over him being an
'cause
offensive
Sean
mind.
Payton
Finally,
is supposed,
Dehls
Sean
do
Payton's
argue.
supposed to be this
I'm a
top
rat.
10
He's a
coach.
name brand Michael
Sean
Parsons.
Payton's-
And our offense
Sean
has
Payton's
gone from
supposed
32nd
to,
That's facts.
to top 15.
Bro, you've played 3 of the worst defenses in the league. I don't give a shit that you're beating up on the
Okay.
I'm a
Commanders and
rat.
Bears. Like, who the fuck is that? You got the Chiefs. Chiefs and the Packers the next 3 weeks. Let me see what you do against that Chiefs defense.
Okay.
And then let's see
because last year when the Chiefs defense was fire, Russell Wilson had one of his best games.
That shit's going to be rough. But I don't care. Sean Payton's supposed to be this top 10 coach. He's supposed to be
this
the
is
person.
Just wrong for
no, because you told me
Joel.
Sean Payton is fixing everything.
He has fixed our offense. Everything. How is he supposed to fix our defense?
We're 1-4 sitting here. We're talking about Caleb Williams. It was week 2 talking about
He
Caleb
talking about
Williams.
Drake May now.
Talking
He
about
just won a
Drake May now.
Like we're supposed to reset. We need to reset.
Sean Payton, he has the name recognition. He's got the Super Bowl. I get that. If it was any other head coach in the NFL whose first 5 weeks looked like this, we'd be saying, is he on the hot seat? Should he get fired at the end of the season? We did that shit with Urban Meyer when he was a complete disaster. This shit's been a disaster in Denver so far. And I don't like Sean Payton. The shit he said about Hackett was unnecessary. He's got to focus on his team. I believe that then. I believe that now. Right now, the Broncos, the good thing about the Broncos is they're not in the worst situation in the world because they're going to get a top pick, right? You look at a team like the Steelers who are going to win like 7-8 games. It's going to be Kenny Pickett again. That sucks. That's not going to progress over these next 3-4 years. Denver at least will have a top pick, but you look at the money that Russell Wilson's owed doesn't kick in till next season. You're not getting out of this contract till 2025, 2026. The free agent additions, Mike McGlinchey has not been great at tackle. Ben Powers has not been great at guard. You had to give up. You had to just cut Randy Gregory, who you paid $75 million to.
Correct.
Excuse me, traded him for a 6th-round pick. Like, this team so far this year has been a disaster. And I don't want to, undersell or maybe oversell because it's easy now to look at the flaws, but going into this year, I had the Broncos, I think around 18th, 17th, 19th, somewhere around there in my power rankings. I'm like, this should be a respectable team. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they should be around 8-9 wins. It's a complete faceplant so far. Through 5 weeks of the season, a complete faceplant. They're looking like one of the worst teams in the league. And while the defense has been bad, I can't sit here and just ignore Sean Payton because he is the leader of this group. He's the one who put this team together.
You're
He's the one who
just
put this
scapegoating him
because
he violated your coach, who's garbage. That's the truth.
We put up the New York Jets put up 30 points.
Yeah, let's be honest. It was 23 because it was a fumble recovery touchdown.
The Jets put up 23 against you, bro.
That's not
That's
good.
great for us. That's great
Imagine
for
we're
us.
throwing a fucking pizza party over 23
Zach
points.
Wilson's our quarterback.
No, because Breece Hall had an unbelievable game. We have one of the worst.
Have that.
We don't have one of. We have the worst rush defense in football. Zach Wilson was Zach Wilson down the stretch of the game when he threw that interception stupidly to Pat Surtain.
So wouldn't that make Hackett a bad coach if he didn't lean into the run? How you going to criticize him for leaning into the run?
I'm not criticizing him at all. I'm giving him his praise.
He cooked y'all. That's the bottom line. He cooked y'all.
Breece Hall cooked us.
Who called the play?
Really?
Hackett,
so that's what we're going to do?
What he did.
So Breece Hall goes out there and he runs the football. Joel, I know you're not dumb.
What?
I know you're not dumb.
I said Zach was efficient.
Are we going to sit here and say
19
Joel,
2 straight 70+% completion percentage?
Let me ask you a question. You're the offensive coordinator of the New York Jets.
Yes, sir.
You're going up against the Denver Broncos. You have Breece Hall as your running back. You have Zach Wilson as your quarterback.
What's the game plan? We're going up against 86 Bears. We're running that fucking ball.
Right? You're not going to pass the ball. But why are you running the football? Not just because you have Breece Hall. Why are you running the football?
Well, we're going up against Denver this week.
And why is
we're
what is that?
running the ball every week.
They're the worst rush defense in football, correct?
Yeah, they're historically
so the game plan can't be that hard if you and I can come up with it.
When
we're talking about it on the fantasy reaction, who was our start of the week?
Breece Hall.
So why was that? Because the Denver Broncos defense is fucking horrendous.
You're not saying nothing to me right now.
All I'm telling you is you're trying to blame Sean Payton when he's an offensive mind. He has brought us, in terms of points, as a top 10 offense. Our defense has been horrendous. Vance Joseph needs to be fired.
Can I wait to see until you guys play some real defenses before I'm like Sean Payton's
You
that
guys
guy?
still almost blew its
how
eyes.
about I show you this stat? Because you saying Sean Payton not the problem. Top 10 offense, all this, all that, right?
In terms of points, we were top 10.
10th in offense, 32nd in defense right now. Those are in points allowed.
Last year, we were 32nd offense with Nathaniel Hackett as our head coach.
The Broncos EPA per play in the second half of games on offense ranks 31st.
In the second half, we were good against you guys.
Russell Wilson is 29th out of 37 quarterbacks in the second half in EPA per play. On one drive. Yeah, those are the last drive. Really, it was the last drive. And all his yards in the first half was screens.
16, which is the majority of our points.
I know. We're talking about the second half.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you struggled in the second half.
You put up 20 points?
Yeah,
even if the offense was good against the Jets in the second half, which it wasn't, we were stopping you guys routinely. Every game in the second half, the Broncos' offense stalls. That's a Sean Payton problem.
How is that?
What do you mean? If the offense doesn't move in the second half, how is that not a Sean Payton problem?
Well, we played against the Dolphins. That game was an absolute smoking.
Commanders?
Against the Bears, the second half, that's where we won the game. Throw that away. Against the Commanders, we went into cruise control. We fumbled. We lost.
Against the Raiders?
That's an L. Against the Raiders, we had 6 drives.
In the second half, you guys did not do nothing.
We had 6 drives.
I mean,
the numbers.
Second half of the Jets game is punt, punt, punt. These are all 3 and outs. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. The touchdown, fumble game.
And that drive before the fumble
That's a great offense, Riff?
Fuck no.
Oh.
That outside of the fumble, that drive we were moving the ball on you guys relatively easy.
Yeah, I mean, you had 30 yards up to that point.
And then that fumble, the offensive line's horrendous. 30 yards.
30
Let's not
yards.
pretend like we weren't on the 3-yard line.
It was 7 plays, 36 yards until that fumble.
So
Or
look
6
at
plays,
this.
36
Versus the
yards.
Commanders, the Broncos offense in the second half went punt, interception, field goal, punt, field goal.
So we scored on 2 of the, 4 drives, 5 drives?
Got to score touchdowns, baby.
Okay, 40% we scored.
Ultimately, the stats show that the Broncos offense in the second half is 31st in EPA per play. That's the stats. They're second to last.
I mean, I'd be saying this if it's not nothing against
the
Broncos.
Bears. Why
I'd
don't you
be
mention
saying
the
this
Bears
if it was
game?
any
Because
head
the Bears
coach,
are
if it
one of the
was
worst
any
offenses in
team.
the league. That doesn't move me.
Okay,
like,
and the Cardinals are one of the worst teams in the league. Giants beat them. The Cowboys lost to them. It's football.
I mean, y'all have
It's
lost
NFL.
to some of the worst teams in the league. With all due
No,
respect.
we are one of the worst teams in the league. I'm
I
not
just
here
feel like
saying
it's
otherwise.
disingenuous saying that the
But here,
Broncos offense is good in the second half.
what's the question? You guys are not answering the question.
What's the question?
Was Nathaniel Hackett wrongfully
Oh, I already
scapegoated?
said that. I already
so
said
then
that.
what are
I
we
thought-
talking about? You
'Cause
made
I
the
don't- we're talking
topic
about Pete.
perfectly into my hands because the answer is no. He wasn't wrongfully scapegoated. If you wanted to say something, is Sean Payton this overrated head coach? We're having a different discussion.
Yeah, I changed the
But
topic.
you moved it very easily into
I
my
didn't even
realm.
talk about Hackett
and
at all.
that's your fault. That's your fault because you want to make a topic into my hands. No, he wasn't wrongfully scapegoated because we went from the 30-second offense where Nathaniel Hackett's supposed to be a specialist to the top 10 offense in terms of points per game. Absolutely fucking not. He was not wrongfully scapegoated. Don't talk to me about that.
Nathaniel Hackett should have been fired, and he deserves blame. But so does Russell Wilson, and I think Russell Wilson
He's been
was
wildly
pampered.
better this year.
Russell Wilson has not been that good with the eye
Pampered.
test.
He was the most
pampered.
destroyed
He was
quarterback in
pampered.
football last
I'm
season.
talking about he was pampered with the Broncos. He
No, he
had
was
his own.
not.
He had his own offensive.
Coming into the
offense in
season,
building.
and then what?
Well, he was
what-
pampered
what
by the
was
Broncos.
everyone
he
saying?
He got an extension.
What was
and he did
everybody?
nothing.
What do you before coming to the team because he's a Hall of Fame quarterback? Of course, he was going to get that respect.
And that's now biting you in the ass.
He's been our best player by far.
But you have to rebuild. So
Jaleel
it's
McLaughlin is
outside
the best
that.
offensive player against the Jets.
outside of Pat Surtain, Russell Wilson has been our best player this season.
Nathaniel Hackett, the truth about him is that he runs a very specific offensive system that Russ could not execute. It was a bad marriage from the start. If Aaron Rodgers had went to Denver, then I feel like the pairing would have worked. I never bought into Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach. I warned you multiple times in the offseason I didn't like Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach.
No, you didn't. All you did was talk about our defense
No,
last
I talked
season.
about Nathaniel Hackett.
Don't talk to me
after
like that.
week one. I literally
know
said
for
he
a
would
fact
not last
you
the
came
season.
in.
Did I not
You
say
were,
that?
week
you
one
were
for sure.
worried about Vic Fangio
Yeah, worried about
leaving our
Hackett.
building,
Why
and
would
you
I
were
be
worried about our
Hackett?
defense.
Now, I was worried about the defense for sure, but I was also worried about Hackett, a coach who
but
they
you
only
believed
hired.
in Russell Wilson, so you were like, okay, it could work out.
After week one, though, because I remember telling you you're bugging. And
Nathaniel Hackett, he runs a different system that doesn't fit Russell Wilson, and that's why Russell Wilson was bad last year. Sean Payton has made the game very easy for Russ, and therefore Russ's numbers are a bit inflated because the numbers don't pass the eye test on what I see. I see Denver Broncos beat reporters trying to compare Russ's stats to Patrick Mahomes this season. I don't give a fuck what the stats say. He hasn't been even close or comparable to Mahomes when you actually watch the games.
No shit.
The Broncos, listen, this year the disaster has been on defense, and Hackett was scapegoated to a degree.
Oh my
although
God, I'm gonna
although
throw
he
up.
was bad, I look at how the Jets players treat him right now. He just got the game ball on Sunday, by the way.
That means nothing.
Last
That
2
means
weeks,
nothing.
Last 2 weeks, the Jets have been 17th in EPA per dropback, 6th in rush EPA. Dehls, we have been 32nd in pass EPA for the last 2 years under Zach. Nathaniel Hackett is making the game easier for Zach. Zach, for the first time in his career, had multiple touchdown game with no interceptions. He's had 2 straight games with 70+% completion percentage. The fact that, I actually walk into these Jets games like, you know what? Our offense can at least have a couple good drives.
You only feel like that after the Kansas City game because after the Patriots game, you were done with Zach Wilson.
The Bills game, we were
then
all
you
right.
go up against the Chiefs, you feel confident, and now you go against the worst defense in the league in the Denver Broncos. Now you feel like, oh, now I have some optimism. I don't want to hear this.
Listen, we haven't seen a game of Zach Wilson like this.
He didn't even look good against the Broncos.
He completed
didn't even
70%
look
of his passes.
And also now that we have
Tua had over a 70% completion percentage against the Giants, and we're here going to talk about how he didn't look that great.
Why are you bringing Tua?
Because I know how.
What, did anyone bring up Tua?
No, we don't care about Tua.
Okay, we can talk about different things that still relate to the topic of hand. Because completion percentage isn't the end all be all. Because still, even down the stretch of the game, that was a dumb decision to throw on Surtain.
But Zach making
visibly 6 dumb
better.
decisions, he's made 1 dumb decision.
That still almost cost you the game.
Zach
and your
visibly
defense
looks
was your
better,
defense.
I like that.
And even still coming into this game, what was the expectation with this offense?
I like that a lot.
When we still talked about it, I was concerned about the Broncos offense going up against you guys because you locked up Patrick Mahomes. The only quarterback you struggled with was Dak Prescott. You locked up Josh Allen. Mac Jones he locked up Josh Allen.
Brain damage,
Locked up Josh Allen.
Happens.
You let one big play up against Mac Jones. Other than that, you did a job. What are we here talking about? I knew going to this game, our offense was not going to be the same offense that we have had in previous games. And even still, this was a close game up until that fumble.
We could have dominated you guys if we were better in the red zone.
Zach missed a couple of wide open
because
touchdowns.
Zach is going to be Zach at the end of the day. Even going up against the 32nd ranked defense in national football, Zach is going to be Zach.
But the difference is last year versus this year.
We've not just lost once to Zach Wilson. We've lost twice. Last season because our offense was trash, and this season because our defense is trash.
When Zach
and Brees Hall, both games was unbelievable.
He had a breakaway run.
Fucking AVT.
When Zach actually has a run game,
I'm sorry
he can manage an offense efficiently. Like he won't be horrendous.
We're only seeing this after 2 weeks, bro. And even still, he almost blew the game for you guys.
Our schedule gets much easier after the Eagles game.
Okay, all right, let's see it.
And as long as we have a good rush offense, our defense plays well, and Zach is
Does Zach Wilson throw for over 200 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles?
I don't think so. I wouldn't count on it.
But the Philadelphia Eagles secondary is trash.
He did over 200 against the Chiefs. He was at 200 against the 199, whatever.
The Broncos secondary, the Broncos defense is trash. He was supposed to be one of the best plays of the week.
I still didn't love Nathaniel Hackett's play calling. Like, obviously, you get Brees the ball, but there was still too many times, especially in the red zone, where it was run, pass, 3rd and 7. Like, that was the shit I thought we got past after the Chiefs game. But I didn't love that.
Hackett got the last laugh, and he got the game ball. That game ball going to stick with him forever. You know, the Broncos this year have lost to Josh McDaniels, former head coach, former defensive coordinator in Jack Del Rio, Commanders, former head coach in Vic Fangio with the Dolphins, former ball boy in Mike McDaniel, and former head coach in Nathaniel Hackett.
These are irrelevant to me. Josh McDaniels was horrendous. Jack Del Rio is one of the worst. He's one of the worst defensive coordinators in football this year. Only worse is Vance Joseph, who plays for the Denver Broncos.
Better off of Vic Fangio.
Currently, you guys' offense continues to be one of the worst in football. If Brees Hall wasn't on your team, you'd be irrelevant. And the last 2 weeks, we were fucking Mickey Mouse fucking stats.
How you gonna take away our best player?
And then who is it? Who'd you just mention who was a ball boy? Mike McDaniel. Yeah. He's one of the best coaches in football. A ball boy. Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
He was the ball boy for the Broncos.
Great. What does that mean to us in terms of benefiting us?
I didn't even know that.
Here's what you actually...
The correlation of the former Broncos kicking your ass is evident.
Do your research. We should have brought McDaniel in. We didn't. That's what you should have said. But you mentioned ball boy. That sounds kind of...
No, I mentioned it because these are players that were in the... There was people in the Broncos building.
He wanted to work with us. We didn't even interview him.
Yeah, that was fucked
That's the fuck up.
I think the real takeaway, though, because we're getting in these shouting matches, is the Denver Broncos need a rebuild, and the Russell Wilson contract is really going to hinder them. At this point, I mean, it feels like Drew's on board that it's not just Caleb Williams, it's also Drake May, but you're going to have dead cap hits of $85 million in 2024, $50 million in 2025, and $31 million in 2026. So, I mean, unless you really want to bite the bullet in 2025 and eat $50 million, you're probably looking at least 2 more seasons of Russell Wilson. So this rebuild is kind of have to get put on hold because it's difficult, especially, and I know you don't want to trade Pat, you don't want to trade Justin Simmons, but it's very difficult to start a rebuild with no extra picks like we saw the Lions do, we've seen the Jets do, we've seen the Seahawks do when they trade their best player, get multiple first. So obviously you want to keep that talent, but you have a talent issue because there's not a lot of great players outside of those two, and you have a quarterback contract issue where you're going to have to pay this guy so much money for the next few years that you don't have that cap flexibility to go out there and make as many moves.
So I'll say this. I say I'm comfortable with Drake May also because financially this team needs a reset, and I know you just mentioned the dead cap. you inevitably are going to move on from Russell Wilson regardless. Now, I'm also okay with the fact of let's say our consolation prize is Marvin Harrison Jr. We finally get that explosive weapon at the wide receiver position that we desperately need. So we wait one more year to get a quarterback. Let's say we're in the sweepstakes for Shedeur Sanders with the expectation that he stays one more season because of the NIL and the money that he's making over there. So I'm okay where I've already been in misery for 7 seasons.
Right. You could eat one more?
One more year is not going to kill us, especially if you're telling me I get to pair Shedeur and Marvin Harrison. This is best case scenario.
Just what if
this is an extreme hypothetical.
Because I was going to say, what happens that's if you guys go back-to-back years of top 5 picks? What does that say about Sean Payton?
Well, it depends. If our offense, like I said, goes from 32nd to top 10, you understand that he's doing his job because that's a specialty, as opposed to a guy like where you say that, we're not talking about Ron Rivera, but conversations, you can bring other examples into this. Ron Rivera, his specialty is defense. His defense ranks 31st. He's not doing his job. Sean Payton was brought in for offense to change us from 32nd to make us at least respectable, and he's done that. Whether first half, second half, doesn't matter to me because we struggled in the second half, but against the Bears, that's where we got our first win, in the second half. So again, I feel as if he's come in, he has failed us in terms of bringing in the right personnel for defense, where Vance Joseph was the wrong hire. We fired him for a reason. But offensively, he's done a job where we've gone from the worst to respectable.
I don't know about you, Dehls, but
I saw you had your hand raised.
No.
Oh, I'm bugging?
I'm on ChatGPT right now cooking up a response for my professor.
Oh, I thought you were about to say cooking a response
Allegedly.
for us.
He's allegedly.
I don't know about you, Dehls, but this was one of my Super Bowls this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Jets, Broncos,
I get that. I get that. That's the only reason why I'm upset we lost. Other than that, we're still in the hunt for number 1.
So you said Shedeur Sanders, which means you're thinking of not this year, probably next year.
Bro, our team's not going to get better overnight.
No, but I'm saying that's like that means you're like you want to be a top 10 pick twice.
Do you understand that my goal as a fan is to win the Super Bowl? I'm not here for no consolation playoff.
No, I'm with you. That's just like you reaching like you thinking not
course.
next off
Listen,
season.
we just moving backwards right now. Last year was 14, 15 wins. This year was 10 wins. They dropped off.
Here's the thing: we can laugh at me, but I definitely wasn't the only one talking about the Broncos becoming Super Bowl contenders after signing Russ.
Who else was it?
I had y'all in second in the division.
Was y'all prior to the season starting last season?
A lot of pundits.
Of course,
not
everyone was
us.
Everyone was on the
Yeah,
Broncos.
you guys can take your congrats. You guys just didn't
I don't
think
care
we'd
about
win the
being right
Super
about
Bowl.
that.
That's cool with me. We needed a quarterback. That's all we've needed for some time. We brought in a quarterback.
Clearly, you need more.
And then on top, you're right.
A lot more.
Not even disagreeing with you. Here's the thing: I've been very transparent with the Broncos. It is what it is. We're not a good team. We're one of the worst teams in football. But Russ, for damn sure, has not been the problem this season.
I like that you're on the Drake May boat.
Drake May's look good.
Drake May's great.
He's a poor man's Herbert right now. He looks damn good.
I like Drake May.
He looks damn
Finally had a
good.
big breakout game.
Well, each week we're moving towards a new quarterback prospect.
Penix
No,
next
this
week.
is no. Well, I love him because he's a lefty. I hope the best for him. But I'm Drake May, Caleb Williams. I'm cutting it off there. I need Marvin. God forbid.
Jared Verse.
Also, wouldn't mind offensive line play.
There's a couple great tackles.
I don't want to butcher his name.
Penn State.
Isaac Okoro has 19 points right now.
Preseason's a hell of a thing. Christian Wood absolutely ate against
the third unit of the Warriors.
Correct. So just take that with a grain of salt.
Isaac Okoro eating against the starters. He's starting.
He sucks.
Hate that for you. Denver sucks.
We do. We have a Super Bowl.
Isaac Okoro will start on Denver. Right
Where's the Bills Super Bowl?
I'm an Eagles fan.
Convenient.
DeMar DeRozan will start on the Broncos right now.
When's the Bulls?
So
That's tough.
Where's the Bulls
Into his
ring?
Huh?
Where's the Bulls ring?
1998.
We weren't even alive.
I was. Actually,
Oh, 2
you
months
were in
more.
the line.
2 months.
You
You're
were
right.
in the line.
Sorry.
I just made the cut. Dehls was alive.
I was in the womb.
I was a whole year old.
You weren't a whole year. You're 6 months.
Yeah, you were
months?
close.
Oh,
You were
facts.
close. You were
Yeah,
close.
June
I was in the
98.
womb.
And not alive.
I was cooking up. I was technically alive.
Close. You were fresh.
I wasn't out.
No, you were fresh.
I was in the womb.
Yeah, fresh. You were
I was
like
being cooked up.
first 3 months. So you were
I was like a
this
nice
little,
filet mignon.
Yeah, you were ugly.
Look at
You're
me
that
now.
early. No, you're that
I was gonna
early.
say, look at me now.
Handsome.
Thanks, babe.
I was alive. You're fucked.
You were. I'll give you that.
Yeah, cooked.
He saw one of the 6.
I love it.
That's an
Or
L.
was
best
alive
one.
for one of the
Memorable.
6.
The best
Didn't-
one,
didn't see it.
actually. The push off.
That shit was, honestly, it was the best one.
Yeah, 100%.
It was the best one.
They were all old as fuck, too, so.
Flu game was pretty tough, but the 98 was the best one.
Yeah, I love it. Vibes. Now look us. We have Zach Levine.
Ass. And I love him.
He's cool.
Rev, you haven't spoken in a while, so you can take the reins on this topic right here.
I'll let you guys cook,
Justin Fields.
Oh, yeah, we're fucking
last 2 games. I mean, not last week. Let's just talk about the stats for the season.
He did cook up
62% completion percentage.
Chad GBT went crazy.
1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 95 passer rating for Fields on his season. 4 touchdowns, 282 passing yards against the Commanders. The Bears beat the Commanders 40-20. How about that, man? 40 points.
Hey, Joel, good call there.
I think are we all Fields guys? Or we all want to see him succeed?
I definitely don't want to see him fail.
You want to see him succeed, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm neutral Fields.
Okay.
I'm not a fanboy, but
I'm glad you're not.
I don't want him to fail.
Fields was amazing. He's been one of the best deep ball throwers over the past couple weeks, and that pretty much all season. And that's something you would like to see from him. He's getting better week by week in the short to intermediate routes, and that's what you want to see. Him and DJ Moore are finding that connection. Justin Fields is in one of the most difficult positions for a quarterback in the league, in my opinion. Not in terms of talent around him. I think he has good talent. I think his offensive line has been better than what it's been last year. And even Darnell Wright, rookie, he's been great.
Solid,
probably their best offensive lineman this year. But in terms of the talent, even Chase Claypool, the stuff he's been through, they still been able to just get past it. I say he's in the toughest position because the Bears have 2 draft picks who are likely going to be, it could be from 1 to 5. In a position like Fields, that is so tough because there is a chance he can get replaced, because there is a generational quarterback that if Chicago gets that pick, it'd be hard for them to pick Justin Fields and not take Caleb. You know what I'm saying? So a situation like that for Fields is tough because he's essentially playing for his job. He's essentially playing to stay in Chicago, playing with guys he probably loves to play with, and that's tough. So he's on a week-by-week big-ass microscope, and everybody's locked in on – plus the hype they were giving him. They ranked him as like a top 75 player in football like the players did. So the hype – and he was an MVP candidate. The hype was insane. So he had that, plus on top of the fact that Chicago has a buttload of draft picks. But I think over the past 2 weeks, Fields has shown you one of his potential. I feel like he still has a level to get to because he hasn't even shown you the rushing ability combination with the passing ability. And if he can do that, that's his true talent. But I think – over the past couple weeks, he's shown you his passing ability. DJ Moore, we talked about this on the stream earlier. His route running over the past couple weeks has been fucking clean. Fields has been able to hit him on money throws. He had a couple throws to Mooney that I thought if Mooney was a little bit of a better receiver, could have got him. But for the most part, yeah, I'm sorry. It is what it is. But I like Mooney, man.
Gabriel.
But for the most part, Fields last 2 weeks proved the doubters wrong. The next 3 weeks is going to be some easy ones for him. And I think for Justin Fields, it's just about keeping his motor high, keeping his spirit high, keeping that confidence high. Because over the first couple of weeks, you've seen the spirit wasn't there, the confidence wasn't there, he wasn't there in his ability. He's been fucking frying, by the way, Gabe Davis. The route running from Gabe.
You're early?
You're early.
Gabe's a route runner now. I just want to let y'all know that. But for Fields, you want to see week by week progression. You want to see the passing be great. Because he might not be in Chicago, but if he's not going to be in Chicago, you want to be in a position like Atlanta or maybe Minnesota, like other places that are looking for a quarterback that may not have a quarterback in the draft to grab up. But for Fields, he's been amazing these last 2 weeks. You hope to see him improve that. They should be 2-3 right now or 2-4, whatever the record. They should have won their last 2 weeks, but graded them to get the win against the Commanders because that game on Thursday night was one of the most impressive games he's played in his career. Everybody was watching. He was on the money, completely dominated them in the first half, him and DJ Moore. DJ Moore is pretty much the only guy that really got the ball that game, and as he should have.
The only receiver to have a catch, DJ Moore.
Yeah, he was fucking amazing. He was pretty much dominating anything he wanted to do, and Fields called him every time. So shout out to Justin Fields, my fucking dog, man.
How much yak yards did he have? Like 150?
He might have had all of the yak yards. That might have been all his yak yards, bro. He was insane.
And he was basically pinky toe away from taking that other one.
He wasn't even. I don't even think he was out, but
he was.
It was close.
At some point, you guys just not call shit for
replay
vibes,
was
man.
nuts.
Moore is tied for most receiving yards, most receiving touchdowns in the NFL with Hill and Stefon Diggs. Ranks third amongst receivers in yards after the catch, 229 yards.
He did this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
He has 12 receptions that have gone for more than 20-plus yards. That's second most. And 20 receptions that have gone for 40-plus yards. That's the most.
That's my God, man.
Yeah, the first few weeks for Justin Fields, weeks 1 through 3, he's completing 58% of his throws, 210 yards per game total, 4 touchdowns to 5 turnovers, 13 sacks, and a passer rating below 70. These last 2 weeks, he's completing over 67% of his throws, around 350 total yards per game, 8 touchdowns to 2 turnovers, still taking 7 sacks over those 2 games, not great, and a 131 passer rating. I know you guys talked in the chat before. Justin Fields, Jordan Love. Right now, those numbers are looking good for Fields.
That bet is alive.
Don't forget our bet, buddy.
Sam Howell too. It's looking good.
Yeah,
Desmond Ritter's making a comeback.
See, even we're in Desmond Ritter's best week, even statistics, because that's all we're going by, statistics. 389 led the week. Respect Sammy.
Respect Sam Howell.
Nice.
To play devil's advocate, though, because if I'm going to shit on Russ and what he's done against bad defenses, I got to hold the same energy for Justin Fields, who the last 2 weeks.
Really?
That's fair. We talked about it.
Russ is a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's shown
eliteness.
These last 2 weeks going up against Denver, we don't got to talk about them, and the Commanders, who are bottom 8 in terms of yards allowed per game and allowing the second most points. And listen, 5-game sample size, so the reason they're that bad is because they're going up against the Bears, who went crazy on them, right? So
I'm saying, Dehls, are you going to criticize?
Criticize. Are you going to critique?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm good.
And then you said cry.
Yeah, I'm fucked up right
Jesus
now.
Christ.
Are you going to do that against the Chiefs defense but not give them credit for the Commanders? I feel like that's,
No, that's fair because the first couple of weeks, he
played
the Chiefs, who remind me who their opponents were.
Packers, Chiefs. I forgot the third one.
Packers.
It was
Chiefs.
Packers week 1. That shit ended bad.
Yeah.
It was good first 2 drives.
Bucks.
Yeah. Bucks, you can have a field, but Chiefs, come on.
But just have to play devil's advocate there, right? And
you don't have
I think Riv was on the money because it's not Justin Fields' play. I feel like might be like 30 or 40% of what goes into the Bears' decision. The other 60, 70% is where they end up in the draft because, like you alluded to, they have their own pick, and even if Fields is going to play this great, I don't know how many wins it's going to lead to. I mean, they just lost to the Broncos, who went insane in the second half, and we're talking about the Broncos as one of the worst teams in the NFL. So their pick's going to be bad, and the Panthers, who they also had because of the Bryce Young trade, also look like they're potentially going to have a top 5 pick. They do not look good at all. So you have your own draft picks to deal with, and on top of that, I know they just hired Ryan Poles a couple seasons ago, Matt Eberflus, but I can't sit here and pretend that these jobs are safe. You can't have the number 1 pick go into this season where Poles really could, make a stamp on this roster. He brought in free agents. His draft class from 2 years ago is not looking great, and he's just going to be able to get off the hook because, Ryan Poles, if I'm going to Ryan Poles' mind, at the end of the season, let's say they end up having a top 5 pick. Let's say Justin Fields has some good moments, has some bad moments. We're not going to say he turns elite. We're not going to say he's a bottom 5 quarterback. If I'm Ryan Poles, I'm going up to ownership and saying, listen, man, I know these first couple of years haven't been great, but let me go get my quarterback. I didn't draft Justin Fields. It was my decision. It was, I was supposed to build him up. I got him DJ Moore. He showed some progress, but let me reset the quarterback contract. Let me go get my guy, and now we could really, kind of critique me and my head coach and what I've been doing. So Justin Fields has so much going against him that barring them making damn near a playoff run, them being outside of the top 10, because they could end up having the 9th pick. If they have them and the Panthers pick, plus, other day 2, day 3 picks that they have so much ammo to be able to move up in the draft if they really love a guy. So Justin Fields, I'm excited that he's playing well. Like, he is one of the most explosive players in the NFL, period, when he's on, especially like you mentioned, that rushing ability hasn't been unlocked yet this season where he could take a 70-yard rush to the house. He just has so many external factors going against him that he could have a really good year. He could show a lot of improvement, but it still might make more sense for the Bears to draft another quarterback because this roster is not going to be ready to compete in a year or two.
Before this loss, it was 14 in a row. Before this win, I should say, it was 14 in a row straight losses. And in those span of games as well, in those 14 games, there were sporadic moments where Justin Fields was amazing. To start the season, he hasn't been. Against the Broncos, he had an amazing first half. In the second half, he kind of went ghost. The offense as a whole kind of went ghost. But this performance against the Commanders was brilliant. The last 2 weeks, he's been brilliant. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He has been amazing to watch. And why it's been so great to go off what Riv was saying, it's been primarily as a passer these last 2 weeks. But like Joel said, you're going up against 32 and 31. Let's see it against a middle-of-the-pack team. Let's see it up against one of those upper echelon teams. because as a passer, these last 2 weeks, he's been amazing, but we haven't seen him be as effective on the ground outside of week 1. So when you look at Justin Fields and you look at the down the field numbers and how great he's been as a passer, down the field, has not turned the ball over, has scored, 6 touchdowns? He's been very, very, very good, but very rarely. But when you look at his highs, they're so high that it allows you to be infatuated with the talent, but it still should not cloud what has been so far Justin Fields this season. I'm optimistic. You look at the schedule, there are a ton of matchups where Justin Fields can have successful outputs, can have great box score numbers. But if you're not winning ultimately in the grand scheme of things, and you're putting the Bears in a position where they have the opportunity at a Caleb Williams, you're not going to win in the end. You already got the benefit of the doubt where the Panthers gave you an offer they couldn't refuse. You got a good amount of picks. You got the number 1 overall. You got what could potentially be the number 1 overall pick this season, and you got a DJ Moore. That was a trade the Bears could not refuse. But if you are now in a position, if you're the Chicago Bears and you have Caleb Williams, as good as Justin Fields we think he could be, or the potential that is Justin Fields, they're moving on. So unless he's out of this world good, where last season he had moments of being great, he wasn't out of this world good because as a passer, he wasn't. He was very inefficient. It was the rushing ability that saved him, that brought him another year to allow them to some leeway going into year 3. But so far as a passer, these last 2 weeks he's been great. It's just in terms of playing winning football, how can he show that on a consistent basis?
Yeah, if it's between him and Caleb, jig is up. He's not surviving.
If it's between him and Drake May, you take Drake May.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't call you crazy.
Drake May is awesome. He really is, and I'm skeptical to think that Justin Fields has arrived. A lot of Bears fans have been coming out the woodworks, though. First 3 weeks, they were crying and mourning that another quarterback has failed. Last 2 weeks, they're back. They're back talking their off-season shit. And I'm just like, hold your horses just a little bit. Because the schedule is favorable to them, so Justin Fields could be great. But throughout his 3-year career, it's been filled with inconsistencies, and you need just to see him more consistent. At this point, even if he plays great, the Bears might be a losing team. So I think he's auditioning for other starting quarterback spots around the NFL if they don't go on a run and suddenly win a ton of games. But this game was more about DJ Moore, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more.
Justin Fields was good, but, I mean, a lot of the passes were DJ Moore creating after the catch.
Unbelievable performance.
Justin Fields, 15 for 29, just a little bit above 50%. DJ Moore, 8 receptions, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's one of those guys that has always been a top-tier wide receiver, just needed to be in the right situation to really prove himself. And the last 2 weeks, he's been awesome, and he's been showing his entire skill set. So hopefully this is the tide there that they start to turn, because in the offseason, we all thought the Bears would be somewhat competitive. And even if they were a losing team, they'd be a fun losing team. First 3 weeks, they have been a miserable team. Last 2 weeks, 1-1. They're fun to watch, though, and I think that's all you can expect from the Bears going forward. With Sam Howell, though, he's the other quarterback in this. 389 yards on the night. I felt like it was a very empty 389 yards. He attempted 51 passes, completed 37 of them. They couldn't get the run game going against a bad Bears defense. Sam Howell was fun to watch. He makes some awesome throws, but unfortunately for him, he has a bad trait that is just hard to shake off.
It is.
Quarterbacks, their sack percentage throughout their entire NFL career, it tends to stay around the same. Pocket presence is something you either got or you don't. It's just a feel for the game. And Sam Howell right now has taken 29 sacks on the year. 13.2% sack percentage. That's the second worst all-time sack percentage. He's been under pressure on 79 of his dropbacks. PFF, this is from PFF. The top 3 are Sam Howell, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, and Matthew Stafford has been pressured the 4th most of any quarterback. But here's the difference. 23% of Howell's dropbacks under pressure he has responsibility for, according to PFF. Daniel Jones is at 19.7%. Fields is at 16.4%. And Stafford, who's the 4th most pressured quarterback, is at 5.7%. So you can see the disparity in the great quarterback play in Stafford, who has great pocket presence, only getting sacked about 6% of the time on his dropbacks where he's pressured, where Sam Howell was 23%. Sam Howell's pocket presence is just so bad that occasionally you're going to see the highs that he has, which are good, and it's fun to watch. But that is just such a bad trait for him that I just don't know what he can be if he is taking a bunch of negative plays within the offense.
I don't disagree with you. Not really that much at all. I agree with you. He is fun to watch. He does make some throws that really do wow you at times. But when you're not consistently getting the ball to your best players like we saw this past weekend, where we saw Logan Thomas get the most targets on this offense.
Thanks, Logan Thomas.
Shout out to Logan Thomas. Honestly, I've been giving him his praise. It just hasn't been...
It's been at the expense.
No output. Exactly. There's just poor.
And John.
It's so true. But Terry McLaurin, you understand the talent that is. Jahan Dotson getting open time after time after time this season. And just the two failing to connect. It's been upsetting and disappointing, I should say, for me to watch, where I was anticipating a Jahan Dotson breakout. And it's disappointing for me to know that he's getting open so consistently. It's just the two can't connect. And the play that resonates with me the most is that play on the sideline where he goes and floats a ball to Jahan, and it's out of bounds. And Jahan to kind of just like, it almost feels like like a double entendre. That he's out of bounds. You kind of feel like, oh, he's out, like he just can't connect with him. But he goes and he makes a one-handed grab. And he's kind of showing you, I'm not getting the ball as much as I should. I'm also showing you at the same time, I have some of the best hands in the game. Get me the rock. I can make shit pop. Just the two haven't been able to connect. But 388 yards, a lot of it you could say was empty. But the Commanders were making a comeback down the stretch of this game, and the comeback was halted with, ironically, a Logan Thomas fumble. That's kind of where the Bears were able to put the game out of reach, were able to kick the field goal, make it a multiple-score game, and the Commanders couldn't quite recover in terms of the comeback, but they just let up so many points in the first half. Sam Howell, I agree, does not have good pocket presence. I think that he would benefit from a better offensive line where the two can coexist. He does not have good pocket presence, but on top of it, his offensive line also is not good.
It's a little bit of both.
I think that with a little bit of an upgrade, he still may struggle with it where he's not trusting himself in the pocket, but at least the numbers may not be as bad. Get a little bit more time to see the guys. We've seen him make some big throws to Terry. We've seen him make big throws to Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel's been one of the more low-key surprises of the season as well because he's force-feeding him the ball. Logan Thomas, like I already mentioned. But I feel as if the main problem with this team is not offense. They are a middle-of-the-pack offense. Eric Bieniemy's done a solid job with them. Their rush offense hasn't been that great. They're one of the bottom units in that regard, even though we may feel different with Brian Robinson. But in terms of total offense, they're a middle-of-the-pack team. Their defense has been so poor. So my main takeaways with the Commanders is this offensive line needs to improve, but more importantly, this defense needs to get it together. You've invested how much into this defense with you have Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. Of course, we're talking about this past draft where you drafted Emmanuel Forbes. If I'm not mistaken, he was drafted over Christian Gonzalez. You could say Christian Gonzalez isn't playing the rest of the season.
Gonzalez is way better.
It was obvious.
Not close.
You use your eyes. Gonzalez was drastically better. 2 matchups in a row that haven't boded well with Emmanuel, but you talk a lot. You better be able to back it up. He wasn't able to do so. You've invested so much into this defense. Riverboat Ron is supposed to be a defensive specialist. Jack Del Rio is supposed to be better than what they're putting forward. Jack Del Rio should be fired very soon. And honestly, I feel very similar with Ron
It
Rivera.
feels like sometimes Sam Howell, he gets a little nervous or shaken or rattled because sometimes in
Not
the
gonna
pocket,
disagree.
there's times where like he just feels somebody on his back, and it could be his offensive line or anybody. He just runs out the pocket too quick or runs out the pocket too early and forces a sack that didn't need to be a sack. Like yeah, you can get an offensive line there, which I think they should. I think that's definitely one of their problems. But at the same time, Sam Howell has a problem where it's like not only is he holding the ball too long, it's a point where sometimes he's running out the pocket when he doesn't need to run out the pocket at all. And I think like that problem, I don't know how that's fixed, but it's a situation where like it's more than just holding on the ball. Like his pocket presence is truly just shocking at how bad it is because he just takes sacks when he really doesn't need to.
He's historically bad at taking sacks. And I think right now he's more so a one-read quarterback. he's going for the big play or he's going to try to take off
That's his thing.
and run.
He's a big play dude. I can't say you're wrong there either.
What hurt me the most about the game is that I invested money, the Mojo Perfecto, with him in the 8 passes.
Yeah,
he was tough. He was at 6 for 6.
You thought about it?
He was 6 for 7 because he had a touchdown to Diami Brown. The first drive the first good offensive drive they had of the game. Diami Brown's wide open. Sam Howell overshoots him. That would have been 7. If he made that pass, I would have cashed out right there. But my God, I was like, God damn it, Howell. God damn it. An elite offensive line masks a lot of deficiencies. Like, for example, PFF, these are top 4 quarterbacks that their pressures on dropbacks, it accounts for them the most percentage-wise. Jalen Hurts is number 1. At 31.6% of Hurts' pressure, he has a responsibility for. Number 2 is Anthony Richardson. Number 3 is Russell Wilson. Number 4 is Sam Howell. Jalen Hurts, though, it doesn't get talked about enough as somebody who bails out of pockets or doesn't have a great pocket presence because the offensive line is elite and they don't allow that many pressures. So if you get an elite offensive line in front of Howell, then the problem will be masked somewhat, but it'll occasionally show up. And if you have an offensive line that's below average, I mean, it's going to be this bad.
It's one of those with Jalen Hurts, to talk real quick, that he knows he has this luxury of having the best offensive line in football, or, we'll respect the Detroit Lions because how great they've been. But you have that luxury of having that offensive line. You get comfortable. Mm-hmm. You think, okay, I could sit in this pocket. I can make shit shake. I can allow players to develop a little bit longer than maybe I should. And that's one of the primary reasons he's there. But there's definitely times where I'm watching Jalen. I'm just like, all right, get the ball out. Let shit happen. Yeah. And Russell Wilson, I feel the exact same. So that list sounds pretty firm to me.
Anthony Richardson, I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it's their athleticism too.
Correct.
Though,
that
Hurts is like, listen, a free rusher could come. I could either break out of the tackle or I could make you miss in the backfield. So they could get a little arrogant. Talk about Sam Howell real quick. Ron Rivera, in my opinion, probably should have got let go a year ago, maybe even 2. To his defense, I mean, he's out there. I'm looking at, leading passers by season. It's been Alex Smith, Taylor Heineke for 2 years, and Sam Howell. So there's been obviously a lot of shakeup in the ownership. Thank God Dan Snyder's finally out of there in the front office. I mean, at some point, Washington has to take a big swing at quarterback. Sam Howell was a 5th-round pick, right? The last real swing they took was Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. But that was Daniel Jones's draft class, right? How many years has it been? We're going on 5-6 years at this point. From that draft class, and they haven't taken a shot. They've survived with an Alex Smith and a Taylor Heineke who never was supposed to even be in that position in the first place. But for Howell, I think you can't ask him to throw the ball 51 times. There's really like 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that if you say you're throwing the ball 51 times, you feel comfortable with. And the defense has just been so terrible that I'm looking at these last 4 weeks. They're lighting up 37, 34, 40 points where Sam Howell doesn't even have a chance. I mean, you could be the highest possible person on Sam Howell. The defense is going to allow 30-plus points 3 out of the 4 weeks or 4 out of the 5 weeks, whatever it's been. It's not going to end up well for Washington. So I think it's both head coach and quarterback. The team as a whole isn't good. But the brightest spot, at least for Washington, is you have a new owner. Seems like he cares. Doesn't seem like he's a complete dickhead. Dan Snyder just does not seem like a good human being. So, brighter days ahead, it seems like, or at least you see usually new ownerships come in. They like to take that big swing. We saw it with Russell Wilson. We've seen it with David Tepper multiple times down in Carolina. First it was Sam Darnold. Didn't work out great, but we saw him get super aggressive, go up and trade for Bryce Young. Sometimes meddling owners aren't great, though. We saw Frank Reich talk about that in his press conference. It kind of very subtle shots at Bryce Young saying, it was kind of the owner who wanted him, not me.
Frank Reich said that?
He was, I forgot the question. What the question was asked, but he was
today.
Basically,
he said some questionable.
He was
shit.
basically saying like, there's some owners who stay out of it, they don't want anything to do with it, and there's some owners who really want to be in the conversation. And so far, my time here, it's been great conversations, but they've been part of that we've had those conversations, and wow. Sometimes he said I don't look forward to them, but they make us better at the end. Read between the lines a little bit there.
Wow.
Bro's gonna add that to his CJ Stroud. His Bryce Young monologue.
Nuts. Now that's crazy. That
I don't know what the
that.
original question was. I don't know what the reporter asked him, but that was pretty alarming.
The Cincinnati Bengals bounced back offensively.
This is an hilarious topic.
They beat the Cardinals 34-20. Now listen, man, You know, 3 people at the table could say they picked the Cincinnati Bengals. I respect for Juve going out on the limb, picking the Cardinals because, listen, the Cardinals, they battle. And I wouldn't have been shocked if they beat the Bengals. But, I mean, Joe Burrow, man, this was the first game that he looked back.
He looked
damn time. Thank God.
He looked back.
Happy for you, bro.
317 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The deep pass to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had a historic day.
If you didn't know, Joe Burrow is now officially Joel's guy. If you didn't know.
I'm in fantasy.
Dynasty.
Yeah.
Not just in fantasy. He took him over Lamar Jackson.
I did.
So now he's officially Joel's guy.
Why'd you take him over Lamar?
We do 2-week buys in our league, so playoffs start week 11, right? Week 11 or 12.
12.
Lamar Jackson's buy is like week 13 or 14. So I didn't want my quarterback, my best player, first round pick to not play.
Sounds like
well, you went with the best player, Dehls.
Yeah, the
know
first
that.
4 weeks I wanted to fucking throw up.
But listen, Joe Burrow showed out week 5. Jamar Chase, 15 receptions, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. Trent Irwin, 8 receptions, 60 yards.
This is hilarious.
Joe Burrow's back, fellas. And, I might have said 4 in a row. Listen, I live with 3-1. I live with 3-1. I said 4-0, Riv, but I live with 3-1.
You're wrong.
Because they got the Seahawks this weekend.
You're not going to play this game with me.
I said as long as they go into the bye week 3-3, they'll be fine. And this was the first game where the defense all around showed out too. Mm-hmm. Joshua Dobbs had his first bad game of the season. He threw 2 interceptions. The Bengals defense was all over them. Their offense stopping the run. James Conner unfortunately got hurt. Hopefully he gets better.
He's going to be on IR for 4 weeks at least.
Yeah, thank God it's not season ending because I thought, with the knee, it might have been. But Joe Burrow finally looked back, and he talked about his athleticism and how he feels more mobile now. And, that's the thing. And I was an advocate of him sitting out these weeks just to heal up, but he healed up as he played. And that I give a lot of props to, dealing with pain and healing up, and he'll be even healthier for Seattle. But hopefully this wasn't a flash in the pan performance, and versus Seattle, they do what they have to do.
Yeah, he looked great. I mean, it's not even, we were talking about this on the Fantasy Reaction last night. Even if you took away all the numbers, right? Say all of them were just screen passes to Jamar Chase or, a slant over the middle. He took it 80 yards. Watching Joe Burrow play, the way he was able to evade sacks, he was getting in and out of the pocket. He was putting a lot of pressure on that calf. He even rushed for like 10, 11 yards on one of the plays. It was the second time all year he's rushed for more than a yard on a single rushing play. He looked probably 80-85% of Joe Burrow. It wasn't 100% there, but it was damn close. And you see what 85% of Joe Burrow does you. I mean, still a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's that special. And listen, going forward, I'm expecting Burrow to look like this. I'm not expecting any setbacks. Doing this without T. Higgins, by the way. But the upcoming schedule for the Bengals, if they're still able to make the playoffs, they'll be going in, and we're going to be talking to them right up there with the Niners, with the Chiefs, because Seattle this week, then they have the bye, but then you got the Niners, Bills, Texans, Ravens, Steelers, Jags, Colts, Vikings. So, a little bit of a layoff, but then you end the season with the Chiefs and the Browns. So they're playing some of the toughest teams, the toughest defenses, toughest quarterbacks to finish out the season. So this upcoming game against Seattle, I mean, we talked about it last week, talked about it the week before, but every week now, especially with this upcoming schedule, feels like you must win, because especially right after the bye, Niners and Bills back to back, you'll be lucky if you go 1-1.
And then you mentioned it, the Niners and Bills back to back. You don't ease off. Texans are one of those teams you have to respect this season.
But the Bills with no Milano and Trey White.
That's a winnable game. It's a winnable game. Not going to say it's
not.
With
them, it was winnable. Now it's just.
With them, at this point, just looking at the Bengals.
With Joe Burrow healthy, yeah, you got that.
They're home too.
If we're going off of just what we've seen against the Arizona Cardinals, I can't disagree with you. But
I mean, that's going to be
he has not been great consistently that you can trust.
I'm hearing you over here. Just what are you talking about?
The Bengals and Bills. That's a toss-up game.
Oh, okay. You made it seem like the Bengals you just comfortably take because they lost.
No, that's going to be a tough game, but they could win that game.
Oh, okay.
And all I was saying is that it's going to be easier
for who?
The Bengals, now that the Bills don't have Trey White or Matt Milano. Those are two
the same Bills that
great
the
guys.
same Bengals that's defense looked pretty shaky for most of the year.
To be honest with you, I still don't feel good about their defense.
Listen, I think they'll get better
because they didn't lose anybody on defense, so that means the Bills can easily carve them up.
I trust Lou.
Getting better as the season goes on, though, is difficult for me when their rush defense still has not been great. I still don't love their pass defense. They did get some timely interceptions off Josh Dobbs for sure, but I saw Marquise Brown have himself a hell of a game. And I highlight that because I've been very consistent. He has been one of the more underappreciated receivers in national football.
He's good.
But this schedule with the Bengals, it doesn't ease up, not even a little bit. I feel like the easier matchups are the Steelers, the Colts. They play the Steelers twice, though. That's not great. And that's really about it. I'll say the Vikings also because they've been disappointing, but I wouldn't even put that in the easy column where we just saw the
Steelers
Chiefs.
in the easy column? That defense.
You're right.
When do they face the Vikings?
The division, the fourth to last week, December 17th. So they go up against the Bills. They go up against, like you mentioned already, the Niners. They go up against the Texans, the Ravens, the Steelers twice, the Jaguars, the Vikings. I'm still counting that not as an easy game because their offense just keeps them in every single game. You made a nice TikTok about it, how ironically enough, they've lost one-score games every single game this season. And last season, they were undefeated in them.
And they're a better team this year.
And then they go up against the Chiefs in the second to last week of the season. And then the Browns also on top of it. And you have to respect that matchup, especially after what we saw week one. So, to me, this is a positive sign if you were a Bengals supporter and a Joe Burrow supporter because he finally looked himself. All I've been saying is I give leeway to Joe Burrow because you know how great he is when he's able to expand out the pocket, make plays happen, and Jamar Chase and him have that great connection when he's able to create out of structure. Even this past weekend when he could have chilled, he was chilling in the pocket, still was able to allow the play to develop, and Jamar Chase and him were unbelievable. Jamar Chase puts up almost 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, breaks a franchise record for receptions in a game. Jamar Chase is one of the best receivers in the game, and it's about time that he woke up, had his first touchdown of the season this week, and goes and he adds 2 more on top of it. So I think this was a great sign for Cincinnati Bengals fans as a whole. You love to see Joe Burrow confident, was maneuvering in the pocket very well, and a play where he took a sack. He still looked great on his feet. I don't know if you spoke about that. I know you mentioned it on the fantasy reaction, where he kind of did like a little spin move, did a little hop step, but still was brought down. But he looked the best on his feet by far this past weekend. Hopefully the Bengals can build off that because I feel as if this defense is now one that I can trust. Going up against the Cardinals, this game was still a little bit too close for comfort.
Cardinals made all the games.
But this was a great sign as Joe Burrow getting one step closer to being 100% healthy.
The Cardinals' offense is very efficient. What they do over there, Drew Petzing, that OC, I think they were top 3 before this week in just first down conversions and keeping drives alive.
And one thing I will say is also I know you acknowledge Marquise Brown because I know you watched the tape on this game in preparation for today's show. And I know you saw what I saw. He looked unbelievably explosive, very shifty, was breaking out of tackles, yards after the catch, had that big touchdown also. You look at the season as a whole, he's just been a pretty great model of consistency, a great safety net for Josh Dobbs early in the season. And I just wanted to acknowledge Hollywood Brown because I believe depending on what Cardinals do with that pick, either it's Kyler Murray, either it's Caleb Williams, you know you have a reliable option in Hollywood Brown.
He'll be the number 2.
Who are you talking about? Hollywood?
Hollywood, yeah.
If they get Marvin.
By who? You're
They
saying
get Marvin.
I mean, ideally he's the number 2.
I'm saying if they get Marvin. Now, no disrespect. Pardon me. And it came out as very disrespectful.
Yeah, I was like, who on the team right
if they get Marvin, he would be a great number 2.
Rondell Moore has been pretty good for this offense.
He is also
They're using him
great.
out the backfield.
They're doing a great job. Honestly, everything going forth right now with Arizona, with how underwhelming their talent is, has been just nice to watch. It's not a displeasing watch.
Yeah, it's not. You mentioned all those games that the Bengals have. They're tough. They're most definitely tough. But I think, Joe Burrow healthy, you trust the Bengals against anybody. And even if you don't think they're going to win, they got a chance against anybody because it's Joey B, baby.
They have one of the worst records in the AFC, and you still just trust Joe Burrow that they still can find a way to get into the playoffs.
The 49ers game is one I'm keeping my eye on.
Joe Burrow blazing at this table. It's just
Oh, my God.
What?
No.
We caught that on film.
Yeah.
A minute 58.
I don't know what they're talking about.
That was crazy.
I was coughing into my hand.
I was also coughing. I don't know if you're talking about me or you.
He's a wild guy.
No.
I coughed.
No, this is up there with putting a finger in Zach Wilson's Funko Pop ass.
What you do, bro?
Burrow, baby.
Oh, my God.
Damn,
that was crazy. crazy.
Listen, man.
He tended to suck off Joe Burrow.
He sure did. It was wild. Like,
I was coughing into my hand.
Yeah, it was nuts, bro. I don't know what to say to that. That was, man.
Cincinnati's other eyes. Let's move on to
Here
the
we
next
go. Bill
topic.
Belichick.
I just finished 3 homework assignments. I'm lit.
Oh, good shit, bro.
The only thing you could take away from this game is that Joe Burrow looks healthy. I don't know why we, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Well, it's been ugly.
I see what you
This
did.
guy.
I see what you wanted to do. I caught
What you mean?
I
But
caught
no, it's
your
good.
game
We
plan.
made the topic quick.
Yeah,
We
I
got in
caught
and
your
out.
game plan already.
What's my game plan?
Your game plan was you saw your bum ass Bengals been playing like ass all year. They got a little nice win against the Cardinals. Your boy Joe.
They got a nice one against the Rams too.
Yeah, it was a good win.
You ain't mentioned that.
Joe
though.
Burrow didn't play like shit. That's why they mentioned it. But your
He
boy,
didn't play like shit. He played.
he was the
average.
reason they won.
Against who?
The Rams.
He was very, very, very slightly above average.
He wasn't
said
the reason.
average.
He wasn't
I
the
said
reason they
average.
won.
Oh, okay, cool.
He wasn't the reason they won.
It was really reminiscent of the playoff run.
Ooh, so he
Yeah.
wasn't.
You know what's crazy? He acknowledged that. I don't know if it was either this episode or the last
Might have been
one,
this one.
but I remember him saying, hey, "You look at Joe Burrow, and the defense just stepped up." Or
He
you
said
know
that
what?
this episode.
I said it this podcast.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you're not oblivious to it.
Football is a team game, bro. What do you want? Joe Burrow made the plays where he needed to make the plays. Versus the Titans, he's the first quarterback to get sacked 9 times and still win a playoff game. That's Burrow. You know what I'm saying? That's 350 yards of
talk your
passing
shit.
yards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come on.
How many tutties?
That doesn't matter. He had 340
Wait,
something
I
yards.
thought scoring matters. You just told him in the Broncos topic that scoring is the only thing that matters. You
Joe
gotta score.
Burrow's passing
Right,
yards led to
it
score.
has to
Because
change.
Evan McPherson
Sure did.
was put on one of the best kicker performances that we've seen in playoff history.
Shout out to him.
He
No, that was
unbelievable.
great. Evan McPherson. Listen, football's a
He
team
carried.
game.
He backpacked.
Every NFL quarterback benefits from
I
a
say
great
this all
team.
the time. You want to know that Joel's talking out of his ass? Just look at that smile eater here.
Every,
Just look at that smile eater
Every
here.
NFL quarterback benefits from great teams, bro. Peyton Manning threw 5 interceptions. Well, no, I think it's 5 or 7 interceptions and won Super Bowl because he has a great team.
Yeah, it's funny because basically his entire career, his offenses were amazing, his
You can't-
defenses were horrendous, and he couldn't win a thing.
You can argue half of Tom Brady's
Defenses
Super
win
Bowls.
championships.
You can argue half of Tom Brady's Super Bowls was the defense. It wasn't his
When did Josh Allen
extravagant
get that
performances.
defense, man?
I mean, he's Super Bowl MVP in, let's see, the first 2.
Versus the Rams.
Wasn't Super Bowl MVP against the Eagles. That was Deion Branch. Was Super Bowl MVP against the Seahawks. Definitely I would give him credit there, even though Malcolm did make one of the greatest plays we've ever seen in Super Bowl history. Against the Falcons, most definitely I'm giving credit to Tom Brady there. Against the Rams,
man.
Julian Edelman was amazing. He deserved Super Bowl MVP, but that defensive performance, no doubt about it, you can't ignore it. It was fantastic.
You
And
know,
against the Bucks,
No, that
Tom Brady put on a show.
defense shut down Mahomes though too.
No tackles for Mahomes. The defense definitely did lock shit
And
down.
in that playoff
but
run-
that offense was like that.
And you know, I fuck with Tom Brady, but that playoff run versus the Packers, he threw 3 interceptions versus them in the NFC Championship.
Was
game.
it 3 interceptions?
It was 3.
Well, I know for a fact against Washington, that was the game that he struggled the most, or I should say the team as a whole struggled. But he kind of went into cruise control. Was it 3 interceptions?
Yeah, it was 3.
Really? Why
Same.
am I not remembering that?
All that people remember is you winning or losing. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
3 INTs. Jesus, he did. He did. That's fucking nuts.
Moving on to the Patriots and Bill Belichick, you know, kind of Tom Brady, Belichick, Patriots, it all matches
ties
up together. Should the Patriots move on from Bill Belichick? And now, fellas, if you don't mind, I'd like to take the floor on this.
Go for it.
Go for it, buddy.
Because,
It's your
and it's
franchise.
funny, early in the offseason, I'm like, man, I don't see the Patriots winning 5 games. Then I'm like, you know what? The Patriots building something good over there. That defense can really do some damage. I was expecting Bill O'Brien to get this offense flowing. There's so many problems with the Patriots offense. They can't run the ball. Mac Jones is missing throws and missing reads. They don't have any separators on the outside. The offensive line isn't that good. They got so many problems. They're 32nd in dropback EPA behind the Giants, Browns, Jets, Steelers, and the Falcons. They're 32nd in rush EPA. That's behind the Raiders, Texans, Panthers, Giants, Steelers. Their offensive line, 29th in pass blocking, 21st in run blocking. And their offensive rank since Brady has left, they're 24th in yards on average, 21st in points. And their record has been 26-29. They're on pace to miss the playoffs for the 3rd time in 4 seasons. Bill Belichick, the coach, hasn't put together a good offense on the field. He deserves criticism. The defense is still great. He's drafted great on defense. The biggest problem with the Patriots right now is Bill Belichick, the GM. These are the offensive players that he's drafted within the top 4 rounds since 2019. N'Keal Harry, Damian Harris, Devin Asiasi, Dalton Keene, not on the team no more, all 4 of those guys.
Sonny Michel.
Ramondre Stevenson, who this year is not even averaging 3 yards per carry. Tyquan Thornton, Pierre Strong, Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas. 7 of these have been in the first 4 rounds. How many of these players are starters? It's probably just one in Ramondre. And right now, Ramondre, him and Zeke are getting similar workloads. This offseason, they made one of the worst moves. They let Jacoby Myers walk, and they signed Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju has 86 yards through 5 games and 0 touchdowns. Jacoby Myers on Monday Night Football versus the Packers has 75 yards and 1 touchdown. He's only 11 yards shy of what Juju has for the entire season in that one game alone. Bill Belichick, the coach, he's still one of the better coaches, but he's outdated as a coach because he doesn't understand offense. The offensive side of football, he can't get it going. He can't draft well. But then we talk about Bill Belichick, the GM, who is whiffed on multiple offensive draft picks. Now, the perfect solution is, well, let's just relinquish responsibility from Bill Belichick and let him be the coach. But here's the issue. Bill Belichick is so far in with the Patriots. He's had so much power for such a long time. He's not going to be somebody that's just going to relinquish his GM responsibility. And because of that, if the Patriots season sours and they're one of the worst teams in football and they're not a joy to watch, and you at least have to have the conversation of moving on from Bill Belichick and starting over with an offensive coach, with a new age coach. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. He's going to go down as one of the best ever. But the offensive results speak for themselves. The draft picks speak for themselves. With Bill Belichick, I don't see a high ceiling with the Patriots. I just think it's vanilla, and it's been that way since Tom Brady left.
It sounded like you were very against that, Drew.
We just talked about
Yeah,
this.
that's why I say
right.
I have all my thoughts together. Outside of this season, the last 3 seasons, in terms of yards allowed, he's put together top 10 defenses. This season, no Marcus Jones, no Jack Jones, no Christian Gonzalez, no Matthew Judon. We've seen injuries early on to this offensive line. So why am I to allow myself to put full blame on Bill Belichick when, in reality, this is a banged-up unit? Now, where I can put some responsibility is you can't get blown out 2 times back-to-back like this. It's embarrassing. That's inexcusable. But I gave credit to Stephen A., where he made up for horrendous comments about Lamar Jackson, saying that he needs to be better, that they've wasted their money up until this point, when if you watch the game, you can't blame it on Lamar Jackson outside of maybe the last drive where he threw it up to Odell as opposed to maybe a Mark Andrews. But even Mark Andrews dropped the ball that would have led to a touchdown. So he made up, in my eyes, where he said, as a coach, Bill Belichick is still one of the best coaches in the game. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. As a GM, he's made some inexcusable moves. And I feel we have allowed ourselves to evaluate the coach Bill Belichick based off his moves as GM. And partly I understand, but even still as a coach, 2 years removed from the greatest of all time, leaving his team, he made the playoffs. Did get embarrassed, but with a rookie quarterback, you made the playoffs. That's impressive to me. In 3 seasons outside of the first year that Tom Brady had left, you were a top 10 unit defensively in terms of yards allowed. That is his specialty. He continues to put forth great defenses year after year. These last 2 games, we've seen the defense the most banged up it's been in probably Belichick's tenure, and we've seen the result that is back-to-back ass beatings. They should not have gotten their ass beaten by the Saints. That one's inexcusable to me. Dallas is a little bit more understandable. They're great, of course, when they're going up against mediocre talent or below mediocre talent, they're going to show up and they're going to play high-level football. That's been very evident this season. But Belichick he should be better than what he's put forth these last 2 weeks. But you mentioned it, Joel, of all the draft picks that he's had, primarily on the offensive side of the ball, he has failed to put Mac Jones in a position to succeed. In my opinion, outside of Mac Jones, he has failed in terms of drafting offensive talent. And I say outside of Mac Jones because I think he's better than what he's put forth these last 2 weeks. There are moments where you look at Mac Jones and it makes you scratch your head of what you're thinking. But when you don't have anybody to throw the ball, now I'm staying consistent because if you're hearing this and you're thinking, oh, this is just Drew reiterating everything he said about Daniel Jones, the two can coexist. Where Ramondre Stevenson, I love Ramondre Stevenson. He lacks explosiveness. That's not his game. He is a pass-catching back. He's not going to give you huge chunk plays. That's not his game. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, who you signed, not a great contract. Nelson Aguilar, no longer with the team. Hunter Henry seems to be the best signing by them, and even still, he hasn't been this polarizing addition for them either. Kendrick Bourne has been an average addition for them. I say average because he seems to be their wide receiver one so far in this season. Tyquan Thornton, I think that he's a speedster. I look at the explosiveness. He hasn't even taken a snap this season.
He's not good.
So for me, if you want to evaluate the GM, Bill Belichick, and say this has been one of the worst performances by a GM in national football, I shake your hand right now because that's 100% facts. He has been one of the worst GMs in football. He has put together a horrible unit together on the offensive side of the ball, and when the injuries stack up on the defensive side, he can only do so much. But the head coach is still one of the better coaches in the game. I can't allow it to cloud my judgment there. You need to remove responsibility as the GM. I get it. He's a polarizing figure. He's one of the best coaches in the history of the game. I'm not using this because when we look at Greg Popovich, he went through the same thing after Tim Duncan and Kawhi Leonard left. Kawhi Leonard left. He has had 4 straight seasons of under 500 basketball. He made the play-in because the play-in now allowed 2 extra teams to have a chance at making the playoffs, and even still, that was an under 500 record. Similarly, on the other side with Bill Belichick, his team made the playoffs. They got absolutely embarrassed. They had no business being on the field with the Buffalo Bills. But you still give them credit, and you still respect Greg Popovich. But one of these two guys is getting hate, and one of these two guys is having their job on the line, and it most definitely was not Greg Popovich.
One of these guys was trying to win. That's the difference. Greg Popovich was not trying to win with the Spurs. They were not making big free agent acquisitions to get talent onto the team.
What was their biggest free agent acquisition?
Bill Belichick, the year after Cam Newton, left and they got Mac Jones as rookie. They signed like worth $200 million worth of players.
And we were scratching our head in the preseason, and they made the playoffs. I remember that preseason because that was my first season on the podcast.
Mac Jones
they made the playoffs as a rookie.
Mac Jones regressing with him being a rookie season is a coaching problem.
Agreed.
Bill Belichick drafting these players, and then, it's one thing to draft badly, but two things are true. You draft players that are overdrafted, but sometimes that works out if you can coach them up well and put them in good positions. Bill Belichick has overdrafted, and he hasn't coached them up well either.
That's one of those that he reached on Cole Strange, and that's been a solid draft.
You bring in Joe Judge and Matt Patricia as coordinators. That's a coaching thing. And Bill O'Brien, I thought, was a good get. I really do think Mac Jones is missing stuff out there. Mm-hmm. Like, Mac Jones is not playing well at all. So I think right now the Patriots, it's not even a thing of like, oh, yeah, we got to let go of Belichick to keep Mac.
No.
This might be a full reset because the Patriots right now are this bad where, listen, Belichick, the resume speaks for itself, man. He's an awesome coach, and sometimes you just got to move on. Andy Reid with the Eagles, he moved on to the Chiefs.
But were you asking for Popovich's job?
They weren't trying to win.
Rav, were you asking for Popovich's job?
Were the Spurs ever trying to win
with DeMar
intentionally?
With DeMar and Aldridge, they were
made
trying.
The playoffs and the play-in.
Okay, but similarly with the Patriots, he was trying to make the playoffs, and he did.
But the Patriots, if they were trying to tank and it's evident, I understand.
This year, it seems evident.
No, but they're not trying to tank. They actually tried to win
this year. But what did they do? They brought in Juju. That's it.
They made a mistake by bringing in Juju and letting Jacoby
I don't know
walk.
what they're trying to do.
What did they do this offseason to try and get better?
They just brought back J.C. Jackson.
But that was a six-round flyer.
Yeah, but that's a we need help at corner. Let's bring our guy back.
Had a ton of
Last
injuries,
offseason they were trying to
But also, how many times have we seen the Patriots do that with a Jamie Collins, with a Trent Brown? They've done this in the past where they let guys go, they come back, and suddenly they're their same old selves.
I think the issue is you have to be all in or all out on Bill Belichick. Like, logically, Drew, it makes sense. Like, Bill, you're the head coach. You can coach your ass off, especially defensively, the brightest mind we've ever seen. But I agree with Joel that what person on planet Earth can go into that New England Patriots room and say, no, Bill, this is my call. We're signing this guy, not that guy. We're drafting this guy, not that guy. It doesn't exist. I mean, I don't know what person out there, what GM even wants that position that you got to go in there and overstep Bill, and you got to be making all those decisions.
That's not too wrong.
It's a tough position to be in, and Joel listed off all of the players they've drafted, but even the position groups they put their stock in. These last 5 years, I'm looking at just their first 5 picks. Over half of their players have been on defense, which, listen, you could draft defense. I can't blame you. 3 of them have been offensive linemen. They drafted a kicker in Mac Jones. I mean, we're talking about 17 of their players being either defense, O-linemen, or kickers, right? And you're looking at 70% of that. And when you're not investing into the offense, you're not investing into the skill positions, you have to hit on them.
And you get the result that you get here. Facts.
Yeah, and when you don't hit on them, it looks like even more misses because
the offensive line is bad, though.
Because that's on top of it. The offensive line historically has been good, but this year has not been good. So those misses get even exemplified because we're talking about Tyquan Thornton and we're talking about Pierre Strong, who's on the team, and Damian Harris. Like, you're talking about all of these misses that
your guy Keyshawn.
If you Boutte, yeah,
but he was a flyer also.
If you even, I didn't even include him. Even if I forgot what I was about to say now.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, fuck me up with Keyshawn Boutte. Right, you got something to say about the Patriots? I don't know where I was going with that.
I will say this. Yeah. Nick Caserio, who was with the Patriots, is now the GM of the Texans. And fun fact, Deshaun Watson requested a trade because Nick Caserio was hired as the GM of the Texans. He has done a good job drafting for the Texans thus far.
Will Anderson's been really good.
That's why he requested a trade.
Been look great.
Yeah, that's why he requested a trade.
Not because of all the shit going on.
That happened. No, that happened after.
Not the shit that happened with Bob McNair.
It almost happened like
simultaneously. The report. I looked it up today. The report when Deshaun Watson requested a trade, it was because he was unhappy with the Texans hiring Nick Caserio because they didn't take his opinion or suggestion into account for the GM.
It just did
basically
because also they let DeAndre Hopkins walk.
Yeah, for David Johnson.
Deshaun Watson wanted to pick the GM. And the Texans said no, and they picked Caserio, and that's why he requested a trade.
Yeah.
I understand it. I think you both are right. I think both of you have a strong opinion about it. Bill Belichick, compare him to Greg Popovich, it makes sense. Both of them greatest coaches in their respective sports. 5 NBA championships, 6 Super Bowls, all that good, 7 Super Bowls, all that good stuff. Both of them have that type of pull in the front office where whatever they say goes. They're the front office. They're the culture. Whatever they say goes. They last longer than any player that comes in there. They last longer than any GM. They are the guys. So it's hard, like Dehls said, because what he said is a good point. It's hard to just put a GM out there and tell him go in there and tell Bill Belichick, no, we're not going to make this move, because ultimately Bill Belichick is probably more important than the GMs and the owners in that building because he's that type of power. But at the same time, same thing with Joel said. That's why everything y'all say and it's kind of coincide with each other points. At some point, you got to look at yourself in the mirror like, dude, I'm not doing a good job at what I'm doing. Like, I'm not a good GM. I cannot draft outside of defense. I've hit on the defense, but this year it's been abysmal. We're not good. What's the next move? Do I step down? Like, when does you stop being stubborn and look at yourself in the mirror like, I have to step down as the GM. I can still be the coach. I can still coach my ass off. The NFL can't outdate me. But at the same time, as a GM, I do not understand how to draft respective teams. Because as you mentioned it, Mac Jones does not get any help out there. You know what I'm saying? Offensively, there's nothing out there for him. He had Jacoby Myers, but now he has Kendrick Bourne and a bunch of no-name wide receivers. He has Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, but those are not game changers, game breakers. They're good at tight ends, but they're not guys. He's the only guy, Sam Howell has a weapon. Justin Fields has a weapon. You know, like even C.J. Stroud has some sort of weapons. You know, they're good young players. Like nobody. Mac Jones is one of the few guys that hasn't had a weapon in his career. Like he hasn't had a consistent great weapon in his career. Probably not even a good one. He's had a bunch of pieces dangling around.
Devontae Parker, bro.
Oh God, he's awful. But like he's bad. But honestly, Bill Belichick's got to look himself in the mirror. And eventually, Greg Popovich did that. You know, when he decided, you know, this team, my style is outdated. We need to rebuild. I need to start fresh. And Greg Popovich did that, and he eventually got Victor. Rigged, but he eventually got Victor. Bill Belichick needs to do the same.
I can't disagree too much, Riv. I mean, a lot of what you're saying is exactly my belief. Bill Belichick has been. I mean, we're all saying the exact same thing, except maybe Joel in the sense of, as a head coach, you maybe need to move on.
Oh, you think he needs to move on as a head coach?
No, I think they need to move on entirely. I think they need to. I think it's about time. I don't even think Bill Belichick is one of the top head coaches in the league right now. I don't think he's within the top 5.
You think he's top 10?
Unfortunately, I'm about to accept it.
I don't blame you.
Top 10.
That's your pick.
That probably is a debate.
I think he's
but
a top
between
10
Bill
coach.
Belichick and Mike Tomlin as a coach, who's better right now? Who's been better the past couple of seasons? It's been Mike Tomlin. You know, I'm taking all the offensive guys over Belichick
But you think,
right now.
No, I disagree. I think Bill is a better coach. I think he's just an awful GM. So we're coinciding that with him being a coach. I think he's a better coach, though.
What are the results shown? I mean,
that's because of his GM skills.
As a coach, you're hiring the coordinators. The coordinators have
Didn't
given
Mike Tomlin
you
hire
awful.
Mike Canada?
He did.
Yeah, for sure. But at least the defensive side of the football wins for them consistently.
Outside of this year, though, historically, Bill Belichick has produced elite defenses.
Bill Belichick has produced elite defenses, but Drew made this point earlier about defenses being skewed to a degree. Last year, the Patriots, their wins came against
Bad teams,
bottom barrel quarterbacks. Their best defensive performances came against bottom barrel offenses.
Can't play great teams every year, you know.
I look at all the offensive guys in the league right now, and it's just a different league. And I think the NFL is just transitioning into that. When you look at the top offensive coaches, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, I think those are the top 4 offensive innovators. I would rather have them as my head coach than Bill Belichick.
That's easy to say. They're also they have teams with elite offenses and defenses. Like I don't think you can comfortably put Mike McDaniel in a room and Bill Belichick in a room and say I will comfortably take Mike McDaniel.
I think I can with the offensive output 100%.
No, because of his offensive team, yes, and the weapons he has, but you also have to understand from a situation. If you just put him in a vacuum, put him like we give them both the same teams, I think Bill Belichick can do a better job than Mike McDaniel. Like those coaches you just named have great offenses and great defense. Like the Niners have both. The Rams don't have both.
And they have one responsibility: coaching the team. That's their responsibility.
I think that's what holding Bill Belichick down is the fact that he's also a GM. Not all these guys are GMs, and that's what's really bringing him down.
I think you're discrediting the job that these offensive coaches have done too much. Kyle Shanahan with Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019, he had 27 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, a 102 passer rating. Everything is great until it's not. Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019, when they made the Super Bowl, he was being hyped up as the next Tom Brady. He was being hyped up as until he missed that throw to Emmanuel Sanders. That's when everybody said, "Oh, you know, this might not be that guy."
He had 77 yards on playoff.
They didn't need to pass because they had over 200 yards rushing on the Packers. They were gashing them in the run. It's Kyle Shanahan. They have acquired that talent through time, but it's the coaching job. Brandon Ayuk was in the doghouse for 2 years. Kyle Shanahan did not put him on the field until Brandon Ayuk started doing the little things, blocking well, knowing where to be, mainly just the blocking because they're a run team. Kyle Shanahan is going to go down as one of the most innovative offensive coaches in the history of the game. Mike McDaniel is on a similar pathway. Sean McVay has already won a Super Bowl. The Rams were not a team we looked at as a great team coming into the season. Puka Nacua has had a historic receiver start, and that's Sean McVay scheming things up and having Matthew Stafford back there, but the offensive line isn't great. And the receivers, we didn't know they were going to be this good this early on. Like, these guys have maximized the talent, and this is an offensive league. You can have a great defense, but if your offense cannot keep up, you're not going to win games.
But that's the same thing with offense. You can have an offensive team, but if your defense can't stop anybody, you're not going to win just as much as if your offense can't stop.
I think it's easier.
I'd rather have the elite offense with a mid defense than a mid defense with an elite
yeah,
offense.
but
I
either
think
one
it's
won't get you a
easier
win.
to find a defensive
Bowl,
coordinator
though?
than it is an offensive coordinator. Like
the
a
Chiefs
great
were
one.
the Chiefs were both.
The Chiefs had Mahomes. You know.
The Niners were both. The Niners had a better defense and offense.
And I've brought this up in the past. Like, you go throughout the years, really last like 2-3 seasons, who were in the AFC and NFC championships, it's almost exclusive offensive head coaches.
Yeah.
Or Tom Brady, I guess, right? But
Yeah, Tom Brady's he's
Arians. I'm bugging. They had Arians.
Yeah, but there's still even cases where you still have to have both. Like the Niners, I feel like their defense is better than their offense.
But I think like McDaniel, for example, raises like Tua's played great. I'm not trying to discredit him, but he raises the ceiling. His innovative play calling, like that like jet sweep with Tyreek, where he goes full speed.
Every
like,
team is stealing it right now.
College was stealing, the NFL is stealing.
Yeah.
Like he raises the ceiling so much where maybe Bill raises the floor, but the ceiling offensively, like I don't think with Bill Belichick, Miami is the most prolific offense through 5 weeks.
But okay, so I'm gonna not play double. I'm gonna ask you a question because I agree with you. I'm not trying to take away from Tua and all that good stuff, like you mentioned. But do you not think Mike McDaniels is great in his own right in terms of play call and stuff like that? But he also has the players
For sure.
like Devon Achane is fast as fuck.
Yeah.
Like Bill Belichick, and that's why I say him being a GM is hindering his ability as a coach because he does not draft offensive players, which hinders his coaching or his offensive schemes or whatever, like all that bullshit. But defensively, when you give him when he has a solid unit defensively, they're a great unit. He does the same thing for defense with guys do for
Bill
offense.
is so Bill, you get everything with it. You get the GM that comes with it. That's
the
why
problem.
it's, you know what I mean?
My
Like,
faith
that's
in
why
Mike
it's crazy.
McDaniel is so high that I think he can coach up this Patriots offense and they would at least look serviceable.
Life was
They wouldn't have many wins though.
But the offense, it wouldn't be 32nd in pass EPA and rush EPA.
That's a big hypothetical.
I know,
like
that
you're
is
talking about
such
going
a
from Waddle
Well,
hypothetical.
they
Hill.
wouldn't be 30 second. I
You
guarantee
go
they
from
won't be
Waddle
30 second. Maybe
Hill
they're
to-
not 10, but they're not 30 second.
Like
They're
you
probably
have
25.
you have to have the players. There's no doubt about it. You have to have the players. But Andy Reid had Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill didn't put up his best season
He had
until it was with Mike
1,400 yards.
McDaniel.
Here's also the same thing. You look at the Broncos. We were 32nd last year with essentially the same personnel. We're a top 10 unit in terms of
And
point
you
per
still
game.
have one win.
No, but that's because our defense is horrendous.
My point.
What was that to do with anything?
You have a
He
good
said
offense.
that they would turn their offense better.
But I'm saying you
from
have a
30
good
seconds to
offense.
something.
You have a good offense. You have a bad defense. You're still not winning games.
But last year we had a good defense, horrendous offense.
You're still not winning games.
My point being, Riv, we brought in an offensive mind to help our offense. We went from 32nd to top 10 in points. He's saying you bring Mike McDaniels into the Patriots building, they go from 32nd to better than 32nd. With how great McDaniel is, he's right.
Yeah, but we're talking about win totals.
No, but what we're talking about right now is specifically offensive ranking.
He really wasn't, but sure, okay.
Were you not talking defense?
No, I was talking like
He was saying that.
I
like,
think
that's-
Mike
yeah.
McDaniel, he's going to maximize an offense, even if the personnel isn't there.
That's such a big hype. Like he has the best players at his position, like at their position. So I don't know. Like he hasn't. How do I want to say it? He hasn't like turned a bad into a good. You know what I'm saying? Like he had Waddle. Waddle broke a record as a rookie.
Tua quite literally became a great quarterback with McDaniel.
Well, I'm talking about just the wide receivers and stuff like that. Like I'm talking like Reek was already one of the best in the league when he got there. Waddle was on pace to be one of the best young wide receivers in the league. Devin Achane is just fast as shit.
You think
know what I'm
Devon Achane is doing what he's doing with Miami on Detroit?
He could.
Yeah.
Detroit's
He
offensive
could.
line.
With
could.
Jameer Gibbs hasn't even gotten going.
Well, that's also because David Montgomery's not bad.
Like if Jameer Gibbs was on Miami, I think Jameer Gibbs is doing something similar to what we're seeing
Well,
Achane
I
do
also
right now.
I
feel
agree,
like
but I don't think
they
Detroit
feel-
loses a beat with Devon Achane. I think they're still the same.
But what I'm
top-tier
saying is
offense.
that Devon Achane is super fast. Like, he has played amazing to this point, but there's a reason why he wasn't drafted as a top running back in his class.
I'll say this. I think Devon benefited from the blowout against the Broncos, where he had the opportunity to show, you give me the ball, I can make shit pop. Now going forward, I think the Dolphins realized this guy's an unbelievable option for us to use to coincide next to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. He benefits Tua in terms of play action as well. Mostert has been fumbling the ball a little bit too. Devon did have a fumble this past weekend, but he masked it because of how efficient he is with the ball. Where Jameer, they're trying to ease him into the offense, hasn't had that big blow-up game outside against I believe it was the Falcons that David Montgomery got injured, that's where he had his most opportunity with the ball in his hands. But he does have the hamstring injury, which has also impacted his playing time now. And David Montgomery is just the physical bell cow type running back, and that fits perfectly with what Detroit wants to do as an offense. That I feel like situation to situation, that one's tough to compare.
You mean to tell me, general question, the wide receivers that started for the New England Patriots have been Kendrick Bourne for 2 games, Devontae Parker for 4, Gesicki has started for 4, Juju Smith has started for 3, Pharaoh Brown has started for 3. He's a tight end. You mean to tell me you think Mike McDaniels can turn these guys in this offense into a competent offense?
Yeah, because how I would do it is that Mike McDaniel, his background is a run coordinator. He's a run coordinator coach. His running schemes are some of the best in the NFL. And
with
that's
speed,
why.
Though.
No, even with the 49ers, like the 49ers consistently, even with running backs that weren't elite, had elite running back production because the running game designs, like he's somebody that is one of the best designers in the league. You put him on the Patriots, that rushing offense gets so much better. And then once you have a great rushing offense, you can build a passing offense on top of it with the use of play action. And now you make everybody's job easier.
I don't know. These players are so bad. Like
they're
Devontae
bad.
Parker.
They're bad. Like they're not good. They're not great receivers. But when you have somebody who can design a competent running game, it makes everybody's job easier. And that's where I think it would just benefit. Mike McDaniel, to me, he has a talent, but
he's a genius.
He's maximizing it to a degree that we did not think it could get to. Like 70 points in a game. They go on these historic stretches where they look like one of the best offenses in the league. Mike McDaniel was just that good. Like he's that good.
I just think it's easy to say a guy with a great talent can maximize great talent. Like you can say that. Yeah, that's what it tends to happen. But I don't know if I can fully agree with if he was on New England, he can make they just don't have good offensive players like at all.
Nah, they don't got good offensive players, but I think the point that I'm trying to make is just like McDaniel is top 5 offensive coach in the league.
I was with you.
Top 3 offensive coach.
Top 10.
I would say top 4. The top 4 are easily Reed, Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel. And in this day and age with the NFL modern era, I'm taking a top 4 offensive coach over a great defensive
looks
coach.
Like a home run hire too.
Shane Steichen looks amazing.
I'm saying Bill is still top 10 at minimum.
He's still top 10. I think the issue with the Patriots and what they're going to run into is that I don't think they're going to just straight up fire him. There's too much respect there.
He has to resign.
He has to step down. That's what has to have to happen. And listen, if Bill Belichick steps down, he can go to a new situation like that, and let's see if he can turn them around.
Or he could retire. I mean, bro's pushing 70, right?
Doesn't matter, bro.
I think it's the second oldest coach. Pete Carroll's oldest.
Pete.
I feel like he wants his son to take over as head coach.
Oh, God.
Steve Belichick.
Is he good?
Rookie quarterback report. So talking about how these rookie quarterbacks performed in week 5, let's talk about the major story. Anthony Richardson sprained his AC joint. This is his 3rd injury in 4 starts. He had an ankle and a knee injury in week 1, concussion in week 2, and now he sprained his AC joint. He's going to be out for a while. Are you concerned that these injuries are piling up with Anthony Richardson?
I'm sorry, Drew.
Oh, all good.
Go ahead.
It's just his style of play. He's one of those that is trying to move the ball as much as he can down the field, whether that's with his legs, with his arm. But when he decides to use his legs, sometimes it's just he's trying to do too much, and it allows him to take a big hit. Now, unfortunately, here it's one of those where he takes a hit to his throwing shoulder. And what is this reminiscent of is we saw Cam Newton's career end in a similar light where Cam Newton took a huge hit and it completely changed his career trajectory. We didn't see him be the same passer that he once was never this elite prolific passer, but he was always good enough where it went in part with how great of a rusher he was, that he was still an elite quarterback in the league. Anthony Richardson, he hasn't been an elite efficient passer this season, but because he's such a big play machine, that it allowed you to feel confident that he can continue to progress. You knew his ceiling. You knew his ceiling was very high. He has so much talent behind him. It's just a matter of being able to stay on the field, and so far, he's struggled with that. Rookie season, the Colts' expectations, they're not that high as of right now. Coming into the season, nobody anticipated the Colts would be one of the best teams or one of the better teams in the league regardless. Sit him. You knew that he was a project as is. You knew he was a ceiling pick. As of right now, a lot of people feel, like I do myself, that Anthony Richardson was the correct pick. He has unbelievable abilities when the ball is in his hands. He can make things happen. It's just you need to understand when it's time to get down. We see it even with Tua, who's not even a mobile guy like that, who had to work on this offseason sliding, avoiding hard-hit tackles because it allows for longevity in the league. When you're as athletic as Anthony Richardson is, not everybody is Lamar Jackson, where Lamar Jackson can take hit after hit after hit, rushing the football.
Because they are bigger, I feel like.
He is. He is.
One of the biggest
but
quarterbacks
Lamar Jackson has been injured as a passer, talking about last season where he got injured in the pocket, but he takes big hit after big hit as a rusher. Not everybody has that type of capability, similar as Cam also. Josh Allen's another one that comes to mind. Some people, they take hits and their body reacts differently. AR needs to adjust accordingly. I'm not concerned. It's year one. It's an AC joint injury. This could have been a lot worse than what it was. We saw Derek Carr with an AC joint injury look bad one week, look solid the week after that. I say solid because that's exactly the word he was. He was solid, was able to do a job. But that's not what you want with AR. What you want with AR, especially going into what seems like he's going to miss a couple weeks. If the Colts are smart about it, they play him towards the end of the season when games don't matter as much. See, just to get him some playing time. But you're playing for the future. This is the longevity of it. So, no, I'm not concerned, but he just needs to adjust accordingly to his style of play.
Yeah, and it seems like this injury, I mean, you hear reports of 2 weeks, you hear reports of 2 months, right? So, like, it's, I think, what they say, grade 3 AC sprain. I mean, you don't really hear about grade 3s too often, right? It's usually grade 1, grade 2. Anything beyond that, it's something more serious. AR does have a pretty extensive injury history. First of all, I hope he gets better. He's obviously one of my favorite players to watch. One of my favorite players coming out of the draft. Yeah, that's right. I'm a Florida fan.
Yeah.
I'm a Florida fan.
What the hell happened to USC, bro?
He's a
I'm a
sicko.
USC and Florida fan.
Oh, geez.
I'm a USC fan.
We get he's tall. He can run.
Chelsea's a Florida fan. She went to Florida.
So you're using the girlfriend. I respect that.
I wish my girlfriend liked sports so I can get another team.
But AR does have a pretty extensive injury history. I'm looking at Jesse Morse, who does some fantasy stuff, but he's a doctor, like a PT. I'm not sure exactly what his position is, but I mean, going back to 2018, he's had a right knee injury, which was a torn meniscus. He's had a right shoulder injury, 2 right shoulder injuries. He's had multiple hamstring strains. He's had a concussion. He's had, I'm seeing that more. We're up to like 5 right knee injuries. He has an ankle injury that suffered in 2022, a couple of hamstring injuries, a left shoulder injury. Like, there's been multiple times throughout his collegiate career that he's got banged up. And I'm looking at this, not funny, but he got lucky because a couple of these are in the offseason. One of them is he got injured dancing. A couple of times he wasn't the starter till his final season at Florida, so he didn't miss a ton of games. But when you go through this injury history, it piles up.
You said dancing, bro?
Yeah, to dancing. That's literally what it said. But regardless, what Drew said is facts that some players, for whatever reason, are just less injury prone than others, right? There's some players that, I mean, LeBron's probably not the best example because he's just such an outlier, but someone who could play 20 seasons and, knock on wood, just never suffered a major injury, right? He is the outlier in that situation, but it just goes to show that...
Just tie the shoes up a little bit. Time to get back out there.
It just goes to show you that some people just are able to sustain hits and move on. And typically you see it from the bigger players. Typically you see it from guys who have weight on them. That was like one of the bigger concerns with Bryce Young is, listen, he's barely 6 foot. He looks like he's barely 200 pounds. Can he last in the NFL for multiple seasons getting hit? And he already had an injury earlier on this season. You're hoping, Anthony Richardson, that this is just kind of a one-time thing where he took a hard hit, landed on his shoulder, the body weight of the defender's on him, and he can move past it. But when you go back and look at his injury history from 2018, 19, 20, 21, his final year at Florida, it's not just a little sprain here or there. You have multiple injuries to multiple body parts, where it's the shoulder, the knee, concussion, that this isn't just like, oh, he has a bad knee or he has a bad shoulder. It's been multiple times throughout his collegiate career, and unfortunately, it's bled into the NFL so far.
His injuries are a major concern. They are. You mentioned the extensive injury history in college. He's already been injured 3 times in the NFL. For a guy that's this massive, 6'4", 25 or 35 pounds, I think it is, usually should not get injured. You know, if you're this big, this strong. But unfortunately, that's been the case, and it sucks because he's special. He's so good. I think if he stays healthy, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league as the years go by, because he has that type of it factor and ability. But it just sucks that he's getting injured. The good thing with the Colts, though, is that Gardner Minshew is 3-0 in games that he starts or finishes. And this year, he's been pretty good. 69% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 95 passer rating. The Colts are 3-2 on the season. Minshew has kind of been that afterthought, since Jacksonville, since his first season there. But he's somebody that is a serviceable quarterback that can help out a lot of teams. He's one of the best backups in the league. But Anthony Richardson, I just feel like these injuries are disheartening that he's getting injured this often, this early into his career, already to his throwing shoulder. That's something that can heal quickly, or it can linger on the entire season. So it's just unfortunate when it comes to injuries with him.
You want to talk about your Twinsky, Mr. Stroud?
I was watching. I saw highlights. I was excited. You said you think major concern?
I think it's a concern. I mean, 3 times in 4 games.
I think
the college injury history.
I think you definitely have to have some caution. And I think you mentioned a couple good names, Drew. Like Lamar Jackson's one of those guys where I think is why I think you should be cautious, because
Garland 1 of 10 tonight.
It's preseason. Okay. He getting warmed up. I think Lamar was one of those guys you mentioned because
he's gonna have to beat allegations.
Anyways, silly rabbit. Silly allegations. Because Lamar has had time where he's had his team, top of the division playing, then he's missed some time for the rest of the year. It could be non-contact or something like that. You don't want that to be AR. Same thing. You mentioned Josh Allen. Josh Allen's one of the few guys that takes big hits, but typically doesn't get injured a lot. And if he does, he kind of plays through it. And to start your, NFL career as a rookie, 3 injuries in your first couple games is tough. I don't think you want to do that. I think that's unfortunate, especially as a rookie. This is your franchise guy. You want to keep him safe. You want to keep him pampered. You want him to be the future of your franchise. So you definitely should have some caution. I definitely think you should take this year as a year to not rush him back, or not even if it's a point where he is 2-3 games left in the season, they're not going to make the playoffs. I think you could probably sit him out, get him ready for next year. Because I think, Drew, you mentioned it, they didn't have any expectations coming into this year, but with JT coming back, he's slowly going to get more reps. The division kind of being up in wildfire right now, they had a real opportunity to win this division, get some playoff experience, and they don't have much. You know what I'm saying? They're a team that still has a future, still has a couple young players in that offense that was fitting in correctly together. So I think you should definitely have some caution. But switching to C.J. Stroud, because you mentioned talking about my Twinsky. So I did that. Yeah, I never done that, right? Fire.
That was tough. That's growth.
Yeah,
that's growth.
We're here. C.J. Stroud is the best quarterback in his class. I don't think we can sit here and talk about it too much. AR, you mentioned it. AR has that big play-like ability, but he's not consistent play-by-play. He's not as efficient at throwing the ball as C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud may not be the runner AR ever is, and that's okay. But the passing ability, the point-to-point attack, the progressions that C.J. Stroud goes through, he is one of one in terms of guys coming into this league as a top pick and showing you what type of ability they have early on. Now, of course, year 2 is going to be all right, the film is out on you. Let's see how you look. But year 2 is also going to be time where the Texans can add on more talent. The Texans can build up a better offensive line, bring in more wide receivers if they need be, bring in more defense. They're going to have money. They're going to have a couple draft picks. They're going to have that cap. So they're going to be able to build this roster up. And they have a chance to win this division. It may not be a strong chance, but they have a puncher's chance. And if C.J. Stroud keeps playing like this, which he hasn't thrown an interception yet, which is fucking incredible. He's already broken a couple records in his first starts, so I think that's amazing. He's one of the best passers at his young age, and I think that's amazing. He's building that chemistry with the young core. And, of course, he has aura. And when you have aura, he also has one of the best celebrations in the league, so that's also a part of his aura. But I think C.J. Stroud, since we're doing rookie report, guys, you give him an A because he's been absolutely amazing. He's completely turned this Texans franchise around in 3 games. And I think going from what Deshaun Watson was to now what C.J. Stroud is still really early, but to see what you have in C.J. Stroud, I think Houston could feel really good about this, that the fact that, okay, yeah, we lost Deshaun Watson, what he was at that time, but we gained C.J. Stroud. I think we could feel a little bit better about that decision.
C.J. Stroud has 186 pass attempts without an interception. That's number 1 all time. above Dak Prescott and Tua. So he broke that record. And the Texans could have very well won on Sunday. C.J. Stroud led them down the field, threw a dart of a touchdown to Dalton Schultz. That could have been the game right there. They could have won a game, but that boy Desmond Ridder was a bad man. Sunday, he was doing his thing.
Is that making now he's the Desmond Ritter guy again?
Nah. Listen, Desmond Ritter, he's gonna listen.
That's his best game ever.
Listen, Desmond Ritter, I think he can run this offense better than Marcus Mariota. That's all I said.
Incredibly low.
And we got the Sam Howell bet. So Desmond Ritter, if the Falcons gonna make the playoffs, it's because Ritter's at least gonna play at a competent level. But boy, he was ripping them throws, man. That's first time I seen him that good. I was like, wow.
Who am I watching?
I was infatuated with him.
C.J. Stroud, A+. We didn't give Richardson a grade. I mean, it's hard with the injuries, but injuries aside, he gets an A for me. Stroud is just this was a lifeless franchise who had David Culley and Lovie Smith the last 2 years. It felt like there was no direction in this franchise. It felt like it was lifeless with Davis Mills running the show. 2 years ago, Rex Burkhead is your leading rusher, where it just felt like there was nothing going for this team. And really in one offseason, DeMeco Ryans looks like a home run. C.J. Stroud looks like a home run. Will Anderson's been great so far. They've hit on the most important pieces and completely turned around the franchise, and it starts with C.J. Stroud. It might be early, like 5 games in, to call him a franchise quarterback, but if there's ever a franchise quarterback 5 games in, this is what it looks like. It looks like a team that believes in him. It's a team that fights every single week. It's close. And the fact that you're able to build up your weapons, you're able to have Tank Dell have huge games, Nico Collins have huge games, the fact that you're able to bring all of these guys to their fullest potential, that's what a franchise quarterback does.
C.J. Stroud, top 3 in yards, top 10 in touchdowns as a rookie. That's insane. And doing it with Nico Collins, doing it with Tank Dell, doing it with Dalton Schultz, these aren't guys that we were talking about not even a little bit coming into this season. Respect to Nico. Shout out to my brother Chuck. He's always been a big Nico guy. One of the only guys I've ever heard talk positive on Nico Collins. But Nico Collins is showing why he is a respectable option at the wide receiver position. Tank Dell getting his opportunity. Robert Woods is another one that has made the most of his targets. But Dalton Schultz these last 2 weeks. Dalton Schultz these last 2 weeks getting to the end zone, being a reliable option for C.J. Stroud. That's something that we thought would. What are you talking about? Fucking loud ass mouth.
Now I'm talking about JQ. He transferred out of Alabama.
With the Memphis.
Yeah, we knew that.
I forgot because Mikey might be jammed up.
Really? Yeah. Forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, no, hopefully this season goes well for JQ. But yeah, C.J. Stroud has been absolutely phenomenal. This offense has been amazing. We start to see Dameon Pierce little by little get more incorporated with this offense, but that's what happens when you have a solid pass offense. It opens up the rush offense as well. And Dameon Pierce isn't a slouch. It definitely showed out last season. Started off slow, but slowly but surely, like I said, it's getting going. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the game.
He has.
And the Texans really hit a home run here where quarterback just allows everything else to fall into place. When you have that franchise quarterback, it allows you leeway to now let's focus on the defense, where they got torched against Desmond Ridder. I never want to see that again, Houston. For the love of God, bear the fuck down. Derek Stingley, hope you're back soon.
Can't stop
this,
Ridder,
this defense needs you badly.
He's in that groove.
But you can continue to build on this defense. You can add personnel in this offense. Build up that offensive line. It's been banged up with injuries, but slowly but surely we're starting to see that get together as well. Add more offenses outside. You can never add more offensive pieces to the outside. You can never have too many receivers on a team. It does not matter how talented or how well they're producing. You can always add more. They don't have their first-round pick this season. It belongs to the Arizona Cardinals, and maybe that's playing a factor into them playing with a little more fire underneath them, where they know they have to play winning football because they don't have a pick to fall back on. But what you're seeing from the Texans is nothing but upside, and it's great to see.
If I was giving it a grade, I didn't know that we were doing grades, but Riv did grades. If we're giving these rookie quarterbacks a grade, C.J. Stroud is an A+.
Absolutely.
I think Anthony Richardson is a B to B+. I would go B+. I think that the highs have been A for sure.
He's a rookie. I'm fine with that.
But it's really just 2 full games that we've seen from him. Bryce Young, C-. I think Bryce Young right now is one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
That's not great.
He hasn't looked good. And against the Lions, the stats look great at the end of the game, but a lot of them were in garbage time when the game was within reach. Bryce Young threw 2 interceptions, and they were just plays where at Alabama, I didn't see him make those same plays. I think Bryce Young will be good. Right now, the situation around him isn't great, but I said this all along. I mean, first overall pick, you just got to have an it. You got to have a special trait. And Bryce Young right now in the NFL, there hasn't really been a special trait that sticks out. The best one is his throws to the middle of the field. I mean, he's fearless, and he really targets that area. And that's one of those areas where, for smaller quarterbacks, we don't typically see, but he excels in that area.
Yeah, playing bad is one thing with number 1 overall pick. Like, think of Trevor Lawrence's rookie year, but you look at the other guys in his class. Zach Wilson wasn't doing shit. Fields wasn't doing shit. Lance was on the bench. Mac Jones was the only one that was good. But when you're the number 1 pick, you're not playing well, and the 2 guys drafted after you are playing out of their mind. It puts all more of the pressure on you.
What are you giving the grades?
See, you talking to me or talking to Joel?
All of you guys.
I gave Stroud an A+. I'm giving AR an A. Bryce is like a C+, maybe.
Yeah, I think AR gets a B+ for me. I give him a B+. Stroud A+, 100% grade. And then Bryce, Bryce, he gets a C, but honestly, if the situation was a little bit better, he's playing like that, he'd probably get a D. But because the situation's so ass, I'll give him a C. I give him the benefit.
You know what? It was garbage time, but nevertheless, you saw it. You know, there's quarterbacks.
Some confidence building, maybe
that's
going in next week.
Resiliency.
That's really what it comes down to for me as well. We saw it against the Saints, and we saw it against the Lions. Down the stretch of the game, he's still able to make some offense happen. We're seeing Adam Thielen become his favorite target by far. He's been destroying the box score. It's been crazy to see, but he's the only reliable option that they have at the wide receiver position, too. DJ Chark was able to get in the end zone. Jonathan Mingo, I mean, let's say a prayer.
I dream.
Let's say a prayer. But I'm gonna give Bryce a C. He's just been put in a position to not succeed, and it's unfortunate. But I'm still gonna continue to give my vote of confidence in him. This was a long-term investment, very obviously, and they didn't. I know they did they did absolutely nothing to benefit him coming to this offseason. I'll tell you later. Anthony Richardson.
Playing with yourself over there or something?
What the hell? Come on, you can see me.
I can't.
You can see me. Literally.
I just had to make sure.
It turned so quick to look.
Anthony Richardson, if it wasn't his rookie season, I'd lean B just because of how inefficient he's been as a passer. But because of the big plays, I do lean a B+, A-. He really has that it factor to him. He's an unbelievable athlete. In the big moment against the Rams, he stepped up to the plate and led a game-tying drive, brought this game into overtime. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come away with the win, but that shows something, especially in your rookie season so early into your career. It's an obvious statement that C.J. Stroud gets an A+. When you're top of the league in yards, when you're a top 10 quarterback in terms of touchdowns, as a rookie, that is unheard of. That is uncharted territory.
Quick game. This is a new segment. It's taken over for this week in the NFL. Got 4 topics. We don't got to go through each of them, but just things that happened that are notable. Daniel Jones got injured. He got injured versus the Dolphins.
Yeah, not great.
Speedy recovery.
Justin Jefferson is also injured. It's not here on this thing.
God bless.
Justin Jefferson, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Too.
Stefon Diggs sideline antics. Real quick, do you think that this is an ongoing, annoying, nagging issue that is kind of concerning?
Annoying in what way? And I say that with the idea of we allowed Tom Brady to throw bitch fit after bitch fit after bitch fit on the sideline. But why is it okay? Because, well, I say bitch fit because that's just what it's called. I'm not calling him a bitch. Maybe? Exactly. Let's be kinder, I guess.
That's really just.
But you know what? I'm tired of being kind. Yeah. I'm tired of being kind. The bitch fit after bitch fit. But why did we allow it? Because you win. And I'm cool with that. But why was he throwing tantrum after tantrum? Because he wanted to win. He cared about winning more than anything. When Odell threw his little temper tantrum, what happened? Oh, he's a cancer. He's a locker room issue. We need to get him off the field. He's just not built for New York. When in reality, the only thing that was on his mind was winning. And that was evident when he was on the Rams because he played winning football. He got hurt, but he still contributed in the Super Bowl. Now I'm looking at Stefon Diggs, and if we're going to call this annoying, what I see is passion. That is straight passion. He cares about the game of football. He cares about playing winning football. And when your team's not living up to expectation, I'm okay with you showing emotion because you care. If you don't want the cameras to catch that and that's your opinion, that's your prerogative, That's fine. But to me, that shows drive. That shows passion. That shows that you care about the outcome of the game. You hold yourself to an expectation, a standard. And Stefon Diggs is one of the best in the game for a reason because he holds himself to that. So I have no problem with this because it shows me that he cares. Simple.
I don't think Stefon Diggs is a cancer, but I think the tantrums and the sideline outbursts are a bit over the top because this isn't the first situation that it's happened in. In Minnesota, Stefon Diggs last year in Minnesota, every week it was a new thing with him and Adam Thielen getting annoyed at Kirk Cousins and calling him out in the media. And now we see Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson. There have been situations where Jefferson could have called out Kirk, and he handled it in a professional manner. Stefon Diggs wanted out of Minnesota. He didn't want to play with Kirk Cousins. He leaves to go to Buffalo. Now you play with a top quarterback in Josh Allen, and it's just a reoccurring thing. And I feel like the perception of the Bills, you have to be wary of the perception of your team. In the playoffs, Stefon Diggs, him looking at Josh Allen in the sideline and the mannerisms that he had towards him, that now draws attention. So you have to be wary of what is drawing attention, negative attention to your team. And passion is a great thing, but the passion has to be controlled. And I think Stefon Diggs, too many moments, it's now in Minnesota, it's now in Buffalo, where things are lingering on. That's my thing.
I think as long as it's not, what's the word I'm going to use? As long as it's not taken away from his on-field ability, as long as it's not creating any chaos with other players, which it hasn't shown it has, he's still very much cool with his quarterback, very much cool with his guys on the team. As long as he still is very respectful in media, which he's shown he has. Even when he was on the Von Miller show, he talked about that incident, and he said they were just frustrated. They were losing. Him and Josh talked about it. As long as it doesn't affect anything of that, it hasn't because he's had 100 yards in damn near every single game he's played.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he's a fucking beast. I'm okay with all that. You know, I do think, like you said, perception. So the media are going to zoom in on that, make that big microscope because, once again, he's done this repeatedly, and this team, Buffalo, has been underperforming in the playoffs in recent memory. So I think it's going to get exaggerated, but in my personal opinion, I don't think it's a big deal. I think he, especially at that moment, he was looking at the iPad, probably seen something he didn't like, got frustrated, or I think that was the interception at that point, and he probably felt like he could have got the ball, got frustrated at a play. It's understandable. Me personally, I'm not going to look too much into it. As long as it doesn't affect none of that stuff I talked about, so on-field ability, in the locker room, as long as he's fine there, you can have those tantrums. Because I understand, as a competitor, it's tough losing games.
Yeah, you can't miss out on Stefon Diggs. I mean, he's so good that you live with, even if you want to call this antics, whatever. As long as, like Riv said, he's not going out in the media and calling out Josh Allen or McDermott. Like, if this was Khalil Shakir on the sideline going crazy, you're like, bro, what are you doing? It's Stefon Diggs.
Like Mac Hollins did to Desiree.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like, if he's so good and he's so talented that, like Drew said, he's going to have that passion. His expectation is to be the best wide receiver, the best offense, and Josh Allen to be the best quarterback every single play. So, within those 3 hours when he's playing, he's going to have some moments where he gets pissed off because that was a game that I understand why you got pissed off. That was a game they could have won,
very winnable,
but came up short. So as long, like Riv said, he's not doing shit in the media. Like Jamar Chase went out and said, I'm open. I'm always fucking open, right? Like I would almost rather
Diggs could have easily said that because he's literally always
like
open.
If you're on the sideline talking to your teammates, getting these heat exchange, that's one thing. It's different when it bleeds into the locker room and relationships get hurt. It doesn't seem like they're at that point.
You know, with that Jamar Chase quote is funny because people like took it as a shot to Joe Burrow. Yeah. But the reporter asked him a question. He was like, have defenses been playing you differently to where you're just not getting open? You know, that was a question where Jamar Chase answered in that way because he felt disrespected that the reporter would even insinuate that he's getting stopped in any type,
like a shot at
any type of way.
Like, buddy, I'm open. None of your defense can stop.
And then you saw what he posted after the big game? A picture of 7-Eleven.
He's tough.
He's awesome.
He's open.
That's my dude.
Rev, you act like you can't say whatever you want, man.
You gotta be careful. Can I say that's my?
Must be nice.
You could say whatever you want, bro.
I can say that.
Why are you looking at me?
Huh? I'm asking all of you. I can
bro,
say.
You can say whatever.
So I can say that's my nigga. Hey, that Chase. I can say that now. That's my fucking nigga. Then that's what I've been waiting for. As long as I know I can say it. Yeah, I can't though. Don't do
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Matt Collins.
Thanks for making that clear for me.
I had to make because you was ready to slip. I see you. You was ready to go off and say that. So you can't say
Imagine.
How you know Dell's not logic? How you know he's not biracial?
Are you?
Mike McDaniel? I just found out Mike McDaniel is.
I thought you were gonna say
just
I
found
found
that
out
out?
I was.
Not just found, but like coming into the season, I didn't know he was mixed race.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Yeah.
That was a
Just
big
wait.
talking point when he got
No,
hired.
yeah,
I'm
he's.
Taino, bro.
Okay. You guys saw the thing I sent you guys?
What?
Well, he said Johnny Manziel didn't watch film.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
At all. Like he said he was there.
And meanwhile, Skip Bayless
Oh,
is
Mike
here talking
McDaniel did?
about him.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel was there with
I didn't
Johnny
see-
Manziel.
I just saw,
yeah.
like, the doc.
He was assistant coach. on
He
that
said
team.
he didn't watch film.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He basically said that the decision to draft him was the ownership, and all the coaches knew that he wasn't
in
a
Cleveland.
top prospect.
Cleveland.
Yeah,
I'm thinking he was at A&M. I was like, when was he at fucking A&M?
Kyle Shanahan said something similar, but he wasn't as blunt like McDaniel was. Shanahan was just like, it's just wasn't ready, for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot on his plate at the time. Matt Collins had an outburst to Desmond Ritter, which was funny as hell. Did you guys see the
Of
video?
course I saw.
I
That was
didn't see it.
that was a couple weeks
Oh,
ago,
you didn't
right?
see it? Ritter was going up to him, and Matt Collins just stands up. He's like,
Yeah.
that was
Fuck you think
hilarious,
he
bro.
is?
Matt
I
Collins.
saw you tweet about saying how anything's better than Matt Collins. I don't think Matt Collins is bad.
You thought
Van
Tyquan
Jefferson
Thornton
is
was good.
definitely better than Matt Collins.
I mean, again, you play with Matthew Stafford. You look a lot better than maybe
Van
you are.
Jefferson is solid, though, in his own right. Just doesn't have a role right now because of Puka and Tutu.
Yeah, he's cooked. He's
Tutu's speed is just that's a big part of their
Tutu
offense right
is-
now.
But
Nice.
Puka kind of Tutu kind of taking his spot.
That was Van Jefferson's role to
That's a
take.
skill issue. Like, that's just Tutu outworking you. That's just Tutu being more trustworthy.
We were expecting Van Jefferson to
Correct.
be the number one, not
He had
Puka when Cup
800
went
yards. Didn't he have 800 yards the year that Cup went crazy or something like that?
Van is a solid number 3, and on the Falcons, it's,
Cooper Kupp was open every play. That shit hurt my soul.
Shit.
I mean, bro, he's Cooper.
I know it just hurt.
So now the other game that happened was the Ravens and Steelers, and the Ravens lost this game, and we all thought the Ravens were going to win this one. 8 drop passes worth 185 plus yards and 3 touchdowns for Lamar Jackson.
We're gonna do our
passes.
power rankings. It's like the loss sucks, but like it shouldn't happen. That's why I'm not like dropping them crazy in my rankings when we do them. It's just this should have been a game to boost up Lamar's stats, get him in that MVP conversation. We're talking about touchdowns and yards, and
I don't know if anybody watches UFC in here, but Olivier just backed out. So Volk Volk and Islam are doing a rematch for the lightweight title.
Israel?
Yeah.
Or-
No,
Charles Oliveiro?
Yeah, he backed out. He got
That
hurt.
sucks.
He got hurt.
Volk. It was gonna be Volk versus Oliveiro.
No, it was going to be Islam versus Oliveira round 2.
Adesanya versus
Volk didn't have anything going on at the moment, so now he's going to fight Islam round 2 for the
That's
lightweight title.
tough.
I wanted Charles to win, beat Islam again. I'm hurt.
Islam or Izzy?
You are lost, my brother.
I know who you're talking about. I got you.
Izzy's a middleweight.
It's different.
Okay.
It's different. You're talking about
Islam.
Correct.
Makachev.
Correct. Yep. I know who you're talking about. That they fought already, and Volk lost.
Yeah. What's the guy's name? Khabib's.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Khabib's right hand. They look just alike. It's actually
You are lost, Robert. Nah, I knew what you were saying. I know what you meant.
It's just because you said Izzy, and he was like, yeah, so I thought,
No,
No.
Izzy's-
Now, because then
Unfortunately,
we're back
Izzy
on the
is
same
no
spot.
longer the
Correct.
champ.
Once you said-
Izzy's been
Once
losing.
you said Volk, I was just like, oh, the two fought. He won, even though it was a very good match. Honestly, Volk probably should have won.
This hurts.
Yeah, no, Oliveiro not being there stinks.
Whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue. Though.
that's it. It sucks for Lamar's MVP case because he should have had 3 more touchdowns and 200 more yards.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about this one too much. I said it when I spoke about Stephen A. making that terrible last statement. This was not on Lamar Jackson. These guys need to catch the damn ball. Yeah. You get paid to do one job.
Especially the Bateman one, bro.
Yeah, that was horrendous.
Right in his hands.
The
wide
Zay Flowers
open.
one was bad.
How about the Aguilar ball?
Yeah.
That goes right
I'll be
through
honest.
his
Going back to
hands.
Philly days, trust me, brother. I go drop ball.
How crazy? But he's cleaned it up pretty tremendously.
It's always in you.
But isn't it funny? You say Zay, you say Bateman, I say Aguilar. It speaks volumes
so,
to how
We just
terrible
didn't say
it
Mark
was.
Andrews yet, but he
Yeah,
dropped
another
Andrews.
one.
Yeah.
And then the one throw you could really just pinpoint on Lamar was that ball at the very end that he threw that jump ball to Odell. If you want to say that was an effort thing on Odell, me personally, I'm not going to say that. It was right to the defender.
It's not
What
the
did you
play I
want
would
to
call up?
What
you
did
know?
you exactly?
Or maybe that wasn't even the read. He just went.
Odell
to
does not look good.
No.
He got banged up during the game too at ankle injury. Came back in, but
That's another reason why I didn't love that idea from Lamar. Why are you throwing it to a guy that already was going through injury? That one didn't sit right with me.
Well, it's kind of on brand because he has the most turnovers in fourth quarter and overtimes with 11 in the last 3 seasons. Only Heineke's number 2. Heineke's 2 at 9, and then it's Herbert at 8.
This is who you allow. This is who you allow.
I don't, because when Lamar goes crazy, I tell him to stop because I don't want to hear it.
This is an issue, though. I mean, if you're turning the ball over late in games, this is not an issue.
Yeah, should have.
We can be objective.
Game should have been out of hand.
Lamar Jackson will be one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League.
He is. He's been
with
amazing.
Todd Monken, he will be unleashed.
He is amazing. I mean, we can acknowledge Lamar's amazing and also say the turnovers.
Come on, Lamar.
Late game situations are bad.
You can't turn the ball over late into the games. You need to make sure that your receivers are catching the ball. It's on you, Lamar. Come on, Lamar.
Listen, this specific game, I'm not putting this shit on Lamar.
This specific game, Drew just talked about it. The interception to Odell and then the strip sack to T.J. Watt.
Should have been up by 20.
T.J. Watt, who is one of the best defenders that we've ever seen in our lives.
T.J. Watt is solely responsible for 2 wins the Steelers got.
He's a GOAT.
You know what's crazy?
Alexander Highsmith.
We have
sure.
2 of our good friends are Steelers fans. They are sick they're in first place. They are mad they're winning games because they see this team sucks. Jared was like, I'm not even happy we're top of the division right now. I don't blame him. This team bad.
Well, the Bengals going to be there.
The what?
The Bengals going to be there.
You guys are so lucky. You know what? Never mind.
The Bengals going to be there. Listen, the Steelers number 1, the Bengals could be number 1. It's just that simple.
You're tied. Yeah, actually third. You're fourth.
The Bengals?
Yeah, the Browns have the tiebreaker.
That's probably true because the Browns just had a bye week, so they're 2-2.
Yeah, and they beat
Bengals
you.
are
Remember,
2-3.
don't forget the most important part. They beat Don't
Joe
forget
Burrow
that.
wasn't fully 100% healthy.
Oh.
Wait until Burrow get healthy.
And he's
They're
surprised he's
unbeatable
100%
when
against
he's
the
healthy.
Cardinals. Fucking shocker, right?
Yeah,
how convenient.
What was it, 5 weeks later? Of course he would.
Yeah, he cooked up the Cardinals.
talking about?
How convenient.
What are you talking about?
Can't wait. They'll play again soon.
Didn't the Browns get dominated by the Ravens, who can't catch all of a sudden?
You know Dorian, what's his name, played. Yeah, that
DTR? He was good in the preseason.
He wasn't good in that
great.
game. He was not good in that game.
I doubt Deshaun would have been good in that game.
So you doubt what?
I doubt Deshaun would have been good in that game.
That's cool. Joe Burrow has been good for 3 out of his 5 games.
Still better than what Deshaun has been since
That's
he got
not
to
true. They probably been at the
Titans.
same
What
level.
happened? Mention the Titans. Mention the Titans.
That's Joe Burrow's Mickey Mouse Cardinals game.
And no, I'm talking about how he played against the Titans. Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They both have one great game.
Interesting way to talk about it.
The difference is that Joe Burrow for the last 2 years has been one of the top quarterbacks.
There we go.
What has Deshaun been the last 2 years? He's been in court and he's been faced lawsuits and he's played like shit. That's what he's been.
Got him.
I have nothing to do with me. That's nothing to do with me. Why are you bringing up his court case to me?
Because that's what he's been the last 2 years. That's where he's been at.
I am a fan of the Cleveland Browns, which means anything that Deshaun Watson has done.
What led you to the Browns? Was it Denzel?
Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb. I was a big Nick Chubb guy last year.
He was.
Rangers swept the Orioles.
Damn, bro.
Mark Cooper's my guy.
What do you think about the Diamondbacks? They're about to beat the Dodgers.
Do you not?
That's
as
awesome.
long as it's not the Phillies or Braves.
Do you guys not realize the Stros are coming back?
Yeah, as long as it's not the Phillies or Braves, I don't give a fuck. Even though I don't want the Astros to win.
Do you think Joe Burrow was better at Deshaun's peak?
Yeah.
Comfortably, right?
Not comfortably, no.
Not comfortably.
Deshaun Watson is amazing.
But you can make the case he went to the Super Bowl, AFC
Nobody
Championship.
really. He got carried. We're talking about like
he didn't get carried.
Yeah.
You know I'm here with you.
Yeah.
He didn't get carried. That's far from the truth.
Well, Deshaun carried. You know.
Did
Deshaun was
he?
up, what, 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs?
They were up 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs. No, they were up 24-0, 28-0.
Yeah,
they weren't even supposed to
against
be
the
there.
Chiefs. Yeah, but they were up not because of Deshaun, because of
He
all.
just had to score.
It was special teams touchdown.
You're right,
I think
you're
defense.
right.
There was a lot of things that happened in that
Yeah,
game,
you're
and
definitely right.
he was up and then he lost. I mean, what
Wasn't
is
they
he?
not supposed to be there though? The
Texans?
They came back against the Bills a week or 2 before that.
That comeback was awesome. Yeah, that was when.
Then I forgot what they did the second round. They beat somebody. I forgot who it was.
No, the Texans were never in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, nah.
That wasn't the AFC Championship?
That was a divisional
Second
round.
Second
Yeah,
round.
yeah.
Who did the Chiefs play that year in the AFC Championship?
Titans.
The Titans, yeah.
That was
you
the
were
Titans
right.
year?
Yeah. That was when the Titans beat the Ravens. That's true.
Right. Yeah, that Bills comeback. Remember that generation?
Yeah, listen, he was awesome against them.
Respect, man.
That was when I actually
What
liked
he did in
Deshaun.
his little rape era has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
Anyway, start bench cut.
Start bench cut. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Devon Achane.
Very easy start, Bijan. I don't care what the numbers say, as his chain has been unbelievable to watch. Bijan just passes every test that you could ask for. His pass catching ability. I don't give a fuck what you say, Riff.
I didn't say
his
anything.
pass catching
Actually didn't say
ability.
a word just
His
now.
pass catching ability is the best out of these rookie running backs. His rushing ability.
Bijan's got it on camera just for Bijan. He's got his own camera.
Can you imagine that? You're that great that you get your own
Never seen
camera
anyone
work.
do that.
You want to say I'm glazing?
Oh, that's glazing.
That's high level
really-
glazing
that's
from
glazing.
Atlanta, and justifiably so. Bro doesn't even.
It's
have,
either him or Desmond Ridder.
He
bro.
doesn't even have the ball in his possession yet, and he's making a move on the defender and still is able to get into the end zone. The guy is a special breed, and once the pass game, if it ever does continue to open up, I should say, because he did just have himself a great game against the Texans. Hopefully that's a sign for good things to come. I'm not holding my breath, expecting that. But if it can open up, it'll allow Bijan to have a lot more leniency in the offense. But he's definitely getting a start from me. Achane is getting benched. He has been special. He has been one of the most efficient rushers in football in such a limited amount of time. He has just a drastically less amount of carries as some of these guys, and he's still top of the league in terms of amount of rushing yards. And you have to bench Jameer just because of sheer opportunity alone. You can trust the talent that is. If you're talking to me as if this is a projection thing, then maybe I'd feel a little bit more lenient towards Jameer because of the offensive line with the Detroit Lions. The idea that offense is very well-rounded. But as of right now, it's very easily David Montgomery's backfield, so he's getting cut.
It's not often you see a running back average more yards per rush than yards per reception. That's what Achane's doing right now. I'm with Drew, though. Bijan start, of course, still maybe doesn't have the numbers, the efficiency that Achane has, but he's just unbelievable. And as much as I love Gibbs, and I think given the opportunity, he could be just as good as Achane, what he's doing right now is just historic, man. I mean, 38 attempts for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like, he's been getting a lot of CJ2K comps, a lot of Chris Johnson comps. Like, he's that type of explosive. Like, he's insane. So I would have to bench him and then sadly cut Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs has one more carry than Devon Achane. 39 carries compared to 38 carries, and he has almost 300 more rushing yards than him.
Shit, bro.
Gibbs has not scored a touchdown this year. Devon has scored 7 this year. Second in rushing yards, tied fourth in rushing touchdowns, 12.1 yards per attempt. I mean, we all got to start Bijan. Bijan is just like that. But, I'm cutting Jahmyr Gibbs.
I tried to tell you about Achane, man. Y'all slept, man.
You can be. Who slept? Who
Drew was
slept?
definitely
Riz?
Somebody on this panel had him as like the 5th or 6th running back.
I didn't even have him in my top 5, I don't think.
Jesus. It might have been Dehls. You know what, Drew? I apologize.
Thank you. Wasn't
You
even here.
slept, man. Listen, 151 yards, a touchdown, 101 yards, 2 TDs, 203 yards and 2 TDs. I'm starting Devon Achane. I don't see how you don't. I get Bijan has the bigger pop potential.
Starting him?
Yeah, for sure. He has.
Bro.
Come on, dude. He has 400 yards in 4 games. He had 7
Come
touchdowns.
on, man.
I know you're falling in love with the juice and the juking and all that good stuff.
It's not viral.
It's-
You're an
it's-
aura guy.
I am.
Bijan exudes aura.
I don't care about running back aura. I'll be honest.
But you love Nick Chubb. You're losing me, Riv.
Not because of his
You're
aura.
losing me,
Have I ever said
Riv.
anything about Nick Chubb's
You're
fucking
losing me,
aura?
Riv.
Nick Chubb has aura?
Does he?
Not at all, but you like a running back, and it's the main reason why you like the Browns.
But that's not because of aura.
Yeah, Chubb definitely has some aura.
But you're talking to me
He has
about
no
Doesn't
aura.
even play with gloves.
you don't
Yeah.
care about running back aura, whatever you say.
Is he
but
try-
you
is he-
love
what is he saying?
But you love Nick Chubb, and that's the reason you
Because
fuck
he's a-
with the Browns.
Because he's a top 2 running back in the world.
And Bijan will be a top 2 running back in the world.
Well, Devon Achane might too. And I'm starting him.
Okay.
I'm
Whatever you say,
benching
Riv.
Bijan, and I'm cutting Jahmyr Gibbs because he has done nothing.
Here we go.
Jahmyr Gibbs has done nothing.
Why are you upset?
In and out.
I'm not
Power
upset.
rankings.
How
10
many-
minutes.
How
Boom,
many
boom.
attempts does Bijan have?
More than
67.
38.
67. How many yards?
It's 364.
364.
Okay.
He's averaging over 5 a carry.
Just
Idiot.
just on some shit.
Do you want me to tell you how much this guy's averaging? I don't think you want me to
It's
do that.
amazing. He's
Oh.
in
So who's
one
the
of
real
best-
idiot here?
He's one. What do you mean 5.7? You're talking to me like that's fucking 5.4.
Do you want me
You're
to tell
talking
you
like that's
okay,
ass.
shut up. Don't say nothing to me.
Dude, it's at probably like almost 8.
12.1.
I was gonna
Clown.
say, yeah, I bet. What do you mean clown?
So who's the idiot here? You said 5. Like, he's at 12.1.
Bijan Robinson
Every time he gets
is in
the
an
ball,
offense where his quarterback is ass.
every time he gets the ball,
It's almost a house call.
it's literally almost a touchdown every single time.
You can argue. I mean, these
20
past
yards,
couple
30
of weeks,
yards, 40.
Achane's been carrying Tua, man.
He's the scariest.
doing
Like, he's
things.
How
scary
much
when
help
he
does
gets the
Tua
ball.
need? Jesus Christ.
For
yeah,
real.
it's
Just
like-
get this guy the entire
It's a dream
league,
team over there.
bro,
But every
this
time he gets the ball, it's light show. And Bijan's cool. I'm not.
What about Mostert?
He's
cool.
eating too.
What about Mostert?
Mostert's first in touchdowns right now.
Mostert's cool.
I wonder why these running backs are going so crazy.
I mean, we have
It's
speed.
like
That
the
Shanahan
defenses-
tree with that
it's
rush
like the
scheme,
defenses
man.
are just scheming
special.
up for Tua and Tyreek and Waddle. It's just like, fuck the running game. Why would we defend it?
Speed kills.
Speed does
They have
kill.
the-
Fucking
what,
kills,
the
man.
top 6 fastest speeds this year.
Top 5, man. I hate that for Bijan. Maybe
Reese
if he's
is
in a better
next, though.
situation, you know. I hate that.
Giants ain't get
I hate
killed
that
by
he's
the-
playing with
by
an
the
incompetent
passing game,
quarterback.
no.
I do.
I do too.
I hate that for him.
I
really
hate
do.
that.
I wish he was somewhere
I
better.
don't just hate that
Maybe
for
in
him.
Philly.
I hate that for the offense.
If he was in Philly, life would be better.
If he was in Philly, he'd be the greatest player of all time.
I think you prefer Jalen Carter.
Yeah. Jalen Carter's, yeah, of course. But Bijan,
Even though Jordan Davis has been
great.
bad.
That's my dog. I love him.
Jalen
He
Carter.
hasn't been Jalen
Jalen
Carter.
Carter clears.
No,
Jalen
Jalen
Carter's
Carter's just
damn near generation.
just
Jalen
different.
Carter's
He's
been
not
one of the
damn near.
best-
He is.
Best D lineman in the NFL, period.
You might be cooking. But I'm going to wait a year.
He could be that. He could be.
No,
that.
he'll be there in year 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Through 5 games, he's right up there with damn near everyone.
He's just not Aiden
Except
Hutchinson
Aaron
yet.
Donald.
You know, he's a defensive lineman. He's not Aiden Hutchinson yet. He's got to be Aiden Hutchinson before
He
can be the
clears
best.
Aiden Hutchinson.
He does clear Aiden Hutchinson.
Hutchinson's been balling, so I'm not gonna say clear.
You see that one-handed pick Hutchinson had?
That shit was tough.
Yo, are you kidding
That shit
me?
was tough.
Jalen Carter is the best defensive player on our team.
Okay.
And we have
Good for him.
literally
He's
a
awesome.
stacked
Hutchinson's
defensive
the
lineman.
best defensive player on his team.
Who's he rivaling with? That's what I thought.
Aleem McNeil,
Oh, it's cool.
James Houston.
Oh, okay.
I would say Jack Campbell, maybe.
So-
The
Or
defensive line's very good for
Cameron
the Lions.
Sutton.
Sounds interesting. You know,
Yeah.
sounds real cool.
Brian Branch, rookie.
Oh, okay.
No.
Hassan
Did
Reddick.
Branch-
you know,
did Branch
Fletcher
play
Cox,
this week?
You know, a couple dogs out there.
I don't know. I don't know if he did play or not.
People were actually telling me Branch deserves a defensive rookie of the year
He
over
was playing
Carter.
really well before he got hurt.
Hell no.
Yeah.
The
Over
hell?
Carter. Carter's
That's
the
I think it was a
clear
lot of Detroit fans though. So
Makes sense.
favorite.
Yeah,
It's not
makes
what he
sense.
played.
NFL Power Rankings after week 5. I'll go 10-6. Number 10, I got the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, listen,
goodness.
bad loss
Damn.
against the Steelers, but I couldn't drop them down too much because the Ravens are still a great team, and they should have won this game if we're speaking honestly. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks on the bye week. I'm going to keep them at 9. Number 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Big time win over the Bills in London. Number 7, though.
Jaguars over the Ravens.
Yes, right now. The Bills win was a big time win.
It was
That
a big
moved
win.
you, even though they lived in Europe for 2 weeks.
why did Buffalo fly out Friday morning?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
I feel like London games have to just be taken away. I'll be honest.
Oh, but they could have flown out a couple days before that. They-
So take it away. Take it away. Switch Jaguars and the Ravens.
I actually made a crucial mistake, and I put the Jaguars twice. Somebody else go.
Okay, at 10.
Let Drew go first, please.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because he's going to take.
you
Just
saw
let
the
him.
speed that
No,
was?
not even.
You saw the
I'm
speed?
here. Here we go. Number 10, Seattle Seahawks. On a bye week, they still look good offensively. Defensively need some work. They got some injuries. Here we are, number 10, though. Respect to them. Number 9, Jacksonville Jaguars. Moved by the Bills game. Not moved that much. Trevor Lawrence and company look solid. ETN was amazing. Here we go. Number 8, Dallas Cowboys. Amazing. Psych nah. Terrible performance against the San Francisco 49ers. Dak Prescott, lock the fuck in. Defense, lock the fuck in. You're on fraud alert. Number 7, Baltimore Ravens. I understand they got to be dropped. They're no longer a top 5 team because of that loss against the Steelers. But I still trust Lamar Jackson. I still trust that defense. They put on a great showing until that fourth quarter. They let a bomb to George Pickens. That was really, really unfortunate to watch. Can they catch the ball? Would love to know that. Number 6, Detroit Lions. We're here. We're here. They're a secondary away from being a championship caliber team. They are amazing. Offensively, they can do whatever they want. I get it was against the Panthers. Their rush defense horrendous. Dave Montgomery's going to do him. But Amon-Ra didn't even play. And Josh Reynolds continued to ball. Samuel Laporte, the dude's one of the best tight ends in National Football League. He's already a top 5 tight end. Simple as that. Number 6. Number 5, Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
He did 10
I
to
have
6.
to
That's
stop.
why. That's why.
I have to stop. Let me just cook. Here we go. Number 5, Kansas City Chiefs. On the defensive side of the ball, they're going to continue to be amazing. But the offense still has not clicked like you would expect it. They need to be better, but they continue to win games. Number 5. Number 4, Miami Dolphins. They were playing around with the New York Giants. Simple as that. They were playing around with the New York Giants. They were trying to get Waddle involved into the offense. Got the touchdown early on, but in that drive, that Tua threw that interception, he forced it to Waddle to throw right before that, then forced it into Bobby Okereke, who made a nice play on the ball, and then they were able to have their first touchdown in the first half. I have no worries about the Dolphins. Great game by them. Number 3, Buffalo Bills. Lost to the Jaguars. Was a London game. Not thinking too much about it. Josh Allen still on his MVP tour. Number 2, Philadelphia Eagles. They're undefeated. Offense looks great. Not only is their rush offense great, now their pass offense is starting to get cooking. We saw Goddard finally get involved. Number 1, San Francisco 49ers.
You almost gave me a heart attack. He had the Bucks at 10 for a second. Honorable mention to the Chargers, who will be here next week after they beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Respect Baker Mayfield.
The Bucks? Absolutely fucking not.
At 10, I got
1.
I don't give a fuck.
Bucks.
Oh yeah, it doesn't move me.
They don't like Baker Mayfield.
Bro, remember when the Steelers were 11-0
rankings?
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that?
I mean, I feel like I have the Bucks in my 10. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay. At 10, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Big win over Buffalo. 9, I got the Dallas Cowboys. Tough loss, but they're still one of the best teams in the league. At 8, I don't know if any of you guys are going to have them. I got Cincinnati Bengals. I've seen enough. Joe Burrow, 85%. They're a top 10 team in the league. They're this good. Number 7,
I told you. It's Joe Burrow is his guy.
And number 7,
I told you.
the Baltimore Ravens. Let's not get carried away.
With me about Joe Burrow playing the Cardinals and how it was fraudulent.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen enough.
I've
seen enough.
Well, okay, you have the Bucks on your list. If the Bucks and Bengals play next week, who would you take?
Bengals.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's
so
a power.
what are we
It's a
talking
week- it's a
about?
week-
See, I'm
it's a
glad
week-by-week
you
thing.
talked to Riven, not me.
But that's the thing. Like,
But wait.
just because they're
You would have the
2-3
Bucks
and
over the
they're
Bengals?
3-1.
No.
Okay.
Wait, but you
Fuck
didn't
do
have
I
the
look like
you didn't have
to
the Bengals in your top 10 before this, and the
No.
Cardinals moved them up to 8.
I mean, it's not the Cardinals. Joe Burrow looked like Joe Burrow.
He did.
If Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow, this is a top 10 team easy.
But it's too soon.
This is weird.
They're 2 and 3.
If you didn't, that's fine. That's
Power
fine.
rankings is weird.
If
Okay.
next week they're in the top 10, I want an apology.
No.
No,
Because you need one more. So I'm 1 week early,
It's
and
against
I'm
the Cardinals.
It's a bad opinion.
It's against the
I
Cardinals.
think I don't. Okay,
The Cardinals who beat the Dallas Cowboys?
Maybe you're doing
and
it.
now they're on fraud alert because they just got absolutely.
Maybe you're doing it just different.
butt fucked
I'm
by
thinking
the
maybe different,
Niners.
'cause
I like to think of as if the Bengals went up against the Cowboys, who would I take this week?
Okay.
I think I might lean the Bengals.
because I just thought power rankings is like a week by week thing, and the Bengals haven't been close to top 10.
Yeah, but I don't. But if you're looking at record and saying the Bucks are 3-1, they have to be top 10. You're losing me.
Steelers
No,
are the
they
Bengals.
should have been top 10 last week.
Who?
The Bucks.
No.
They didn't win. They inclined. They had to then climb up after 2
They're
wins.
like, maybe they're like 15 on my list. I don't know. I only did 10.
Okay, that's
let me
fine.
get through it. At 8, I had the Bengals. 7, I have the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not overreacting to 3 drop touchdowns. 6, the Detroit Lions. They're right up there with the best. Them and the Cowboys.
We're here.
Neck and neck. They look great offensively.
fraudulent-ass
Defense
Packers.
has stepped up. 5, Miami Dolphins. Still best offense in football.
The
Just
division runs through
defense
them,
I'm
boy.
worried about. For the Buffalo Bills, the injuries with Matt Milano and Trey White is very concerning, but I still have faith in this offense, obviously, and if the defense can just patch it together, we saw they absolutely dominated the Dolphins, and that's the best the best offense in football. 3 Kansas City Chiefs, 2 Eagles, and 1 best team in the league, Niners.
You know what, Dehls? I'm gonna add a little spin to yours and add it to mine and create a combination. So I appreciate that from you, Dehls.
The Lions are on
think-
fraud alert
I
when
think
Ben
you're fraud,
Johnson
though.
leaves.
Oh,
Okay.
can't say he's wrong.
You want me to go?
And he will become a head coach after this season.
Let's just hope that Dan Campbell has such a great relationship that he never wants to go.
Do you want me to
Won't
go?
happen. You could go, Riff.
Okay. So number 10, I have the Jacks. You know, they got a little nice, cute win against the Buffalo Bills. They got hurt, but whatever. We move. 9, I got Seattle. I still think they're here at 9. Number 8, I dropped Dallas all the way down to this spot. You know, that was a gut wrench, destroying L, but they're still one of the 10 best teams in the league. I can't drop them out of my top 10. Number 7 is where I have the Lions. You know, I think that was an impressive win. But number 6, I got Baltimore. I don't think they dropped that bad because I think the drops were concerning, but I think this is still one of the best teams in the league. 5, I got Miami. And then 4, I keep Buffalo there. Number 3, I got the Chiefs. And then my 2 undefeated teams, I got Philly. And then number 1, I got the Niners.
Number 10, I got the Cowboys. Embarrassing loss. I actually just changed them to 10. I was going to put the Chargers here, but they were on the bye week. Cowboys and Chargers face, so the winner of that will be number 10. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. Number 8, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 7, the Jaguars. Number 6, the Bills. Number 5, I got the Dolphins at number 5. The defense is a concern. I mean, the offense is lights out, but the defense just has not been able to hold their own. Number 4, the Lions. I mean, it's a top 10 offense. It's a top 10 defense right now. The Lions have to be one of the better teams in the league right now, especially after week 5. After the way they beat the Panthers, I know the Panthers aren't a good team, but they dominated that game from start to finish. I got the Lions at 4.
Now he's drinking the Kool-Aid. Now he's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Number
Remember when
3,
the Packers were top 10?
That was a good week.
God.
Listen, you changed your opinion with new information. Number 3, the Chiefs.
You remember
Number
when you
2,
wait before we go into anything further? I apologize. I know we want to go home, guys. Remember when you tried to scold me for saying that this division is the Lions until further notice. Remember that?
You said for 3 years, bro.
And I still feel great about that.
3 fucking years?
Yeah, because if Jordan Love's going to be the quarterback of the Packers for 3 years, shit's caked. It's over. It's over. Say a fucking prayer, kid.
To say any team is going to run a division for 3 years unless that team has a superstar level quarterback is an absurd.
The talent on the Lions is obvious.
The Vikings could very well make moves next offseason and be competing.
What? The Vikings are 1-4. They're about to get rid of Kirk Cousins. Jettas, who even knows if he comes back if they don't trade him?
They're going to freeze on
2 first.
Let's be serious. Let's be serious.
And if you don't have a quarterback, you're cooked.
And what if they bring back Kirk Cousins?
Which I hope they do. I think Kirk deserves that.
Chicago. Stefon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, Gabe Davis, James Cook. What else does he need?
Broncos.
So wait, let me get this straight. Tua can get fucking Waddle and Tyreek, but Josh
he
can't
gets too
get
much
both?
help too.
Right,
I want to see.
How many
Oh, what the
times-
fuck? You said he wasn't even starting level quarterback.
Struggling quarterbacks.
So wait, Joe Burrow gets Chase, Higgins, and Boyd.
As long as he's on my fantasy team, yes.
You know what? That's just insane. You flipped. You flipped on me.
What
How
happened
many-
to this guy?
Dehls is done.
First top
Dehls
5
done.
quarterback.
How many teams do we see win a division 3 years in a row?
It's really Chiefs.
very rare.
Is probably it.
Chiefs.
Patriots.
Just
Patriots
rarely
and their-
happens.
It's dynasties.
Buffalo.
really.
Buffalo just did it, right? This was,
Niners.
Buffalo might have
Niners.
just did it. Niners.
3 years in a row, I don't think the Niners
No,
have done it.
the Rams won that
Facts,
division.
facts.
It's
The
difficult.
Bills have won 3 years.
I think this was
They have,
last
they
year
have.
was their 3rd year.
Mhm.
I really still don't feel any type of remorse for that statement. I actually feel so
you
great
should
about
feel
it.
very comfortable. At least for this year, for sure.
No, for this year,
3
yeah,
years,
you
so much
got
can
it.
change.
Like, they don't
in
even
3
have a
years.
That 3rd year is going to be
Secondary.
tough.
They
That
don't
3rd
even
year is
have
gonna
a
be tough.
secondary.
What was your top 3?
Top 3, I got the Chiefs at number 3. I want to put them at number 2, but you got to respect the undefeated
Their
teams.
offense
I
really
guess.
even hasn't been like that.
Yeah, but it's still
Kelsey's banged
even
up. He
if
practiced
their
today, though.
offense hasn't been like that, their offense is still top 10. It's not like their offense is falling off a cliff.
I'm done.
I mean, Mister, you told me the Chiefs were made the playoffs last year. Come on,
Yeah,
what are you
congrats.
doing?
Let's live in this year when you told me that the Lions weren't going to win the division.
Let's live in this year
Bozo.
when you told me the Giants were going to win 10 games and the Broncos. Those are both teams vying for the first
Let's
overall
live
pick.
in this year when you told me that
Here we
Tua
go.
Tagovailoa wasn't going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Let's live in that realm.
1
I
year
mean,
the
he's
Niners.
not. Is he an elite quarterback? He's not an elite quarterback. Still.
Oh, really?
No,
Even though he's still
not.
going to be in conversation for MVP.
He's Josh Allen? No. He's Patrick Mahomes? No.
Hey, but when
He's
you're
Justin Herbert? No.
I mean, we have the same conversations about Jalen Hurts, and he was still in MVP conversations.
Still not one of the better.
All right, whatever you say.
Two is
Bucko.
not. Number 1, the 49ers. I mean, after the performance they put forth against Cowboys, I mean, I don't know when the 49ers are going to drop out of number 1.
Oh, it'll be the week they play the Eagles.
That'll really be the only opportunity.
Yep, and it's gonna happen. And when we beat them, I can't wait to laugh.
Also, the Chiefs' offense, it can click and it could go to number 1.
It could.
Unless-
Subscribe to the Patreon. We're dropping Patreon tomorrow. We get to 300 and we're in the do-rag. Drew, before we
we're
go,
back here tomorrow.
does the streak end on Thursday?
Which streak?
Broncos have lost 15 straight.
I
Yo, how many
am.
streaks of
It's
L's
not
do we
ending.
have?
I think it's been since 2015.
What about the Raiders one? How long was that?
That's
like 8 or 9, right?
8 games in a row.
Yo, what the fuck?
7 games in one of the 2.
And what's Chargers?
No, we beat them last season.
Okay, you guys suck.
I'm here to say
That's so
we win 2 games this season against the Bears, and this Thursday night
Here we
against the
go.
Kansas City fucking
Short
Chiefs.
week. Kelsey's banged up. It's in the script.
we can't flex.
They ain't
nothing,
winning
right?
shit. Come on, let's be serious.
We can't flex anything.
When the Broncos win,
Not Thursdays.
I swear,
God.
I swear on my mother's life, if the Broncos win, I will cry and I will be on this show and I will talk the most disgusting shit you've ever heard in your life.
Best 2-4 team ever.
We're
That's
back.
the Super Bowl.
No, that's my Super Bowl. Like how your Super Bowl was beating us.
And I want the Patriots.
Yeah, that was yours too.
I want the Patriots just once.
How was that my Super Bowl?
Week 18.
You
we're
said
coming.
it was.
We're coming, New England.
What?
You just
Don't
said it was
stop.
earlier.
What are you talking about? I
I
said that was your Super Bowl.
Earlier, did we not say the Broncos and the Jets was our Super Bowl? Did he not
You
agree with
said
that statement?
I said, yeah, it was your Super Bowl. Agreed.
No, you said it was yours
said it
as
was
well.
yours,
You
too.
said it was yours as
No,
well.
I said it was personal.
I don't know if you said on this episode, but you definitely said that it was.
No, I said I wanted 3 games. Unfortunately, I got the Bears. I had to group that in there. I wanted the Jets.
Why'd you want the
Chiefs.
Bears?
I didn't want them. It
Oh.
happened already.
Oh, we had this exact same conversation.
I know.
That's going to do it for episode 317. You can follow us on Twitter at PickAsidePod, on TikTok and Instagram at PickAsidePodcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.